Yo, what's good, Shinobi Nation? Welcome back to Narutoverse, the home of the craziest Naruto what-ifs. Today, we're diving into part 2 of What If Naruto Received Time Travel Jutsu. Let that sink in. Make sure you stick around because once this starts, there's no turning back. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell so you don't miss the next chapter, and share this video with your entire ninja squad. And don't forget to drop your theories in the comments because your support is what keeps this shinobi grinding. Now, let's jump straight into it. So what do you know about this Lee kid, Kakashi? Minato asked as the next pair of genin made their way to the arena floor. He's Guy's student, right? Indeed, Kakashi confirmed. He's unhealthily devoted to youth and being exactly like Guy. He can't use chakra for ninjutsu or genjutsu, so he's remarkable with taijutsu, but tends to risk permanent disability or even death to prove himself. There's nothing wrong with risking that so long as it does not happen, the Kazekage noted. True, but you can't always guarantee it and too many risks could backfire, Minato countered. So does his emulation of Guy and fascination with the power of youth make him more youthful than his mentor? Kakashi considered the question. Not yet. In a few years, though. So he'll need to pass, soon, Minato remarked. How are Naruto's chances? I think he'll come out just fine, Kakashi replied. But Lee's no pushover. And it wasn't like Naruto could use his Sage Mode, given the only way they knew of to learn that was spending weeks with the Toads, which Naruto obviously hadn't his timeline. Using Kyuubi chakra was also risky as Naruto's control wasn't the greatest and the goal was to get Lee through the fight without needing intensive care and life-threatening surgery. Kakashi didn't really know much about Lee's life at present, but if the events of the previous time's Chunin exam were any indication, the kid could really use a break. That's good, Minato said. I don't need Naruto to win the tournament or anything, but if he doesn't make a strong showing he's going to be so disappointed. Kakashi must have faith if he was willing to lay down money for it, the Kazekage said idly. Well, that and I could never bring myself to bet on Guy's student, Kakashi confessed. It's not like he's not a good instructor, because he is, although his training methods are completely insane, but he would never, ever let me live it down. You almost bet on Hyuga Neji, Itachi pointed out. But I didn't, Kakashi said finally. And Neji being Guy's student was really what decided me in the end. May we have a most youthful match, Lee said, bowing. Naruto bowed back. If by most youthful you mean impressive enough for a promotion then I hear you. One question before we start. I know Sakura used to love Sasuke, but did she ever harbor feelings for you? Lee asked. Well, she did confess her love to me once, Naruto answered. But that was mostly because she wanted to kill Sasuke. Lee blinked. Pardon. We have an interesting team dynamic, Naruto said with a shrug. So it would appear, Lee agreed. If you guys are quite done with the small talk, Obito spoke up, then the second match of the finals can begin. But the small talk is a vital part of my very ninja style. Naruto protested. Be that as it may, Lee doesn't really look like he needs to be saved from self-destructing, so just get on with the match, Obito instructed. Maybe he didn't. But wait until he started opening those gates. Naruto didn't remember how many of them Lee could open at this point in time, but he was fairly certain he could already open enough to turn red, which probably wasn't good for him. Lee came at him quickly, aiming a high kick at his chest. Naruto jumped back so it only grazed him, but Lee didn't give him any time to recover as hands were suddenly everywhere and Naruto didn't have time to do anything but block it. Naruto knew that theoretically, his ungodly stamina should allow him to outlast Lee if they kept this up. The problem was, not only would it fail to showcase anything but his staying power, but it also left Lee in a position to land a hit and do some serious damage. I don't know what this is called, but I saw that creepy kissing lady doing it, Naruto announced. He breathed wind-infused chakra into the palm of his hand, shaping it into a small ball-shaped whirlwind, and shot it in Lee's direction. Naturally, Lee dodged and the sphere tore a hole through the wall behind him. It was close, though, and the backlash was enough to toss the boy back several feet. You know, Obito lamented. There's a reason we can never manage to get this place in Sarada well, it's not like the repairs wouldn't come out of your mission pay anyway. Who is the creepy kissing lady? Sasuke wondered. Sakura narrowed her eyes in concentration. I don't remember her name, but she was a kunoichi who attacked us a few times when we were dealing with Sora. Sora? Sasuke asked blankly. You know, that guy whose father infused him with Kyuubi chakra? Sakura prompted. Sasuke shook his head. No, I really don't know. I was probably elsewhere at the time. But let me get this straight. You guys encountered some semi-possessed guy and had to deal with some sort of kissing killer. Sakura nodded. It was a bit more complicated than that, but basically. And you guys wonder why I left, Sasuke muttered. Oh please, like that disgrace to medical nin wasn't getting up to some even more twisted things, Sakura shot back. If he was then I didn't have to see it so I couldn't care less, Sasuke replied. Or that vampire girl, Sakura continued. Who? Sasuke asked, puzzled. You know, the one that healed people by biting, Sakura elaborated. Perrin wasn't really a medic nin, Sasuke pointed out. And she had to get bitten to heal people, not vice versa. Whatever, Sakura said. It was weird. And she was creepy. She actually reminded me of you when we first got on a team, Sasuke said casually. Sakura's eyes darkened. What? Think about it. Both of you were obsessive about me, good at chakra control, violent when angry at loud annoying teammates, Sasuke trailed off. Although I don't believe you ever rolled around in my discarded clothing or made plans to drug other people so you could ravish me, but then, she was 16 and you were 12. Sasuke, Sakura said warningly. Sasuke blithely ignored the warning. But then, there were some differences too. You had pink hair, she had red. You needed to believe in what you were doing and she was more blindly loyal. On the other hand, she was never useless. Seriously, it's like you want to die or something, Sakura marveled. Lee had apparently taken the time Sakura and Sasuke were bickering to reveal his Nindo to Naruto. And so you see, he concluded. It matters not that I have no inborn advantages for I am a genius of hard work. That is amazing, Naruto, always a sucker for a sob story, gushed. I am truly inspired. I may not be the most naturally gifted either, but I am a genius of stamina. No natural advantages. Sasuke shouted down. What about the Kyuubi? Or being the Hokage's son? Sakura added. Or the fact one of the Sannin is your godfather? Kiba joined in. Or the fact you always seemed to know everything before we were taught it? Shikamaru deigned to contribute. Or? Yep, Naruto said loudly, ignoring his rather unsupportive friends. I did everything all by myself. Well then we shall have to see which is greater. My hard work or your stamina, Lee declared. Lee, Guy called out. Lee immediately turned his attention to his mentor. Naruto cursed the fact that Lee was his friend and thus attacking him when he was distracted during the exam would probably be a bad idea. Yes, Guy-sensei. Take them off, Guy ordered. Lee's eyes widened. Are you sure? I thought. I know, Guy nodded, smiling. But it's time to show these people what you're made of. I will, Lee nodded determinedly. He bent down and began unbuckling the weights around his legs. Naruto was really cursing having an honor code right about now. You think taking off a few paltry weights will give you enough of an advantage? Temari asked skeptically. I don't know, Shikamaru said thoughtfully. Loud and ostentatious though they may be, I don't think Guy and Lee would make such a procession about just a few pounds. Besides, they are both known to take things to the extreme. But those things are tiny. Temari protested. How heavy could they possibly be? Temari's question was answered as Lee casually tossed the two weights to the side, as if they weighed nothing. To the surprise of most of the stadium, the weights left a huge crack in the floor and caused a large cloud of dust. Temari blinked. I stand corrected. I knew I should have made a bet, Shikamaru said absently. Then why didn't you? Temari demanded. Shikamaru shrugged. It was too troublesome, right? Temari rolled her eyes. How did I know you were going to say that? You've said more than 2 words to him. Kiba offered. No one asked you, Temari snapped. I don't need to be asked, Kiba declared. He cocked his head. You know, you two would make a good couple. Shikamaru would have responded, but he felt secure that the Suna Kenwaichi would react enough for the both of them. I'm 16. He's 12. What the hell is wrong with you? She demanded. 13, Shikamaru corrected. That's not much better, Temari insisted. In a couple of years in won't make a difference, Kiba said dismissively. Then come back then. Temari ordered. Oh I will, Kiba said, an evil glint in his eye. Akamaru barked twice. What? No, I don't think it's weird I keep trying to set all my friends up, Kiba denied. Akamaru barked again. But Ino really would be good with that one Anbu guy. And he looks just like Sasuke but paler, so it's not like she would even have a problem on that front. Kiba objected. And you have to admit, the thought of Lee with pink hair is enough to be rooting for Lee to get the girl. Can he really understand all that barking? Niji asked. Shino shrugged slightly. I do not know but it may not matter. Why? Because that boy has enough problems. Poor Hinata Samato thinks she's on a team with him, Niji shook his head. And I thought Lee was bad. Didn't you say something to the effect of those first 2 when Naruto tricked you into revealing you came back? Sasuke whispered. No, Sakura lied. Lee was moving too quickly for Naruto to see clearly. He could see the blur and knew that if he could manage to win if he could land a solid hit, but that was proving difficult under the circumstances. For perhaps the first time in his life, he wished he had a Sharingan so he could tell where Lee would be in attack there, but then he reminded himself that that would be cheating and promptly dismissed the half-formed thought. Page Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto said, forming the hand seals as he dodged Lee's right fist but was hit by Lee's left foot. Naruto doubled over, automatically clutching his stomach. Lee-san's weights packed quite a punch. Or kick, whatever. He quickly straightened and slipped into his army of clones. I may not be able to tell which one is the real you, Lee admitted. But it does not matter as one hit should dispel the fakes and I can take them out quickly enough. Try it, a clone challenged. For that, he was the first to go. Naruto waited silently as Lee moved through his clones and dispelled them with ease. Fortunately, it seemed that Lee had chosen to start with the clones on the opposite side of Naruto, so Lee made his way towards his real opponent last. Having had to dispel dozens of shadow clones already, Lee was getting frustrated and was beginning to slow down. Perfect. Naruto wasn't entirely sure he should be using this during the exam but Gaara had killed someone and Sasuke had used the Chidori the first time and would very likely use it again, so why not? It would do some damage, but probably not anything near how badly had been wounded after opening all those gates and being on the receiving end of Gaara's desert coffin. Rasengan. Naruto cried out as Lee was dispelling the clone to his left. Lee's eyes widened and he tried to get out of the way, but it was too late. The Rasengan did not hit him head-on, but it still sent him flying, and his head hit the floor with a sickening crunch. Obito waited for a moment to see if Lee would rise to his feet. When he didn't, he hurried over to see his condition. Naruto is the winner of the match. Someone get a medic. Immediately, the medic standing by went to Lee's side with a stretcher. Naruto bit his lip as he hurried up to the balcony to rejoin his friends. Think I overdid it a bit? He asked, concerned. It could be worse, Sasuke said with a shrug. He may need medical attention, but so did half the people from the prelims. Besides, it's not like getting hit will jeopardize his chances of remaining a ninja. That is something, Sakura agreed, remembering that even breaking half his limbs wasn't enough to dampen Lee's insane resolve, as he'd only made his condition worse in the month before the finals by trying to ignore his injuries. Who's up next? Kiba asked. That would be me, Shikamaru said, raising a hand lazily. I'm not really sure I want to, though. I mean, after me is Neji and then Sasuke. Who really wants to see me fight? It doesn't matter who does or does not want to see you fight as you will not like the consequences if you forfeit and don't give me a chance to, Temari said, grabbing his arm and dragging him towards the stairs. You think you know troublesome, trust me, you have no idea. While I admire Temari's determination, any match involving Shikamaru that doesn't come with some sort of external time constraint will take hours, Naruto remarked. Do you guys want to ditch again? But I'm up after the match, Sakura protested. Hours, Naruto repeated. I don't know, Sakura trailed off. I was up after Shikamaru's match during the prelims, Sasuke reminded her. And I made it back in time. Yeah, but you're in Uchiha, Sakura pointed out. Everyone wanted to see you in the finals so they weren't about to toss you out of the prelims for being a few hours late. And Niji's the Hyuga's up-and-coming prodigy and they'll want to give him a chance to shine, Sasuke pointed out. Besides, Naruto's right. The fight will take hours. But so will lunch, Sakura replied. I was going to say something about being shocked that Sasuke would actually agree with me, but then I realized that he would just say that it would happen more often if I was right more often so Naruto trailed off. It's kind of pathetic you can have arguments with me in your head, Sasuke said bluntly. And I don't even win them all the time, Naruto said sadly, shaking his head. Fine, let's go, Sakura decided. Kakashi's kind of busy making sure your dad doesn't die, so he can't come, so does that mean it'll just be the three of us? That's no fun, Naruto said, shaking his head. His eyes lit up. Hey, Gaara, want to go grab lunch with us? Gaara blinked slowly. But what about the match? Naruto waved his concerns away. Don't worry. We've done this before. I just need to leave a few shadow clones and then one of them will dispel and let me know when the match is over. It's not really going to be very exciting, I don't think, and the only one of us that will need to rush is Sakura. Alright, Gaara agreed. Where are we going? Ichiraku Ramen, Sasuke and Sakura chorused. Naruto scratched his head. Really? I was actually going to suggest that barbecue place as I was worried you might be getting sick of ramen but if you insist. And so the moral of the story is that you should never, ever under any circumstances ever run off with a snake pedophile who has admitted to wanting your body, Naruto concluded. Tuchi and his daughter Am just stared blankly at him. That's all well and good, Naruto, Tuchi said finally. But what does that have to do with your theory that turning Ichiraku's into a tsukemen shop would destroy the economy? It has everything to do with it. Naruto insisted. Sakura sighed heavily. That's always the moral to all of Naruto's stories, no matter what they might be about. Really? Sasuke asked innocently. This has got to be the first I've heard of this. Too bad, it sounds like good advice. Naruto made a face at him. Bastard. Turning back to Tuchi and Am, he continued seriously, but seriously, don't do it. Or if you do, at least leave your basic miso ramen with roasted pork fillet. Sure thing Naruto, Ayame agreed, eyeing him a little strangely. If I could get that in writing, that would be green Naruto started to say. Sakura whacked him on the head. Their words should be enough. Stop obsessing. Besides, if worst comes to worse you can always manually combine them. I know, Naruto sulked. But it's just so tr. Don't you dare, Sasuke warned. You guys never let me do anything Naruto complained. Gaara looked on with mild confusion. You three are really friends. He sounded skeptical. Not by choice, Sasuke grumbled. They just wouldn't stop following me around and eventually I stopped caring. Why? I had been led to believe that friends acted less. Gaara hesitated, searching for the word. Hostile. Oh, friends do, Naruto assured him. If you don't treat your friends well, they'll probably ditch you as a friend. Or else they have huge self-esteem issues which you'll just make worse. Either way, not the best idea. Best friends are different, though, Sakura said. The three of you along with Kakashi have a lot of history and once that happens the dynamic tends to change. Since you're more comfortable around each other so you can tease each other more without having to worry about the other person getting offended and if someone has a problem or overwhelming obsession, they're kind of expected to open up about it. Right, Sasuke. What? Sorry, Sakura, I'm just still marveling at how brilliant Naruto's moral was and wondering why no one ever told me this before. It might have come in handy, you know, Sasuke told her. I don't understand, Gaara admitted. You will, Naruto assured him. I mean, we're your friends and we've only known you for a little over a month. But why? Gaara pressed. Naruto shrugged. Since when did he ever need a reason to add someone to his friendship collection? Something told him mentioning the existence of said collection probably wouldn't go over very well. Because you're awesome. Although I recommend not following our example in that you don't try to kill any of your friends, Sakura advised. You guys have tried to kill each other? Gaara didn't sound surprised. Yeah, Naruto nodded. Sasuke tried to kill me, and Sakura tried to kill Sasuke. And Naruto tried to kill Sakura, Sasuke added. I'm kind of surprised he bothered because it's not like she was a threat when she came after me. That was an accident. Naruto protested. You still made me cry, Sakura declared, crossing her arms. Oh come on, you cried all the time back then, Naruto pointed out. If Sasuke had been crying real tears, not of that creepy tears of blood stuff, then that might have gotten to me. Although I can't promise I wouldn't have found it hilarious to look back on. Why cry real tears when you can make it extra dramatic by making them tears of blood? Sasuke asked rhetorically. So you don't mess up your eyesight. Naruto decided to answer it anyway. I did not cry all the time. Sakura objected. Only when something really awful and traumatic happened. Which was all the time back then, Naruto reminded her. He turned to Gaara. But don't worry, we're mostly past all that now. Mostly? Gaara repeated. In my defense, I have Sasuke on my team, Naruto replied. The same for me but with Naruto, Sasuke said. And he wears orange. And I have to put up with that, Sakura said, gesturing to the two glaring boys. Naruto jerked suddenly. Sakura. It's time. What? I knew I wouldn't make it in time. Sakura said, as she jumped up. You could have left at any time, Sasuke pointed out. And leave you two alone with poor impressionable Gaara. Sakura demanded. Not on your life. Try not to lose before we get there, would you? Sasuke requested. Sakura's only response was to slam the door behind her. Gaara blinked at that. Konoha, isn't it normal? I know, isn't it great? Naruto grinned. Should we get going, too? Sasuke asked. Hey, we'll get there when we get there, Naruto said dismissively. He waved Ayame back. Can I get another bowl? Kakashi couldn't remember the last time he was so grateful for Jiraiya's books. Shikamaru's match had lasted for over 4 hours. And strangely enough, his kids weren't back from their lunch yet. On the other hand, maybe it wasn't so strange considering that Naruto was at a ramen bar. And Gaara went too, and Kakashi really didn't have the faith in that boy's sanity that Naruto apparently did, so it was always a possibility that he snapped and tried to kill them all. He really hoped that wouldn't be the case as that would lead to some inevitable delays, some paperwork on his part, and he'd be stuck there for hours upon end. Oh, and he would be quite put out if his team died, of course, but they could take care of themselves just fine. Probably. At least against Gaara as they'd already beaten him once that day, in fact, exactly one timeline ago. Well, that was certainly something, Minato said, trying to be excited. Shikamaru had a brilliant strategy and Temari certainly had some nice moves there. Temari was led around for the entire match by a boy who barely moved an inch and looked like he was asleep half the time, the Kazekage countered. I'm lucky that boy is a certified genius or Suna would have been even more embarrassed. Still, it was a sight better than how Kankuro did against a Hyuga prodigy. Naruto proved it would be rather difficult to do worse. And at least she's moving on, right? Kakashi pointed out. If I remember correctly, she'll be fighting Naruto next round, and God knows that boy is far too hyperactive to sit still for 5 minutes in a fight, let alone 240. There is that, I suppose, the Kazekage agreed. He brightened. Oh, and it will be my child against yours, Hokage-sama. Minato raised his eyebrows. Indeed. That should be an interesting matchup. Having temporarily been in the Hokage seat himself, Kakashi realized that that was just cage speech for eternal bragging rights. That was not going to be a fun match either. Sakura rushed down to the arena floor to the sounds of Ino berating Shikamaru. Seriously, what part of I must have vengeance did you not understand? She demanded. I'm sorry, Ino, but I thought you were talking about Sasuke. Or were Sasuke with your subject matter? Either way, I assumed Sasuke was somehow involved and quickly stopped caring, Shikamaru semi-apologized. But you beat her. You had her frozen and could have made her surrender. Ino cried. Why the hell didn't you? I was out of chakra, Shikamaru explained. As I explained when I surrendered. Or am I not the only one guilty of not listening on this team? Out of chakra? Ino sputtered. You had enough to trap her while you were explaining your convoluted plan and needlessly surrendering. If you had chakra for that, you had chakra to make her forfeit or knock herself out or something. Maybe, Shikamaru allowed. But I wouldn't have any for the next fight. But if you won, you'd stand a better chance of getting promoted, Ino reminded him. That's great, Ino, except I don't want to be here in the first place, don't want to fight a second round, definitely don't want to fight someone as troublesome as Naruto, and the only reason I could see for being promoted is not having to go through an exam like this again, Shikamaru countered. Besides, Temari spoke up. Real Kunoichi fight their own battles. Finish growing up and then challenge me to a rematch or something if you're that desperate. I will. Ino vowed. I have a new goal in life. You know, Temari said idly, it's times like these that I understand why Kankuro hates kids so much. Sorry I'm late, Sakura said as she finally made her way over to her opponent. Finally, Niji said, sounding extremely irritated. You were in the bathroom for 25 minutes. What could possibly be taking so long? Okay, 2 things. 1. Get used to it because people often spend a ridiculous amount of time in restrooms. 2. I'm a pubescent girl, why the hell would you ask me that? Sakura demanded. Kid's got a point, Obito said. You are really better off not asking. Anyway, let the hopefully more mobile 4th match between Hyuga Niji and Haruno Sakura begin. You are going to lose this match, Niji informed her matter-of-factly. You don't know that, Sakura argued. We haven't even started fighting yet. And yet the outcome is predetermined, Niji insisted. Sakura groaned. Not more of this fate crap. There is nothing wrong in accepting that some things are inevitable. For instance, you have pink hair and will never be a chakra powerhouse. I am a Hyuga branch member and a prodigy. These are things about us that we cannot change. I have no problem fighting a girl, but facing someone as weak as you, well, it would simply be embarrassing for us both. Save yourself the pain and humiliation your friend Ino suffered and just quit now. God knows her loss has led her to seek vengeance. Unlike Temari, I don't live 3 days away and would actually be greatly inconvenienced if you were to regularly start challenging me to honor matches or whatever such nonsense that you think might make you feel better of yourself. Sakura decided that this would be a lot less trying if he got it all out at the beginning, instead of stopping every 5 seconds to deliver a speech about why he thought she sucked. She glanced to the upper left at the balcony where the other finalists were waiting. Sure, it looked like Naruto and Sasuke were there, but she knew they couldn't be back yet or Naruto would start giving a speech of his own. Since Niji still wasn't finished, she allowed her eyes to wander to the lower right before scanning the crowd. Her parents still hadn't committed to either being at the exam or missing it, and it would have been kind of nice to know. Maybe after the fight she could ask Niji to check for her if he was done being a fatalist. You can't fool my eyes, Niji said a little louder, perhaps able to see she wasn't listening. Against my pressure just now you floated your eyes to the upper left. This is a sign that you are remembering your past experiences. Your painful past. Yes, you can tell which direction I'm looking. Truly the power of the Byakugan is great, Sakura said sarcastically. And I was actually just looking for my friends. But tell me. What do you know about my past that would make it painful? My tragically large forehead. Because looking back, it really wasn't all that noticeable and I grew into it. Besides, even if I didn't, I have better things to worry about and a forehead protector to boot. In favor of staying on topic and continuing his psychological assault on the pink-haired girl, Niji went on as if he hadn't heard her. And after that you look to the lower right. That's a sign that you are imagining physical and mental pain. Basically, you are thinking about yourself. And from all the experience until now you are imagining the results of this match. Imaging that you'll lose. Sakura snorted. Please. Like I need to imagine me losing. My teammates have already been doing quite a nice job of that for the past month. I believe in you, Kakashi called down. Not by choice, I'm sure, Sakura called back. Does it matter? It's more than you're getting from Naruto or Sasuke, Kakashi pointed out. See? Not even your own team believes in you, Neji drawled. That's kind of pathetic. What's pathetic is how much my team sucks, Sakura countered. And say fate does exist and is not just an easy justification for the way things turned out after the fact. How in the world do you know what my fate is? Are you claiming to be able to see the future now? Hardly, Neji scoffed. That's the kind of thing that Sharingan users do. I feel so discriminated against, Kakashi sighed. Itachi shot him a strange look. For what? You're not an Uchiha and you don't have a Sharingan. By proxy, Kakashi hurriedly explained, for Obito and Sasuke who are either busy being professional or aren't here to get outraged. Obito is not liable to care, Itachi noted. Though Sasuke might swear vengeance. Some fights I believe I will win but I'm not certain about. Sasuke, Naruto, and Gaara are all very powerful and don't necessarily have to let me within range for my gentle fist style to work. Lee, though a failure at most aspects of being a shinobi, is a master at Taijutsu and closing off his chakra wouldn't affect him as badly as it would most. Even Temari could conceivably use her fan to keep me out of striking range. You? Neji said dismissively. You're a pink-haired civilian who got through on the strength of her teammates' powers and because Hinata-sama still has a long way to go before being anywhere near her full potential. I can't exactly help the hair, you know, Sakura huffed. I know, Neji nodded solemnly. It is fate. Or genetics, Sakura countered. God, I feel like you're going to accuse me of being a witch next. And I feel like this match is going nowhere. Somebody do something before I'm forced to take drastic measures, Obito threatened. Fine, Neji grumbled. But after I beat you I'm going to haunt your hospital room until I finish explaining just how and why you'll never amount to anything. Sakura shuddered. This just got serious. Neji came at her quickly from the start and Sakura had never been so grateful to have learned to predict and avoid an enemy's attack during her tenure as Tsunade's personal punching bag. Fortunately, Neji was almost impossibly arrogant and all he'd seen of her was her basic Taijutsu-only fight with Hinata, in which she hadn't even used her monster strength. One clean hit from her ought to be enough to take down Neji, but then, if Neji managed to block up her chakra, then she would be out of options due to her lack of a readily available second chakra source, like Naruto had relied on. While she was fairly certain Neji could use all those upper-level main house Hyuga techniques he wasn't supposed to know already, she also knew he wouldn't waste them on someone he'd just referred to as a civilian. Of course, the odds of her landing a really good hit on him weren't very high, so a couple of not-so-good ones might have to suffice. Sakura jumped back a few feet, annoyed. In 5 minutes of exchanging blows, Neji had managed to seal up half of the chakra points in her left arm. Just lovely. He threw a kunai at her, which she lazily caught and tossed back. He really wasn't taking her seriously, was he? At least he'd shut up about fate, though. You see? We've barely started and already you've shown that you are no match for me, Neji said, proving she'd spoken too soon. Still, at least it wasn't as bad as when he'd whined to Naruto about how he could never understand having an ostracizing symbol. Ostracizing? Like anyone outside of the Hyuga even cared about that stupid seal. Plus his attempt to kill the most progressive heiress the Hyuga had likely ever had was also kind of counterproductive. It had kind of confused her at the time, but looking back she really didn't begrudge Naruto his maniacal laughter at that. You've yet to even land a hit. Not that it would matter. We'll just see about that, Sakura growled, charging at him with her right fist pulled back. Neji raised his right arm almost casually to block her strike. Sakura had to admit, the look on his face when her punch broke his arm was priceless and almost made up for his monologuing. It didn't nearly make up for his threat of further monologues post-match though. What did you do? He demanded. I broke your arm, she said innocently. What did it feel like? Neji's eyes narrowed. Looks like she just pissed him off. Good. Don't you think we should be heading back soon? Sasuke asked. Why should we? Naruto asked, downing yet another bowl of ramen. Gaara had decided to head back shortly after Sakura, but Naruto hadn't finished his third helping of everything on the menu yet. Well, Sakura's match can't possibly take that long, and I'm up after her, Sasuke replied. So? I still have my Sasuke clone and my Naruto clone in place, so when the match is over, I'll let you know, Naruto promised. That's great, but I was already late to my prelim match and I don't want to be late again, Sasuke told him. After all, that's what really killed me my first time through. Sasuke, there's a difference between being 5 or 10 minutes late and not showing up for hours on end, forcing all of the matches to be rearranged and still almost being too late to compete, Naruto pointed out. But last time I was supposed to be the second match and this time I'm the fifth. Before Temari and Shikamaru and who else made the finals anyway? Sasuke wondered. Shino and Kankuro, Naruto answered. But Puppet Boy forfeited so that didn't buy you any time. Shikamaru's match bought me every last minute, I'm sure, Sasuke agreed. And the fact that you only got to fight for 5 minutes or so and were showing increasing signs of instability can't have helped your cause either, Naruto reminded him. That seal was not my fault, Sasuke insisted. You still had it and you still were kind of publicizing the fact that you had issues, even if you didn't feel the need to go into them. Naruto paused. Well, not until your monologue at the Valley of the End. Oh, you cannot complain about that. You wanted to know. Sasuke claimed. I really didn't, Naruto disagreed. I just wanted to know why you were leaving. And I told you, Sasuke said, crossing his arms irritably. And you couldn't have done that without telling me your whole life story. Naruto demanded. Can anyone? Sasuke challenged. That's the philosophy you base your whole therapy jutsu shtick on, isn't it? Point. We'll head back when I'm done with this bowl. If it weren't for the fact that Neji was fighting one-handed, his increased viciousness would probably mean it was over for Sakura. Then again, if it hadn't been for the fact that she'd pulverized his hand, he wouldn't be that pissed, now would he? Tragically, Neji had managed to seal up several chakra points in her right arm, too, so lethal punches were out. That didn't mean that she was helpless as far as defensive to jutsu by any means and, in fact, kind of a blessing in disguise, as she no longer had to worry about him landing blows on her arms since he'd done so several times already. If he managed to get past her defenses and attack her organs, then she'd be in trouble, so her arms would be taking as many hits as she needed them to. Even if he was taking her seriously now, most of his heavy hitters required 2 hands, so even if she couldn't use chakra through her hands, she wasn't in too bad of a shape there. A break in Neji's defense and she took it. Sakura aimed a chakra-infused kick to Neji's stomach and was pleased to hear several ribs cracking. Neji stayed down for a moment, then struggled to his feet. He seemed to be having difficulty breathing. Can you continue? Obito asked. Neji looked down speculatively for a moment before shaking his head. It's no good. My lungs punctured, he said slowly. I don't. How could you? In a straight-up match, I probably couldn't yet, Sakura admitted. I have a long way to go to get up to where I feel I should be. Just the same, today was a perfect opportunity to have a straight-up match, but you didn't take it. You underestimated me because you saw my pink hair and my lack of a ninja clan and assumed that I don't take this seriously. I do. If you want to get to know people, get to know me, and then make your judgments, feel free. To do so before and to insist that you know people's destiny, it's arrogant beyond belief and could very well be wrong. You should have won today. Think about why you didn't. I don't think I've ever been more shocked in my life, Kakashi said. Well, there was that one time I found that scroll and talked my team into going back, this is somehow still more shocking. So this turn of events is surprising? The Kazekage inquired. Less than half a year ago she was a fangirl who graduated on the strength of her written exam, Kakashi explained. I see, the Kazekage said. That's quite a turnaround. You must be a very gifted teacher. It sure seems that way, doesn't it? Kakashi asked cheerfully. Why would it only seem that way? Itachi asked. I didn't say it only seemed that way, Kakashi lied. Then why say it seemed that way instead of it's true? Itachi pressed. Because I was trying to be modest. Kakashi suggested. I don't know. Stop nitpicking. Training under Tsunade for the past month definitely helped, Minato noted. She's always been demanding but a good teacher. Oh? The Kazekage asked. That girl was working with Tsunade. I thought I recognized those attacks. Channeling chakra through her punches and kicks. It must have been a race against time as that boy could seal up her chakra. Indeed, Sakura had a definite point about that match, though, Minato agreed. Neji was controlling most of the match, and Sakura only got 2 hits in, but she made them count. Taking into account how easily he took out Kankuro, I'd have to say that the match would very well have gone in Neji's favor had he taken her seriously. Well, using your best moves from the start isn't always wise, goading her like that obviously has some unresolved issues to work out. There is a certain appeal to stopping in the middle of a fight to taunt your opponents on all their failings and your own genius, the Kazekage mused aloud. But just the same, it won't do to underestimate them, and there is a time and place for everything, and the middle of the Chunin exam is certainly not it. I just love it how none of the rules we teach our genin ever apply once they grow up and start fending for themselves, Kakashi sighed. Once they get to a certain level, they more or less know how to keep themselves alive and finish their missions, so they deserve a little leeway, Minato declared. Whereas if we didn't have these rules in place, all of the genin would get themselves killed soon after graduation, and that would be a disaster. I know, the Kazekage concurred. Think of all the paperwork. And the poor innocent dead children, right? Minato prompted. The Kazekage looked startled. What? Right. Dead children means you need replacements, and training them can be very time-consuming. And people say Kano has the strange one, Minato said, shaking his head in bemusement. Given how little the other nation seems to care about their shinobi, we kind of are, Kakashi pointed out. It's not all bad, though, as we can pretty much do whatever we feel like, and as long as we don't proudly announce it, we still easily retain our title of the nice one. It's a good thing you have increased your security, Hokage-sama, Itachi told him. Why's that? Minato asked. Because aside from Kakashi, the only one who bet on Sakura was Tsunadeheim, Itachi replied. Minato and Kakashi exchanged horrified looks, and even the Kazukiage looked a bit freaked out. I'm telling you, we're not late, Naruto insisted as he finally made his way towards the arena. Otherwise at the very least my Sasuke clone would have dispersed and let me know. Maybe something happened. Sasuke suggested. Because I really don't see Sakura being able to hold Neji off for this long. Maybe he started monologuing again, Naruto offered. Sasuke stared at him. Monologuing? Are you serious? Naruto nodded. He used to be pretty bad with those. He nearly gave Hinata a nervous breakdown during the prelims and then made sure to give me his life story during the finals right before insisting I could never understand what it's like to be an outcast. Sasuke snorted. You? An outcast? Perish the thought. And in this timeline, he'd be right, Naruto said. Still, it is rather strange he was one of maybe 5 people who didn't know who I was before meeting me. Then again, I suppose people my age often miss the adults going around complaining about me every time anything ever went wrong in their lives. No, they just referred to you as the fox brat and no one who didn't know about the Kyuubi had any idea who they were talking about, Sasuke clarified. Oh, Naruto blinked. That was one way to get around that don't talk about the Kyuubi edict, I suppose. But seriously, Neji's monologuing was practically infamous after the exams. You sure you don't remember? Naruto, Sasuke said patiently. After my prelim fight I went through a sealing ritual and was unconscious and I didn't show up at the finals until my fight. After the invasion I was busy dealing with the aftermath and our lack of a Hokage and then I was comatose until I left. By the time I got back, Neji was clearly over monologuing, so how could I possibly be expected to know this? It's your fault for leaving in the first place, Naruto sniffed. Sasuke rolled his eyes. That may have been the least convincing reason for me to stay I've ever heard. Naruto looked sheepish. Yeah, well trust me, the fight could very well not have even started yet the way Neji can carry on. They were walking past the stands and towards the balcony where they were supposed to be when they were stopped by a woman with pink hair. Pardon me, she said. But you're Sakura's teammates, right? Ichiha Sasuke and Namikaze Naruto. That's us, Sasuke confirmed. Are you a relative of hers? I am her mother, Haruno Momoko, and this is my husband, Kaisuke Momoko introduced, gesturing to a man standing to her left. We've heard a lot about you, Kaisuke told them. Nothing illegal, I hope, Naruto said, half serious. No, Momoko laughed, clearly thinking he was joking. And all good aside from something about a ramen obsession and an obsessive vengeance streak. Hey, I don't even believe in vengeance. Naruto objected. And I don't even really like ramen, Sasuke added. Momoko shrugged. Well, I don't know what to tell you. We wanted to thank you for helping Sakura out these past few months, Kaisuke told them. We've never had a ninja in the family and you are both from shinobi clans. Sakura's wanted to be a ninja ever since she met the little Yamanaka girl, Ino, but we really didn't know what that involved and we were worried that she would be in over her head and would get hurt. Now, Fano she's apparently facing off against prodigies and training under legendary medics. For whatever part you have played in helping our daughter get to this point, we thank you, Momoko said sincerely. Don't worry about it, Naruto said a little awkwardly. Whatever part they played. Making her feel useless, abandoning her for Odo and then the Akatsuki, or leaving on a 3-year training trip somehow, he doubted that was what Sakura's parents expected their roles to be. We were glad to help a talented girl like Sakura reach her potential, Sasuke said diplomatically. I'm up next, though, so. Oh, of course, Momoko said. Tell our daughter congratulations for making it this far and we're proud of her, would you? I guess the match is over then, Naruto mused. It's a shame she lost before we could see her fight Buto. Naruto blinked as his clones dispelled and he absorbed the memories of the fight. Sasuke, Sakura actually. Not now, Sasuke said impatiently. I've got to get up there so I can get called down for my fight. About time you guys showed up, Sakura said once they reached the balcony. Did you see any of my fight at all? It's not my fault that Naruto wouldn't stop eating or that you couldn't hold Neji off long enough for us to get here, Sasuke insisted. Or, I suppose, start a monologuing. Naruto was sure that would buy enough time. Well, it was taking a while, Sakura admitted. But then Obito threatened to take drastic measures if we didn't just hurry up and fight. Your parents said congrats and that they're proud of you, Naruto told her. Although I don't get why you told her I was obsessed with vengeance and Sasuke was obsessed with ramen. Oh, so my parents decided to show up after all. Sakura asked, delighted. Excellent. Beauty never said that. Your parents told us you did, Sasuke countered. I said Naruto was the ramen freak and Sasuke had revenge issues, Sakura clarified. Oh, Naruto said. That would make more sense, then. I can see how they'd be proud of you for making it to the finals, but as to why they'd congratulate you for listening, maybe you did well enough you'll get promoted anyway. Sasuke guessed. You'd better have, because if you're the reason I have to discover the springtime of youth then I swear. I didn't lose, Sakura told him. Sasuke blinked. What do you mean you didn't lose? I mean I won, Sakura replied. Is that really so hard to believe? Sasuke shook his head sadly. Poor Sakura must have been so utterly crushed she's become delusional. Oh, that is so it. Someone, hand me something sharp, Sakura ordered. I'm kind of disturbed that this team's turning out to be more homicidal than ours, Temari confessed. And that they're apparently giving Gaara friendship lessons. Fortunately for Sasuke and Sakura's MSR, which would surely suffer from attacking a teammate seemingly out of the blue, his match was up next and he quickly made his way down to the arena. I've been waiting for this match, Kiba announced. Ever since. Yeah, I don't care, Sasuke cut him off. I just want to fight Naruto. And Gaara will probably be a fun opponent as well. But mostly Naruto. Oh, so you have faith that he'll win his next match, Sakura called down irritably. Sasuke nodded. Of course. Nothing against Temari or anything, but Naruto is my epic rival. I have to have faith in him because if he sucks that reflects poorly on me. That's why I didn't want Konohamaru to declare me his epic rival, Naruto agreed. Well said, and he had a tendency to very noticeably stalk me and is only 8. It also looks bad if your epic rival is in their first year at the academy. Although I did kind of suck when our epic rivalry started. Sasuke shrugged. What can I say? I looked underneath the underneath. I have seriously got to look into getting that phrase trademarked, Kakashi decided. You guys are so stupid, Sakura complained. Hey, it's not like you don't have an epic rivalry going on with Ino, Naruto pointed out. I think she's more focused on Temari right now, to be honest, Sakura replied. Well, I'll be leaving soon enough and you're welcome to her, Temari said. Seriously, I really don't need her obsessing over me. It's not like our rivalry is even the same since it started off a bit more boy-focused than yours did, Sakura added. I should think so, Sasuke concurred. Seeing as how neither Naruto nor I like boys. At that point, Kiba burst out laughing. Did what I said amuse you? Sasuke asked coldly. Wow, that just didn't mind me, the absurdity of what you just said was too much for me, Kiba informed him after his laughter had subsided to the point where he could speak again. You're going out of your way to provoke me, Sasuke noted. Why? Because it amuses me, Kiba answered. Plus it's almost as easy to do as provoking Naruto, but twice as amusing and good practice for when we're related someday. That day will never happen, Sasuke insisted. Keep telling yourself that, Sasuke, Kiba said patronizingly. Because if I understand the situation correctly then. Can you just start the match already? Sasuke interrupted, turning to Obito. But additions to our family is really something that I need to know, Obito protested. But now is not the time. Sasuke exclaimed. Obito sighed. Fine, begin. After what happened with Shino and his poor bugs, normally I would have some reservations about using Akamaru, but since I have your word you won't do something lame like threaten to kill him if I don't surrender, I'm going to go right ahead with my original plan. Let's go, Akamaru. Kiba ordered. I don't want your surrender, Sasuke told him, activating his Sharingan. I want to knock you unconscious. As Kiba and Akamaru ran toward Sasuke, Kiba took out a smoke bomb and tossed it ahead of him. Your Sharingan won't do you much good if you can't see. He gloated. Some good is better than no good, Sasuke replied. He saw Akamaru coming literally a split second before the dog would have made contact and reached up to grab him. Stepping out of the smoke, Sasuke held up his prize. That was careless of you, Kiba. What are you going to do with him? Kiba demanded. Kill him. You swore you wouldn't. Sasuke rolled his eyes. For God's sake, I'm a ninja and not the Naruto kind. Why on earth would you take me at my word? But as it happens, I don't intend to kill him. Then what are you going to do? Kiba pressed, a tiny bit of fear leaking into his voice. Manjikyu Sharingan, Sasuke said by way of explanation. He turned the puppy around until they had eye contact. Tsukiyomi. Immediately, Akamaru went limp in Sasuke's arms. Akamaru. Kiba cried out. What did you do to him? You know, Sasuke, Sakura called down. Using the Tsukiyomi might not be actually killing him, but torturing puppies really isn't all that better in the eyes of the fangirls. Like I care, Sasuke shot back. Or the MSR, Naruto piped up. I didn't torture him, Sasuke insisted. So you're saying you didn't trap him in an illusionary world of your own creation for what seemed like 3 days to him? Naruto asked innocently. Oh no, I did, Sasuke confirmed. I just sent him to a world with plenty of cats it can run around with. Demon cat clones of Tora, perhaps, that would probably be chasing him instead of vice versa, but nobody really had to know that, now did they? Here, catch, he said, tossing Akamaru's limp form at his partner. Don't you think you're kind of overusing that? Sakura asked. I mean, using it on Orochimaru was one thing. And I could even sort of understand when you used it on that cat, but Akamaru, too. If I had to deal with the circumstances involved in obtaining it, then I see no reason not to use it every chance I get, Sasuke disagreed. And you do use it every chance you get, Naruto agreed. If he has any psychological scarring from this and needs therapy, I'm totally sending the bill to you, Kiba threatened, catching the flying puppy. Is there anywhere I can put him until the end of the match? Just put him off to the side and hope that area of the wall doesn't suffer any damage in the course of the match, Obito advised. Sasuke blinked in confusion. There's dog therapy? Of course, Kiba sounded surprised that he didn't already know this. Especially Ninken since they have to deal with the same kind of traumatizing experiences that ninja do. We don't even have therapists for people, but we have them for pets. Sasuke couldn't believe it. Of course we have people therapists, Kiba exclaimed. Of course, they're civilians so not many ninja go because a lot of information is classified, the therapist wouldn't understand, and they just don't want to traumatize a civilian with the reason they need therapy. Why did no one see fit to mention this to me a few years ago when I really could have used it? Sasuke demanded. Plan policy was Uchiha are above such plebeian things as therapy, Obito offered. Don't worry, Sasuke, I'm as pissed as you are that nobody mentioned that, Naruto assured him. Because seriously this are 4 years of my life that I can't get back. Well, not through any sane method, at least. Like he's really one to judge sanity, Kakashi muttered. Or me for that matter. Or anyone really who doesn't suck at being a ninja. I'm perfectly sane. Minato protested. You had a demon sealed in your son, the Kazekage reminded him. And while I did the exact same thing and think it is a wonderful if unstable source of great power, I also fully acknowledge that is not sane behavior. I had no choice. Minato insisted. The village was under attack. The Konoha always does have their excuses, the Kazekage said pleasantly. You know, I really did not expect Sasuke to be using such a powerful genjutsu on a puppy in a Chunin exam match, Itachi mused. I don't think I've ever used it for something that frivolous. Yes, but Sasuke has issues, Kakashi pointed out. And technically 12. That reminds me. Do you think Sasuke's right and we should have taken him to therapy? Itachi wondered. Granted it went against our long-standing policy, but since everyone was dead, that really didn't necessarily mean anything. Kakashi thought about it. Well, it might have helped, but he never would have agreed. After all, since he knows about the possibility now there is nothing stopping him from going to seek it after the exam, but I'll bet you anything that he won't. Now he's a ninja, Itachi pointed out. And Kiba does have a point about ninja having a difficult time with therapists. Only when it's about ninja matters and losing family members really doesn't have to be a ninja matter, Kakashi told him. Under the circumstances, it really was, Itachi countered. If nothing else he could probably benefit from some nice civilian-friendly therapy on dealing with changes in one's family, as he really seemed to take the idea of being even indirectly related to Kiba poorly, Kakashi suggested. Do you think he's really that upset about the prospect? Itachi asked, concerned. Hana and I are a little on the young side to be getting married, but we have been dating for the past few years, so that is a very real possibility. I wouldn't want to do anything to seriously upset Sasuke, though. Sasuke doesn't like to be teased, and Kiba seems to take great pleasure in doing just that. Don't worry, though, he'll be fine if you do, Kakashi assured him. Although you may want to make sure you don't leave them in a room alone together, or there will probably be blood. It is a pain to get out of furniture, Itachi noted. Not to mention the flooring. I swear to you, Sasuke, I will get vengeance for Akamaru's coma. Kiba declared dramatically. He's not in a coma. Just have Tsunade look at him and he'll be fine, Sasuke said dismissively. But you know we don't think I've ever had someone swear vengeance on me before. What about those people from Kumo? Sakura asked. Sasuke blinked. What people from Kumo? What people from Naruto broke off. Honestly, Sasuke, how can you not know who they were? They were pissed that they thought you kidnapped their master and I had to let them beat me up. Well, I wasn't there at the time, obviously, but I strongly suspect that just happened because you were being a noble idiot, Sasuke hypothesized. It's true, he was, Sakura agreed. And I would also like to just clear up for everyone that Sasuke did not, in fact, kidnap anyone, and it was all just a misunderstanding. You know, when my team goes on missions, we might have to deal with an unexpected attacker too, but at least it's pretty straightforward. Have you guys ever had a straightforward mission? Kiba asked, popping a pill into his mouth. Sasuke didn't even have to think about it. No, never. I think that might be saying something about you people, right there, Kiba suggested. Shikyaku no Jutsu. The boy dropped to all fours and a feral look came to his face as his eyes narrowed and he started snarling. Is he taking stimulants? Sasuke demanded. Obito shook his head. No, it's a soldier pill. They tend to have an interesting effect on Inyazuka. You don't say, Sasuke said dryly. He quickly moved back a few feet as Kiba jumped at the wall and then lunged at him. Good thing, too, as when Kiba landed the floor shook and debris went flying. Kiba didn't even pause as he immediately went after him again. As Sasuke continued to dodge, he tried to remember if he'd ever really seen Kiba fight before. He had faced that Odo girl in the preliminaries, but he had Akamaru with him and hadn't resorted to a soldier pill against her, so that really wouldn't give him a very good idea what to expect. Damn, this isn't working, Kiba complained. Ska. With that, Kiba began spinning so fast he resembled a tornado and headed straight for Sasuke. Sasuke was able to dodge most of them, but one blow still made it through. You hit hard, he complimented. You think? Kiba grinned. Indeed, Sasuke confirmed. Too bad that you're, what, 1 for 20. Kiba narrowed his eyes. Say that again, I dare you. I think you'll find that I don't need to as you are already well aware of your difficulty in hitting me, Sasuke said calmly. Kiba leapt in the air to try his Tsuka again, but Sasuke smirked and said, and now it's my turn. Cage Bime. With that, he launched Kiba even higher into the air with a swift upper kick. Sasuke then jumped up above Kiba and began raining blows down upon him. Shishi Renden. He said as he finished by throwing Kiba to the ground and kicking him in the chest. Hands out, Obito announced, so Sasuke wins. Seriously, all these head injuries will we be concerned about all the brain damage the next generation of ninjas are incurring? Sasuke shrugged. I wouldn't. If it's not brain damage, it's massive emotional trauma. None of us are well adjusted. Except possibly Tenten, but I don't know nearly enough about her to be sure. And that concludes the first round of the Chunin exam finals, Obito announced to the crowd at large. There will be a 15-minute intermission before the next round of fights start. Just to remind everyone, Gaara has a bye this round, Naruto is fighting Temari, and Sakura is fighting Sasuke. Hurry up and place your bets because unless Naruto decides to match his teammates and show up late, we will be starting on time. Once Sasuke made his way back to the balcony, he, Naruto, and Sakura immediately moved to the far end so as not to have to censor their conversation. This is so weird, Naruto murmured. We're actually going on to the second round. I'm concerned. Do you think anything has changed? Sakura snorted. Everything has changed. As for what Uraskingi don't know. Try not to completely exhaust yourself or end up unconscious just in case, though. I make no promises when I get to Naruto, Sasuke said. We don't get to fight nearly enough. You guys fight every day. Sakura objected. That's sparring, Sakura, Naruto corrected her. There's a difference. Who the hell uses A-class jutsu during a spar? Sakura demanded. We do, obviously, Sasuke replied, somewhat condescendingly. I still have that kunai Kiba gave me, you know, Sakura warned him. All the awesome people use dangerous and potentially lethal jutsu in friendly spars, Naruto explained. But hey, at least we check to see if anyone else is around before we start. Well, usually. Sometimes. When we remember. I think we checked once, Sasuke remarked. And no one was there, Naruto announced. You guys are going to end up killing someone someday, Sakura said, shaking her head ruefully. Sakura. Hate to break it to you, but we're ninja. Killing people is what we do, Naruto pointed out. Well, when we're not saving them from themselves. But you're not supposed to be killing random people who happen to walk by you two sparring. Sakura protested. I have 2 really tough matches ahead of me, Sasuke mused. And I'm telling you now, Naruto. If you lose to Temari, I'm firing you as my rival and hiring her instead. The fact she's 3 days away is a bit of a problem, but me living in Odo or just outright traveling never hurt our rivalry, so that shouldn't be a problem. Although I'd have to do something about Ino as I refuse to share a rival with her. How can you fire me as your rival? Naruto demanded. You're not exactly paying me. I buy you ramen, Sasuke pointed out. And given how much you eat, I think that's more than generous, especially as you profit from our rivalry as well. Point, Naruto conceded. Wait, Sakura said slowly. What do you mean you only have 2 difficult matches coming up? You're the only one without a bye and you're facing me, Gaara, and then Naruto should you win your first 2. Yeah, but even though Gaara and Naruto are worthy adversaries, I'm also fighting you, Sasuke pointed out reasonably. Or so he thought, anyway. What part of I just kicked Niji's ass makes you think I'll be that easy to take down? Sakura demanded. I wasn't actually there for that fight, Sasuke reminded her. And unlike Naruto, I didn't leave a kage bunshin behind to give me the memories of the fight. For all I know, Niji got all pissy that he couldn't finish those monologues he's apparently so fond of and quit. Your death will be slow and painful, Sakura promised. Probably, Sasuke agreed. But God knows it won't be at your hand. Sensing Sakura's darkening mood, Naruto wisely grabbed Sakura's hand and started dragging her off towards the medical area. Come on, let's go visit Neji. I can evaluate how well your therapy jutsu worked, and after what he said about stalking your hospital room, seeing you will probably give him a panic attack. Yo, Kakashi greeted as he appeared beside Sasuke in a whirl of leaves. Couldn't you just walk here like a normal person? Sasuke demanded. Now there are leaves everywhere. If they bother you that much, just ask Temari to blow them away for you, Kakashi said dismissively. And to answer your question. No, I can't. Sasuke waited for some elaboration, but it seemed like Kakashi wasn't willing to offer any. No, you can't because. He prompted. Because I'm not a normal person, Kakashi replied promptly. I hear that, Sasuke muttered. And because walking would have wasted valuable talking to my minions time or reading itchy time, Kakashi added. Speaking of, where are Sakura and Naruto? They went to go visit Neji in the medical area, Sasuke answered. Or at least that's what they said they were doing. Who even knows if that's where they really are? So, haunting his bedside, huh? Kakashi mused, rubbing his chin. I have taught them well. Sure, Sasuke said. And you have no idea just how surreal it is to hear people genuinely believe that. Well, when the students are amazing, the teacher looks incredible by default, Kakashi explained. Yeah, except you're the kind of teacher who thought we were good to go against people like Lee, Neji, Temari, and Gaara after having only ever taught us one thing, Sasuke pointed out. I had complete faith in you, Kakashi insisted. The only skills we had that we didn't have when we graduated, well, except for Naruto having the ability to use chakra properly, which he really should have had when he graduated, was the ability to climb trees. How did that make you think, oh, they're ready to be Chunin's? Sasuke wondered. The second stage did take place in a forest, Kakashi noted. I've said it before and I'll say it again. There is a reason I left, Sasuke said, shaking his head in annoyance. I know, Kakashi agreed pleasantly. I just thought that reason was Naruto's status as competent was giving you an inferiority complex. Okay, I feel sufficiently talked to, why don't you go bother Naruto and Sakura now? Sasuke suggested. I couldn't possibly do that. Kakashi sounded shocked at the very idea. They're visiting a friend in his time of need and to interrupt would just be rude. He paused. Not to mention Guy will probably be there. But tell me. Why didn't you go with them? Because I don't really care about Neji's minor probably healed by Tsunade by now injuries, Sasuke replied. I figured that, Kakashi said, rolling his eyes. But why didn't Naruto and Sakura drag you along? Sasuke shrugged. Probably because Naruto was too busy dragging Sakura. Sakura didn't want to go? Kakashi asked, surprised. That doesn't sound like her. Besides, she'll want to tell Tsunade that she won. Against all odds. Apparently Sakura's mad at me, Sasuke revealed. And Naruto wanted to give her a chance to cool down or something like that. Why in the world is Sakura mad at you? Kakashi questioned. I mean, it's not like you're still on her about being useless, right? Sasuke said nothing. Seriously? Kakashi asked. You know she beat Neji. Hearsay, Sasuke claimed. All I heard was that she's my next opponent and Neji got medical attention. You know she's not, Kakashi pointed out. So why are you saying otherwise? I may know that, Sasuke allowed, but fighting people when they're all worked up tends to make the fight more interesting. Besides, something tells me that once I actually do see her in action, I'll have to drop the pretending to think she sucks thing, and so I'm trying to milk it for all it's worth while I can. Kakashi snorted. That you did. And then you went out, fed it a soldier pill, and started the process all over again. Sasuke smirked. Details. You know, I appreciate your attempts to keep the peace until the match, but I don't think it will do much good, Sakura told Naruto as they made their way towards Tsunade's domain. And why's that? An hour from now you'll either be fighting or your match will be over, Naruto predicted. True, but with Kakashi up in the Hokage box Sasuke and I will be alone together while you're fighting Temari, Sakura informed him. You won't be alone, Naruto assured her. I don't think Shikamaru is planning on leaving seeing as how he appeared to be taking a nap when we left, Shino should still be there, Kiba might be there if he feels Akamaru is up to facing Sasuke, and Gaara will definitely be there as he's still in the exam. As you said, Shikamaru is asleep, but even if he weren't, would he bother to try and step in and break us up if he wasn't already touching our shadows? Sakura shot back. Or would Shino or Gaara do anything, period? Kiba might, but then he'd be more likely to break up our fight, but provoking Sasuke into attacking him than anything else. You two are big kids now and one of these days you're going to have to learn how to deal with people who go out of their way to piss you off, Naruto mock lectured as he opened the door to the medical area and stepped inside. I do know how to deal with them, Sakura replied, the very essence of wide-eyed innocence. It's accomplishing such a thing non-violently that's giving me pause. Being drunk helps, Tsunade suggested, looking up from Akamaru. Kiba was watching anxiously a few feet back. I'm a bit young for that, though, aren't I? Sakura asked, a little nervously. The last thing she wanted was to be on her mentor's list of potential drinking buddies. Konoha's policy is to allow anyone who is legally an adult, which you became once you made genin, to have full access to alcohol, Tsunade explained. Civilians might have to show ID, but for shinobi just sporting a headband is enough. Drinking laws are in place for a reason, and I really don't feel that I'm physically ready for. Sakura began to protest. Oh, get over it. Iro Sennin and Gamabunta made me get drunk when I was signing with them, and nothing happened to me, Naruto announced. And you cleared it from your system in a matter of hours. Sakura objected. You're a Jinchuriki and have insane healing abilities. Drinking doesn't work like that for me. Well, you could always drink less, Naruto suggested. Just don't come to me for sympathy when you're hungover, because apparently I'm immune. Some people have all the luck, Tsunade muttered. Although my method of drinking until the hangover goes away is surprisingly effective. Besides, remember all the problems Kakashi had to deal with and why he, Sasuke, definitely you, and I aren't supposed to drink. Sakura hinted. Oh, right, Naruto nodded once realization had dawned. You'd better stick to drinking with Shizune or Iro Sennin, Bachan, because Sakura's a total lightweight and would probably pass out after the first drink or die of alcohol poisoning or something like that. What have I told you about calling me Bachan? Tsunade demanded. Naruto shrugged. I have no idea, but I'm sure you're about to tell me. Not that I know why you even bother, considering that I'm not liable to pay any more attention than the last 50 million times you told me whatever it is that you said about it. Nice save, Sakura approved. Don't call me Bachan. Tsunade shouted. Then don't be old. Naruto hollered back. Whatever Tsunade was going to say next was preempted by Kiba's happy cry of, Akamaru. You're okay. I told you he would be, Tsunade reminded him. I know, and I didn't doubt you, I just was so worried. Kiba gently picked Akamaru up and inspected him. Akamaru's eyes were wide and it looked terrified. What's wrong with him? Sasuke said he just sent him off to chase cats. If I found out, he lied to me. He probably didn't, Sakura informed him. But since most of Sasuke's experiences with cats was Tora, well. Right, Kiba nodded. I'm going to kill him. Okay, so I'm going to be moving Kiba out of the will stop fight by focusing attention on self category and into the will join in category, Naruto decided. I wonder if I could convince Gaara to play peacemaker. That would be one of the most ironic things I have ever seen, Sakura remarked. Although the two of you trying to kill a friend of yours might set a bad example, Naruto continued. We already addressed that possibility earlier today, remember? Sakura reminded him. We made sure to stress that following our example as far as that went wasn't really the way to go. What's a team without a little attempted homicide? Tsunade interjected. God knows it happened often enough on my team. Didn't your team have Orochimaru of all people? Kiba asked, a little put off at the thought of either trying to kill Hinata or Shino or them trying to kill him or each other. Yes, why? Tsunade asked. And didn't it also have Jiraiya on it? Kiba pressed. I don't see your point, Tsunade replied. If you can't, I doubt my explaining it will do any good, Kiba decided. By the way, Tsunade-sama. I beat Niji, Sakura said proudly. I had to take advantage of the fact you refused to take me seriously, but I did it. In the real world, people will often refuse to take you seriously, especially with your pink hair, Tsunade told her. Honestly, there's just something about a shinobi with pink hair that makes it difficult to be taken seriously. Exploiting that is an excellent strategy. After all, wait, the slug Sannin cut herself off. Are you saying that I just won a bet? The three genin froze. Why you bet on me, Tsunade-sama? Sakura asked once she found her voice. Tsunade looked surprised at the question. Of course I did. What kind of teacher would I be if I didn't have faith in my own student? You know what? I think Akamaru's fine now, so I'm going to go check in with my teammates. Thanks for waking him up, Kiba said hurriedly as he ran for the door. Bye. Howard, Naruto muttered. I swear to God, if there's an invasion because of this. Tsunade shook her head. But never mind that, I'm glad that my faith in you was not misplaced. Me too, Sakura managed to say, secretly wondering if it really would have been that bad to let Niji beat her and leave Naruto to deal with his issues. So, where did you say Niji was? Naruto asked, eager to escape the situation as well. Right back there, Tsunade pointed towards his bed. Be careful what you say. He's awake, but he seems to be suffering from some sort of existential crisis. That's probably just a side effect of Sakura's therapy jutsu, Naruto declared. Tsunade peered curiously at her student. You can do therapy jutsu? Since when? Sakura shrugged uncomfortably. Well, you know me. tragically large forehead and wetn't. If you say so, Tsunade said dubiously. Quickly, the pair made their way over to Niji. As Naruto had predicted, the minute Niji saw them more accurately, he immediately stiffened and his eyes widened in alarm. Clearly he wasn't feeling up to listening to Sakura tell him all the reasons he should have won, but didn't because he failed as a person. Oh, relax, Niji, Naruto urged. We save causing mental breakdowns for the people we don't like. And you both like me? Niji asked. Have you ever tried to kill Hinata? Naruto returned. Niji eyed him strangely. Of course not. Then we have no problem with you, Naruto assured him cheerfully. I have a slight problem with all the monologuing, Sakura confessed. I'm sure I'll get over it soon. I still can't believe I lost, Niji said, shaking his head in bemusement. I should have won. Sakura shrugged. What can I say? Your overconfidence is your weakness. Well, that and your tendency to monologue. If you absolutely must, at least wait until you've beaten the opponent. That would be bad sportsmanship, Naruto objected. As much as I hate to say it, I think Sasuke might have had a point when he was talking about the Naruto kind of ninja, Sakura said incredulously. We're really not required to be sportsmanlike. But it's just an exam, Naruto countered. Sakura laughed. Just an exam? People have died, you know. So what you're saying is that I should stop judging people prematurely because they may surprise me or even end up beating me, and I'll be much happier if I stop trying to rely on fate instead of personal responsibility. Niji cut in. Sakura and Naruto exchanged a look. Sure, let's go with that, Naruto said finally. Feel better soon, Sakura told him. We've really got to get back. On their way out, they spotted Tsunade filling out a betting card. Not again, Naruto groaned. Isn't it bad enough you won once? Do you really want to risk such an event happening twice in one day? No, I don't, Tsunade admitted. Which is why I'm betting that the exam will end with an invasion in the middle of one of the matches. Welcome to the second round of the Chunin exam finals, Obito announced. The first match is a bye, so would Gaara get down here, please? Is he serious? Gaara asked. Sasuke shrugged. Who knows? You should probably just go. Gaara nodded and jumped off the balcony. Okay, so let the first match commence, Obito said. He waited for a moment. I see only one competitor able to continue, so Gaara is the winner. Congratulations on making it to the semi-finals, Gaara. How do you feel? Confused and slightly irritated, Gaara responded truthfully. Obito blinked. Strange. Most people are more excited. Ah well, to each his own. The second match is between Naruto and Temari. Would you two please get down here? Well, I'm off, Naruto said. Sasuke, try not to make anyone want to kill you while I'm gone, okay? I have no idea what you're talking about, Sasuke claimed. Naruto turned to the supposedly more rational member of his team. Sakura, save it for the fight. It will come soon enough. Heading towards the stairs, he saw two Kusa shinobi had cornered Temari. These low-level tournaments like the Chunin exam are great for betting. Many of the ministers are here for that, one of them said conversationally. The other smirked. And so, this fight could you lose it? I suppose anything is possible, Temari said politely. I'm glad we understand each oath, the first one started to say. That said, I'm not going to throw the fight, and who the hell tries to convince someone to do so without offering up any incentive? Temari demanded. Listen, girl, we're not giving you a choice here, the second growled, reaching for his pack. I get that you want whoever you're working for to win his bet, but do you honestly think that the Kazukija's daughter managing to get injured on her way down the stairs is going to go over very well? Naruto drawled. And yes, I know that since this is Konoha, the Hokage has the final say on what your punishment would be, but since whoever you work for could have easily bet the other way and you decided to go after Mule, you probably wouldn't like the consequences. All that is inconsequential, though, because if you don't back off then Temari will make you. The Kusa shinobi just glared at him before turning and leaving. I could have handled it myself, you know, Temari informed him, annoyed. You did handle that, Naruto replied. I just pointed that out. And besides, he grinned, they were blocking the stairs. I'm just going to warn you now, Temari said conversationally. If you give me a match that even vaguely resembles my previous one, we are going to have problems. I wasn't actually here for your previous match, so perhaps you could tell me what happened. Naruto suggested. I'd rather not, Temari said shortly. But suffice to say, if you drag this on for hours or surrender right when it's obvious you're seconds away from winning, then so help me. Don't worry. I don't have the patience for anything like that, Naruto assured her. I didn't even have the patience to watch Shikamaru's match. And the no ridiculous surrendering? Temari prompted. Weren't you paying attention during that last match? Naruto asked. I have a match with my epic rival coming up. Temari rolled her eyes. That's assuming he doesn't lose to Gaara. Or Sakura, Naruto said, hoping at least mentioning the possibility that Sasuke wouldn't wipe the floor with her would keep him off her bad side. Now that you guys have settled that, Obito said, let the second match of the second round of the Chunin exam finals commence. I still can't believe you're counting Gaara coming down here as a match, Naruto said, shaking his head ruefully. I can't believe you can't believe it, Obito returned. We went over this earlier. There are no free rides. Gaara is just lucky his opponent was such a lightweight. Out of curiosity, how did you manage to pass your MSR? Temari asked politely. Obito shrugged. Well, I did get promoted during wartime, and the need for more fighters did tend to lower the standards. Why? No reason, Temari said innocently. She turned to Naruto. Are you ready? Would it matter if I said I weren't? Naruto shot back. Temari shook her head. Not really, but it never hurts to be polite. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Even when you're about to try and beat the crap out of someone. Especially then, Temari confirmed. She raised her fan. Ninpu Kamitachi. That's not good, Naruto said as he quickly ducked behind one of the trees that were in the arena for no real reason he could think of. Maybe to provide cover. He really hoped Temari wouldn't decide to outright do away with it. The mini twisters that had erupted from Temari's fan were everywhere, and the people sitting in the first half of the stadium felt the effects just as keenly as Naruto did, ensconced behind his tree. Unless he wanted to see if any of his wind techniques could match hers bolstered as they were by her fan and turn the match into a battle to see who had more control over the wind, which he suspected would be hers as that was her main attack plan and his basics were found in shadow clones, Naruto had little choice but to sit back and wait for it to pass. Once the wind had dissipated, Naruto stepped out from behind the tree. Impressive, he said. I would say the same, Temari said dryly, but hiding behind a tree is a little lame for my tastes. There's nothing wrong about avoiding a powerful and stadium-affecting jutsu, Naruto defended. Sure, I could have just let it hit me or try and counterattack, but waiting for it to pass before making my move is ever so much more sensible, and dare I say it Chunin-like. You're fishing for a promotion. Temari accused. Naruto shrugged. Aren't we all? Think fast. With that, he hurled a kunai at her. Temari raised her fan and almost lazily blew it away. Did you honestly think that would work on me? Not really, no, Naruto admitted. And even if you weren't so proficient with wind, a single kunai probably wouldn't have hit you once you'd seen me throw it, but it never hurts to try. Well, you had your chance to counter, and you wasted it on a kunai throw that you up and warned me about, and so now it's my turn. Kamitachi no Jutsu. Naruto decided that it was quite fortunate indeed that he'd only just stepped out from behind his trusty tree protector and quickly sidestepped the attack by moving once more behind it. He crouched to the ground to give her winds less of a target. Besides, he knew that attack. If he let himself get caught in it, it would carve up his body like hundreds of invisible blades. Will you quit running away? Temari demanded. Hey, I haven't moved, Naruto defended. You're the one who can't be bothered moving so as to force me to move if I don't want to get hit. Temari sighed. Excuses, excuses. Since we seem to be operating under a turn-based combat system at present, allow me to go next, Naruto said. Kage Bunshin. Temari eyed the three clones that suddenly appeared behind her opponent curiously. What could you possibly use those for? I know when you fought Lee earlier you attacked him while he was trying to find the real you, but all I need to do is send some wind your way and see which ones dispel. That tree isn't big enough to fit four of you, after all. Naruto nodded. You have a point, but then again, there is more than one tree available. And who's to say that I would even bother protecting them when I could just summon more? All of that is moot though. Really? How do you figure that? Temari asked. My clones have their own way of protecting themselves, Naruto informed her as the three Kage Bunshin disappeared in a whirl of leaves and reappeared a few feet behind her and to each of her sides. But Temari began. Naruto didn't give her a chance to finish, though, as he and his clones quickly formed a Rasengan, just the unfinished version, because God knows he didn't want to risk killing her and sent it her way. I'm actually not sure if you could redirect one of those, he confessed, but good luck redirecting four of them. Since just getting hit with one Rasengan was almost guaranteed to cause serious injuries, Naruto put less chakra into it than usual and hoped Temari would dodge at least one of them. Temari raised her hands possibly to attempt a shunshin of her own, possibly to try and stop herself from getting hit by all four of them when a cloud of dust blown up by the attacks blocked his vision. When the dust cleared, Temari was still standing, but it was clear that she'd been hit, although how many times Naruto didn't know. What he did know was that her clothes were torn and she was bleeding, leaning on her fan, and was panting heavily. Are you going to give up? Naruto asked her. Temari shook her head vehemently. It's the semi-finals. How can I possibly give up? Naruto took out a shuriken this time and lobbed it at his battered opponent. Again her fan came up to blow it away, but a lot slower than before, and she staggered a bit once it was no longer supporting her. How can you not? I've lost some chakra, sure, but other than that I'm good to keep going. You, on the other hand, are pretty clearly injured and appear to be having some difficulty wielding that thing. If this were a real battle then yes, giving up might not be an option, but if this were a mission then a tactical retreat would be a far more chunin thing to do than persisting in attacking when it would only get yourself and your team killed. You're saying that if I surrender I'll make chunin? Temari asked skeptically. I'm saying that if you don't then you definitely won't, Naruto replied. You're just trying to get out of having to fight me, Temari charged. At this point, I could probably beat you anyway, Naruto pointed out. And while I may not have a fan, I'm a wind elemental, too. Temari closed her eyes as she considered it. After a long moment, she opened them again and looking very much like she hated herself reluctantly ground out, I forfeit. I can't believe he used 4 Rasengan on her. Minato exclaimed. That girl could have been killed. I know that that's a risk in the exam and everyone signed the waiver, but it's still overkill. I mean, 4 Rasengan. At least he had the sense to just use the initial form, Kakashi consoled him. Initial form? The Kazekage asked, trying not to sound too curious. Alterations to jutsu are made all the time, Kakashi answered, wondering what the best way to avoid having to answer without ignoring the question or outright telling the foreign leader to mind his own business, which was sure to go over poorly. Size, shape, color. Itachi blinked. Color. Ah, yes. It's actually Sasuke's fault that Naruto's been experimenting with that, Kakashi replied. How so? Itachi asked. Kakashi sighed. Naruto thinks it's cheating to be able to determine the attack range of a jutsu through the color, which Sasuke can do. I don't think Naruto really needs to bother because it's not like the two don't spar often enough that they don't know practically all of each other's moves, and unless things go horribly wrong, they won't ever have a serious life or death fight against each other, but what can I say? Naruto has a lot of free time, and with his Kage Bunshin he has even more. My son seems to have an extremely well-developed sense of fair play, Minato noted. Although whether this will prove to be a boon or a burden in his quest to become Hokage remains to be seen. Your son wishes to succeed you? The Kazekage asked, surprised. Minato nodded. I was surprised when I found out as most people his age aren't interested in the position and he knows that it involves a lot of long hours, but he's quite determined to become either the Godame or Rakudame. Are any of your children interested in taking over after you step down? Dying was a far more likely outcome, Kakashi knew, but it wouldn't be very diplomatic to outright say that, now would it? The Kazekage considered the question. Would you believe that I honestly don't know? I've never asked them. Temari has shown an interest in the workings of the government and I've often thought she would do well as a diplomat, but I haven't really seen any great interest from Kankuro, and Gaara hasn't really seemed to be interested in anything. Then again, they're still young, so who knows where they'll end up. Naruto seems to be getting on quite well with all of your children, even if he and Kankuro did get off to a rough start, Minato noted. So if one of them became Kazekage someday and Naruto become Hokage that should strengthen the alliance between our two villages. That would be quite the change from the current state of affairs, the Kazekage mused. But Tsuchikage has been in office since before any of the rest of us were born and Kiri's so secretive we barely know anything about the new Mizukage or what happened to the old one. That's no way to keep alliances, Minato agreed. Speaking of our children, though. Yes? The Kazekage asked. You're not upset that my son beat your daughter, are you? Minato asked with a grin. No, the Kazekage lied. Naruto waited with Temari while she got examined and patched up by the medic standing by. Granted that medic was only supposed to get involved in the case of a life-threatening injury that needed to be treated immediately or couldn't be moved, and Temari really should have gone to Tsunade, but she didn't want to miss the rest of the matches. After giving up arguing with her, the medic healed what he could and released her back to the balcony. So why did you wait? Temari inquired as the pair began the long trek back to where the others were waiting. I mean, it was thoughtful, but I thought you were worried that your friends were going to be fighting. Oh, no, I got that taken care of, Naruto replied cryptically. And I'll confess I had possibly slightly less than altruistic motives for waiting. Temari raised an eyebrow. Oh? I may need a human shield, Naruto told her sheepishly. Temari crossed her arms. I just finished one match. I'm not going to take a hit for you because you pissed someone off. Oh, they wouldn't attack you, Naruto assured her. They'd just try and get me out from behind you. Temari was about to ask who he'd managed to piss off badly enough he'd rely on a still injured person as a means of protection when she reached the balcony and saw Sasuke, Sakura and Kiba floating a few feet apart in sand cocoons. That answered that question. Thanks Gaara, Naruto said gratefully. You're a lifesaver. Gaara cocked his head. I do not believe I have ever been called that before. Well you've officially earned the title today, Naruto assured him. After all, if they got into a fight and jeopardized their chances of becoming a Chunin and consequentially my chances of avoiding intense youth training for a year with Guy, then I very well might have killed them. He paused. Which would be a bad thing as they are my best friends. And Hinata-chan would probably be upset if anything were to happen to Kiba. It would be troublesome, Shikamaru agreed. Hey. Kiba objected. Are you saying you don't think of me as a close friend? Naruto elected to answer his question with a question of his own. Do you still think I'm in love with Sasuke? Kiba snorted. That's not going to change anytime soon. Well, there you have it. Naruto turned his attention back to Gaara. Did they give you any trouble? Gaara shook his head. No, but they did plan out some very creative ways to kill you, so I would watch out for them. Especially that one. He pointed at Sakura. Sakura? Naruto asked, confused. He would have thought Sasuke would be the most experienced in planning out how to kill people since he'd been doing it for over 10 years now. What can I say? Sakura asked. Medics have a far greater knowledge of the human body than most people, and that does come in handy. I mean, just look at Kabuto. Kabuto? Shino inquired. The genin that gave up before the preliminary round. Sakura nodded. Kiba burst out laughing. That guy's pathetic. He tried to give up after we first met Anko. Not that I can blame him, mind you, but still. Pathetic people can still be evil, Sasuke pointed out. And can you let us down? The match between Sakura and I is going to take place in a minute, and I don't think it will be very riveting if neither of us can move. Gaara looked to Naruto. Naruto nodded. Go ahead. With that, all of the sand that had been holding the 3 genin hostage dispersed and went back into Gaara's gourd. I still can't believe that he did that for the entire match, Sakura said, bemused, as she landed. What can I say? Naruto said smugly. Gaara clearly likes me more than all 3 of you put together. He does not. Sakura insisted. There is no way he likes you more than Sakura and I, Sasuke agreed. I mean, Kiba, sure but. Wait, Kiba interrupted. Why is it Kiba, sure? He likes me just fine. He barely knows you, Sakura reminded him. Sakura and I have spent just as much time with him as you did, Sasuke told Naruto. If he doesn't like me better then why would he do what I wanted as opposed to what you guys would want? Naruto challenged. This is so surreal, Temari remarked as she and Gaara watched the 4 bicker about who Gaara liked better. I honestly never thought I'd live to see the day someone was having this kind of conversation. Me neither, Gaara agreed. Konoha is strange. But it's a good strange. I don't think I want anything to happen to it. Temari's breath caught. Gaara. Why would something happen to Konoha? Shikamaru asked sharply. It wouldn't, Temari said quickly. He's just saying that for future reference, like how I don't want anything to happen to Suna or you wouldn't want anything to happen to Konoha. I see, Shikamaru said, looking thoroughly unconvinced. The 3rd match is between Sakura and Sasuke, Obito announced. Will you two please get down here? That halted the argument. Try not to kill each other, alright? Naruto implored. If nothing else, I wouldn't put it past Kakashi to use one of your deaths count as not all of us making Chunin and making us go through with it. Sasuke smirked. Don't worry. I'll be back in 10 minutes. If that. Sakura's eye twitched. I make no promises. Sasuke had to admit he was a little curious to see how good Sakura actually was. He hadn't seen her go all out in quite a while, not since he returned to Konoha. Since coming back, he'd seen her against Zabuza, but since she was fighting alongside him, Naruto, and Kakashi, it was a rather short battle. He had seen her against Hinata, but thanks to Naruto's plea that was more of a test of dodging and endurance for his teammate. Then of course there was the fight with Neji. If it landed the prodigy in the hospital it had to involve some effort on her part, but Sasuke knew next to nothing about as Naruto hadn't felt the need to hurry his lunch up in the slightest. Of course, throughout the entire course of their association, Sakura had never been able to beat him, and there really wasn't any way she was going to start now. The question was she going to make this match worth his time? Let's try and at least make this match last, as long as the one with Kiba did, Sasuke suggested as he and Sakura descended the stairs together. Sakura stopped and turned to glare at him. Do you honestly think that fighting me could possibly take less time than taking out Kiba? I mean, don't get me wrong, he's fairly talented and all, but he's only been at this for a few months. I've spent years on this. Sasuke raised an eyebrow. So you're saying that you think you can manage it? Yes, I can manage it, Sakura growled. Are you sure? Sasuke asked innocently. Because if not, I'm sure that I can get Naruto to eat up time if need be. God knows that will probably end up happening anyway, Sakura informed him. Seeing as it has happened every other match so far. Well, except for the last one, but that was because Naruto was actually fighting. He did it during the Lee one, though. That's an excellent point, Sakura, Sasuke replied pleasantly. It won't even look suspicious at all. And there are so many options to choose from. I could always say a double entendre involving Naruto and get Kiba all excited, or maybe remark that Naruto and Temari are spending an awful lot of time together and watch Naruto try and insist that Shikamaru and Temari will end up together while disturbing Temari due to the fact we're all 12 or 13. Of course, that's likely to get Kiba back in fanboy mode again, too. That's really not necessary, Sakura insisted, shoving her hair behind her ears angrily. If you're certain, Sasuke agreed, stepping out onto the stadium floor. Be sure to let me know if you change your mind, okay? Or say something to Naruto or Kiba, I guess yourself. Yes, if that didn't piss her off enough to try and murder him during their match, nothing would. Sasuke briefly wondered what it would be like to have a friendship that didn't in some way involve some sort of homicidal urges, but quickly dismissed the idea as being for lesser mortals. And non-ninja. Alright, are you two both ready? Obito asked them. Sakura and Sasuke both nodded, looking determined. Okay, I would like to remind both of you, especially you, Sakura, that while killing your opponent is technically within the rules, the exam proctors are asked to weigh in on the stableness of each of the potential Chunin for the MSR, and killing my baby cousin strikes me as a sign of a truly diseased mind, Obito said cheerfully. It might be worth it, Sakura muttered. Out of the corner of her eye, she spotted Guy escorting Lee and Niji into the stands. She couldn't hear him, but he appeared to be waxing poetic once again about the power of youth. But then again. Wait, you get to weigh in on that? Sasuke asked, a little alarmed. Who else gets a say? Obito shrugged. Well, the Jounin instructors also get to give their opinion. Since everyone wants their students to advance, it's usually just a perfunctory approval, but every now and then, an instructor thinks their student is one humiliating defeat away from attempting to kill their teammates and ditching Konoha. Obviously, these people aren't ready to be Chunin, but since the exam must be entered as a team, they occasionally make it to the finals anyway. Well, that was one thing Sasuke didn't have to worry about at least. Kakashi wanted Team 7 to become Chuninins even more than his decidedly anti-youth team did. Obito waited to see if there were any more questions. After a moment, he continued with, now that's it Ledbijin. The moment the words were out of Obito's mouth, Sasuke found several sharp objects hurtling quickly in his general direction. Sasuke was forced to activate his Sharingan in order to avoid all of them. Normally, he would have had his Dijutsu activated from the start, but annoying Sakura and worrying about who exactly was deciding how sane he was, and were Ibiki and Anko really the best judges of sanity? At least Anko liked him, had distracted him. On the bright side, Sakura would probably take it as yet another sign that he wasn't taking this seriously. Sasuke, Sakura called sweetly. Yes. Sasuke answered cautiously. It occurs to me that it would be remiss of me not to let you know ahead of time that should you use your Tsukiyomi on me during the match, I swear to God I will be withdrawing from the exam, Sakura warned. Sasuke crinkled his forehead. Can you withdraw after you lose? Because you know that should I trap you in my Tsukiyomi you will lose the match. I know, Sakura nodded. But will they really make me a Chunin if I go to them and let them know that I don't want to be? Or failing that start cackling maniacally? Sasuke's eyes widened in horror as he realized just what exactly she was threatening. You wouldn't. Sakura merely smiled at him. Try me. Out of curiosity, why is that girl threatening to prevent herself from having any chance of making Chunin this exam, such a horrifying prospect to the Uchiha boy? The Kazekage asked, somewhat confused. Teamwork is very important to my team, Kakashi claimed. Really? Itachi asked skeptically. Because Sakura seems quite intent on killing my brother. Ah well, Kakashi said dismissively, as long as she doesn't shove a Chidori through his chest, it's nothing to be concerned about. That disturbed Minato enough to turn his attention away from the fight and to his son's teacher. You said you hadn't taught her the Chidori. I haven't, Kakashi quickly assured him. And Naruto doesn't know it either? Minato asked anxiously. Because knowing him he'll try to combine that and the Rasengan and he won't be properly supervised and there will be a massive explosion. And massive piles of paperwork, the Kazekage added helpfully. Exactly, Minato said absently, still watching Kakashi expectantly. No, I would never be so irresponsible. Kakashi claimed, sounding shocked. Not to mention that teaching someone the Chidori took time and was incredibly dangerous to use without a Sharingan. Not like Kakashi would let that stop him of course. If Sasuke was going to go around using his signature technique then there was no way in hell he wasn't going to. And besides, Naruto had enough of A-rank jutsu as it was. I really hate to say this, Minato said slowly, glancing at Itachi, but are you trying to say that you think Sasuke might try to kill either my son or Sakura? Kakashi paused to consider the question, which wasn't exactly the vehement denial the Yondaime was hoping for. At this point I highly doubt that. Only highly doubt it. Minato was rather persistent when it was a question of Naruto's safety. Of course, Kakashi had realized that when he watched Konoha's attitude towards their resident Jinchuriki turn from scorn and hatred, although it had admittedly mellowed out starting after Orochimaru's invasion and culminating when Naruto's therapy jutsu had led to half the town being brought back from the dead to gratitude and admiration over the course of 2 lifetimes. I'm a ninja, Kakashi explained, and I associate with Naruto. I never rule anything out until it is definitely impossible, and even then I wait a few weeks before declaring it so. You sounded certain about Naruto and Sakura, Minato pointed out. To be fair, Sakura and Naruto don't actually know the Chidori, so it is a safe assumption to make that they won't be killing anyone with it anytime soon, Kakashi countered neatly. This didn't seem to reassure the Hokage. Does that mean that you think that they will try to kill each other in a different way? Naruto, definitely not, Kakashi knew that much, at least. He'd spent too much time chasing Sasuke to ever even think about killing either of them. Sakura, well, she'd better not, but if Sasuke hadn't dodged at the last second, that last chakra-infused punch would have probably taken his head off. So did you bet on this match? Minato wanted to know. Kakashi shook his head ruefully. Alas, no. If betting on the match of one student is suspect, betting on a match with both of them would be just asking for an inquest. An inquest? Itachi repeated. It would be cheating at gambling, not murder. I wouldn't be too sure, Kakashi said solemnly. Some people take their gambling very seriously. You know, you never actually answered my question, the Kazekage reminded him. Kakashi blinked. You had a question. I'm sorry, but I simply don't remember what you asked. Why is the girl using not becoming a Chunin as a threat, and why does it appear to be working? The Kazekage repeated patiently. Oh. If they don't all make Chunin, then I will be forced to concede that Guy was right, Kakashi shuddered at this and humbly asked that if that should happen, then he will help train them for a year. Extra training. The Kazekage still didn't get it. Why is that bad? Itachi leaned over and pointed towards Guy. That's him. The Kazekage drew back. I see. That's ruthless. And Chunin like? Kakashi asked hopefully. Perhaps, the Kazekage allowed. You know, Sasuke said conversationally as he sidestepped yet another killer blow from Sakura, this really isn't the way to make Chunin. That's fine, I can always take the exam with Ino and Choji should Shikamaru pass, Sakura replied. Sasuke knew he couldn't block her without risking serious injury, even if he wouldn't admit it, so he'd been mostly just dodging thus far. That won't save you from Guy, Sasuke pointed out. Unless I was to hear another rant on youth right now, I feel that it would be worth it, Sakura decided. Naruto will never forgive you, Sasuke tried. Sakura shook her head. He's forgiven you for worse. Which is why he would be pissed if you killed me, Sasuke replied. He paused. Although the youth training would get to him as well. Sakura narrowed her eyes as she continued to fail to land a solid hit. And speaking of Naruto, I'm starting to agree with him on the whole Sharingan is cheating thing. Hey, you should just be happy that I haven't switched over to the Mangekyou Sharingan yet, Sasuke informed her. After all, no Tsukiyomi doesn't necessarily mean no Amaterasu or Susanoo. In such a crowded stadium? Sakura scoffed. That's just asking for disaster. You know I can control the flames, and Susanoo's far safer to use now than when I first got it, Sasuke objected. That's really not filling me with confidence, Sakura said flatly. That's fine, Sasuke said agreeably. That's Naruto's job anyway. He took a deep breath. Kaiten. Nkakek no Jutsu. Sakura stood still for a moment, staring at the giant fireball heading towards her. Really, Sasuke? Since when has that technique ever been good for anything besides a distraction? She demanded as she leapt out of the way. I'm sure it's been good for something else at some point, Sasuke insisted, landing behind her. After all, it's a giant freaking fireball. Sakura quickly turned around to punch him in the face, and Sasuke brought up his arm to protect his head. Todori Nagashi, Sasuke muttered right before there was a sickening crack. Sasuke, being Sasuke, didn't wince or react at all, but it was clear his arm was broken. Sakura didn't move. Sakura, Sasuke asked innocently. She still didn't move. I'm concerned, Sasuke claimed. Can someone check on her? Obito dutifully moved to examine Sakura. She appears to be paralyzed. Does that mean I win? Sasuke asked. Obito nodded. Either that or I let you try and kill an incapacitated opponent. Don't feel too bad, Sakura, Sasuke smirked. I'm sure that took at least 15 minutes. Shortly thereafter, Sasuke and Sakura were on their way back to the balcony after having their broken arm and paralysis, respectively, cured by Tsunade. I thought you weren't going to use the Chidori on your friends anymore, Sakura said to break the silence. Technically, I only promised not to use it on Naruto anymore, Sasuke pointed out. Sakura rolled her eyes. You knew what Kakashi was asking. True, Sasuke admitted. But the Chidori Nagashi doesn't kill, it just paralyzes, and the only reason I'm not supposed to use the regular Chidori is because it is supposedly an assassination jutsu, even if it will blow your cover the second you use it. So if you had to rely on a variation of a forbidden technique, does that mean that you weren't disappointed with the match? Sakura inquired. Maybe, Sasuke admitted grudgingly, not liking where this was going. And does that mean you're going to stop insisting, implying, or referencing me sucking? Sakura pressed. Sasuke didn't say anything. Sasuke. Sasuke sighed theatrically. Finilfo, I make no promises about referencing because honestly, before I left. I suppose that will have to do, Sakura decided reluctantly. As they reached the top of the stairs, they heard Naruto saying, for the last time, yes, I'm sure that we made sure to mention that attempting to kill your friends is generally a bad idea. I'm just concerned that you use the word generally instead of always, Temari explained. I mean, for some reason my brother seems to be listening to you. Because he likes me best, Naruto interrupted once he saw his teammates. Temari rolled her eyes. Whatever. And when Gaara tries to kill something, something dies. Well, over the years Sasuke, Sakura, and I have come to accept that attempted homicide is just something that's going to happen on occasion. If it were actual homicide, the non-involved party might complain, but other than that, who cares? Naruto asks rhetorically. I don't think any of us have tried to kill Kakashi, Sasuke added. But I could be wrong. It wasn't from any lack of desire on our parts, or at least my part, I assure you. What are you guys even talking about? Sakura asked them. Temari finally got around to asking what kind of friendship lessons we've been giving Gaara, Naruto answered. Hey, when this is all over you're not the one who's going to have to deal with whatever changes you've caused, Temari pointed out. I'm just being a concerned sister. I still think you're overreacting, Naruto exclaimed. I mean, I've only seen Gaara kill one person in the entire course of our friendship, and he was from Odo. Why does that matter? Gaara asked. Because everyone from Odo is evil, Naruto responded automatically. He laughed sheepishly. Not that I'm biased or anything. Sasuke felt obliged to clear up the misunderstanding. They're not all evil. They just have a Kage who has an unhealthy fondness for suicide missions, so he very well might have died soon either way. And don't forget the waiver he signed, Sakura spoke up. Aren't you up again next? Kiba asked. Sasuke nodded. Yeah, the minute he calls me. Now, for the third round of the Chunin exam finals, Obito announced. Your first match. Namikaze Naruto. Or not, Sasuke muttered. Don't worry, this will take even shorter than your match against Sakura, Naruto promised. Sakura glared at him. What did you just say? Naruto looked trapped. It is. Shikamaru lazily walked over to Naruto and shoved him down to the ground floor. Do the world a favor. Push a stupid person, he murmured. Oh, the irony. Naruto cried on his way down. The winner is Namikaze Naruto, Obito announced. How do you feel about making it to the finals, Naruto? Naruto shrugged. I really just want to fight Sasuke. Should he lose to Gaara I'm going to be kind of pissed. Don't get me wrong. Fighting Gaara would be fun too, but he's just not my epic rival, you know. Obito nodded and glanced at Kakashi. I think I do. Either way, you've done well to win your 3 matches and deserve your spot in the finals. Not that I disagree or anything, Naruto began carefully, because I totally think I should be in the finals, but was that last match really that big a deal? I mean, I wasn't actually fighting anyone. Which is why if you had lost you wouldn't have deserved to be in the finals or ever make Chunin ever, Obito explained. Well, yeah, but what would happen in that case? Would whoever won the next fight have a bye for the finals, or would that match automatically be the finals? Naruto queried. You know, I don't know, Obito confessed. Fortunately, we do not need to worry about that seeing as how you've proved successful in your fight against the elusive bye. Seriously, you're having way too much fun with this, Naruto said bluntly. What am I supposed to do? Obito demanded. Just stand here and stop you guys from cheating too obviously or killing each other unnecessarily. That does sound like the job description for exam proctor, yes, Naruto agreed. Well, too bad. Those are really more like guidelines anyway, Obito insisted. Now hurry up and go back to your friends. It's time for Sasuke to go up against Gaara. What are you writing? Kakashi asked, watching the Kazekage scribbling furiously on a piece of paper. It's now the second match of the semi-finals, the Kazekage explained. By now, we've all gotten a pretty good idea of who should advance and who should try again in 6 months. I'm just making my recommendations and listing my reasons why or why not. There are still 2 more matches, though, Minato pointed out. And given that they are between Sasuke and Gaara and then the winner of that fight against Naruto, I'm sure they'll prove to be spectacular. True, the Kazekage allowed. But I can always edit my recommendations later. I'm just trying to get it all down while it's still fresh in my mind. There, done. The Kazekage folded the paper into fourths and held it out to Kakashi. Will you hold on to this for me? I suppose, Kakashi replied, taking the paper. Any particular reason you can't hold on to it yourself? Or why you want me to do so? Well, as you know, Tsunade of the Sannin has recently won a bet. I have not ever met her personally, but her reputation precedes her, and should the cataclysmic disaster that usually follows anything that could reasonably be considered good luck for anyone else occur before this exam's new Chuninans are decided upon, I do not wish to see all the time and effort I put into my choices go to waste, the Kazekage explained. That makes sense, Kakashi conceded. But what makes you think it would be any safer with me? As a bodyguard, I would face whatever natural or unnatural disaster should strike before either you or Hokage-sama. The Kazekage snorted. You have a reputation as well. I'm sure if you place my recommendations inside the pages of your book, no harm will come to it. He's got you there, Kakashi, Minato said with a smile. Fine, Kakashi sighed, tucking the paper inside the pages of his precious novel. Speaking of Tsunade and Bating, did she make any other bets I should be aware of? Minato asked. Please tell me no one would be so stupid as to let her place another bet after having already won once. Indeed she did, Hokage-sama, Itachi responded. Normally, I do not believe they would have allowed her to place another bet without her having to threaten them first, but in this case they thought it was so outlandish they agreed with her that it would balance out her win. What did she bet? Minato pressed. She suggested that the exams would end in an invasion, Itachi informed him. The Kazekage immediately started coughing. Are you okay? Minato asked, turning towards his fellow Kage. I'm fine, the Kazekage claimed. That's such a horrible thing to bet. I'm not so sure about that, Kakashi disagreed. After all, that's how I bet this match would end. Minato stared at him. Why? He asked finally. Kakashi shrugged. I couldn't resist. Besides, what are the odds? I've never been fond of subtly, so I'm just going to come right out and ask, Sasuke told Gaara as the two made their way down to start their match. Are you going to try and kill me? Gaara shook his head. After what your cousin said to Sakura about how killing you would hurt her chances of advancing, I think that would be a bad idea. After all, there are only 2 more times I need to avoid killing people. I don't want to kill Naruto, and not making Chunin would make this entire month of abstaining from killing entirely pointless. If it were Naruto, he probably would have said something about how Gaara was sure to live a happier and more fulfilling life if he didn't go around indiscriminately killing people, and perhaps even waxed poetic about becoming a Kage and tried to convince Gaara to aim for that as well. Sakura probably also would have tried to convince him that mass murder is rarely the answer. Sasuke, however, latched onto a different part of Gaara's statement. What, so you'd be okay with killing me, but not Naruto? He demanded. Gaara gave him a strange look. Yes. I think Naruto is probably the last person I would want to kill. Sasuke groaned. So you do like him better than Sakura and I? Oh well, I can't really say that I'm surprised. You didn't tell him this, did you? Gaara blinked at the sudden urgency in Sasuke's voice. I have not. But Sasuke said, sighing in relief. Because God knows he'd never let us live that down. Do you have any intention of trying to kill me? Gaara inquired. You would not succeed, of course, but it would be nice to know your intentions. I wouldn't dream of it, Sasuke answered honestly. After all, if I killed you that meant that I would win the match by default, and my ensuing fight with Naruto would be a lot more about morality and a lot less about our epic rivalry. Seriously, have you ever fought Naruto while he insisted on lecturing you? It really sucks the fun out of it. I shall keep that in mind when I'm trying not to kill you, Gaara said solemnly. He did say you are his best friend, so he would probably take your death harder than most. Sasuke shook his head ruefully. I still can't believe that after all this time he's still insistent that I'm his best friend. Just because I called him my best friend right before trying to kill him is no reason to. You're his best friend because you said so right before trying to kill him? Gaara asked, confused. Realizing that that line of thinking would not end well, Sasuke quickly amended his previous statement. I was having some issues and we mostly were already best friends, we just had yet to verbalize it. Naruto's different from other people and so that wouldn't work on them. Hell, it wouldn't even work on Naruto anymore since I got there first and he only has enough room in his life to obsess over one best friend. Gaara didn't reply as they'd finally reached Obito. Are you two ready for your epic but better not end in Sasuke's death match? Obito asked them. He appeared to be waiting for a reply and since Gaara didn't seem particularly inclined to give one, Sasuke stepped up to the plate. HN. Apparently that was good enough for Obito, for his next words were, ready. Begin. Immediately, sand began to rise from Gaara's gourd. Sasuke, knowing full well Gaara could outweigh him, decided to start things off by throwing a pair of shuriken at the future Kazekage. As predicted, a wall of sand rose up to block the blow to Gaara's head as the boy didn't move an inch. Not content to just let the shuriken fall harmlessly to the ground, the sand shield became a sand clone with Sasuke's shuriken clenched in its fist. Long-ranged attacks were very rarely any good against Gaara, so the best thing to do was move in. Of course, the sand clone wasn't about to let that happen and moved forward to stop him. Sasuke aimed a high kick at the clone's head, which it blocked with its arm. Of course, being made of sand meant that the hand came right off, but quickly reformed. Annoyed, Sasuke made sure to punch straight through it on his next swing and quickly continued to Gaara. The sand shield rose up to protect him, so Sasuke moved around to the back and punched Gaara in the face, which was something he'd been meaning to do for years. Sure, Naruto claimed Gaara wasn't really trying to be his new best friend, but Sasuke had remained unconvinced and never let it be said that he wasn't possessive. Gaara blinked in shock but came to his senses quickly enough and clambered to his feet. He was just forming his sand shield around him again when Sasuke chose to press his advantage and delivered a powerful kick to the throat, which sent the other boy flying backwards. God knows if he had kicked a civilian in the throat at that speed and with that level of force, he'd have an inquest to deal with, so it was fortunate that was nothing more than a mild inconvenience for a ninja. When Gaara got to his feet again, he quickly called his sand to him and it began to form a shield completely around him. Sasuke eyed the sand dome and tried to remember if he'd seen it before as he punched it experimentally. It was hard as a rock. Sasuke really didn't know what he was trying to accomplish. Granted, Sasuke couldn't win if he couldn't get to Gaara, but it's not like Gaara could get to him when he was nestled in that sand cocoon. Surely he wasn't about to transform, was he? He really didn't have a great deal of control over that from what Sasuke remembered. That was part of why he'd been so homicidal in the first place. Still, letting Gaara finish whatever he was doing would probably fall squarely in the category of not good, so Sasuke decided to use his signature move. He moved to the edge of the arena and then ran straight back at Gaara. This time when he punched the sand barrier, he used the Chidori. "This fight's boring," Naruto complained. "Gaara hasn't even tried to crush Sasuke once." "Well, that usually ends in death, so we should be glad that he seems to be avoiding that," Sakura told him. Naruto glanced over at her. "Does this mean you're no longer out to kill him?" Sakura shrugged. "Besides, Gaara's worked really hard to meet his MSR. "Yeah, I guess," Naruto trailed off as he let his eyes roam around the stadium, searching for something more interesting. His eyes widened in horror. "No. No, no, no. What's wrong?" Kiba asked absently. "People in the crowd keep falling asleep. I'd say half of them are out of it already. Either they agree with me that this is boring or someone put a genjutsu on them," Naruto announced. "Why would anyone put a genjutsu on the crowd?" Temari asked. "I mean, if something's happening, civilians aren't going to be doing anything but getting in the way." "Oh my god. What?" Shikamaru asked, forcing himself to pay attention now that it seemed like something underhanded was going on. Gaara's impenetrable defense was just penetrated. Temari finished, a little lamely. "There's no such thing as an impenetrable defense," Naruto lectured. "If you apply enough force and/or speed, it will crack." "But this has never happened to Gaara before," Temari said, her eyes wide. "Well, he's never come up against the Chidori before," Sakura replied. "Damn it, why isn't Kankuro up here?" Temari demanded. Shikamaru shrugged. "There's no reason for him not to be. Ino was up here to yell at me earlier and Kiba, Sakura, you, and I haven't felt the need to leave since we lost." "Why do you need puppet guy?" Kiba asked. "Because then I could have someone to freak out with about the fact that a giant distinctly non-human arm just emerged from Gaara's sand shield and try to smash Sasuke." Temari exclaimed. "I'll freak out with you," Naruto said magnanimously. "It would probably be more interesting anyway. I probably understand what happens during a transformation better than anyone else here anyway." "That would be nice, thank you," Temari said. "I always feel foolish freaking out alone." Suddenly the sand melted away to reveal Gaara, looking completely human but clutching his arm. "What did you do to me?" he demanded. "I made you bleed," Sasuke replied casually. "It happens." "Not to me," Gaara insisted. His eyes snapped shut suddenly and he raised a shaking hand to his forehead. "Are you okay, kid?" Obito asked, a little concerned. "I'm fine," Gaara lied. "Just a massive headache." Abruptly, the world was filled with feathers. "What?" the Kiba asked before passing out. Everyone else in the stadium box dispelled the genjutsu with relative ease and Sakura woke up Kiba. "You know," Naruto said, eye twitching, "someone is going to have to die for preventing me from getting to face him." "What should we do?" Sakura asked. "Sasuke should be okay, but who knows what's going on in the cage box." "We can't do anything about that," Naruto pointed out. "It's sure to be a little out of our league. I'm going to go get Sasuke. You need to go find Guy and tell him about the impostor." "Is he an impostor, though?" Sakura asked. "Who knows?" Naruto replied. But he's the loudest person I know and if anyone can get the word out, he can. Okay, Sakura nodded. I'll also try and wake up the others. We'll go with you, Kiba said. Shikamaru nodded. They all looked expectantly at Temari. I'm going to go see Gaara. He really looks like he needs me right now. Seriously, though, Naruto grumbled as he got ready to move. If I hadn't sworn off vengeance. Don't worry, Sakura assured him. Sasuke looks just as pissed. I'm sure he'll seek 10 times the vengeance you might want. And Kakashi's actually up there and this could affect our chances for a promotion. Hell, I might even help because now I have to deal with the two of you while you sulk about this. Thanks Sakura, Naruto beamed at her. You're the greatest. What did we get ourselves into? Temari wondered, not for the first time. Gaara mildly freaks out about the fact that Chidori hurt him but doesn't want to be seen as too unstable, so he's pretending Shukaku isn't giving him problems. At that point, Kabuto uses his stadium-wide Genjutsu, and while Kiba falls prey to it, the others dispel it. Naruto's going to see if Sasuke needs help and that they should do next, and Sakura's going to try and spread the word about Orochimaru. They don't actually know if he really replaced the Kazekage, but if they can convince the Suna shinobi they might stop attacking. Kiba and Shikamaru offer to go with her and also to help rouse the other genin. Temari is concerned about Shukaku and doesn't want to have to fight her way through everyone in the box, and Naruto already beat her, so she doesn't mention she's part of the invasion. Someone did make a good point about Kakashi Tsunade bet. Tsunade seems to have no trouble winning when Kakashi makes the same bet. Minato stood up to see why someone had put a large-scale Genjutsu over the crowd when someone put their arm around him. Immediately, he took out a kunai and stabbed the offending arm before breaking free. Turning to face his molester, he saw the Kazekige's hand bleeding. Is there a reason you just grabbed me? Minato asked the Kazekige, a little disturbed. Because the only reasons I can think of for your actions are you were trying to kidnap me or trying to grope me. Relations between cages really wouldn't end well, Kakashi opined. And I've never seen him interested in anyone but Kushina anyway. I was not trying to grope you, the Kazekige insisted. One of these days people are going to realize I'm not a pedophile and if I were you would be far too old for me. So you were trying to kidnap me? Minato asked, raising an eyebrow. You would try to steal the Hokage away from the heart of Konoha. That is the height of foolishness. I was actually just trying to take you to the roof so I could kill you, the Kazekige explained. And we couldn't fight here because Minato questioned. It's kind of cramped, the Kazekige explained. Not to mention it would be difficult to set up the barrier. It's not like I'm going to be running from a fight with you, Kazekige-sama, Minato assured him. That would endanger my shinobi, and dealing with you is my responsibility. What do you honestly hope to accomplish with this attack? Isn't it obvious? The Kazekige returned. I'm trying to start a war. A war? Minato repeated. Because the Wind Daimyo has been favoring Konoha recently and cutting back on Suna's forces. The Kazekige laughed. That is the rhetoric I used to convince the old fools on the council, but no. I just want to destroy Konoha. In fact, I even joined a club devoted to that very purpose. You know, Kakashi said casually, deciding to see once and for all whether or not things had changed since the invasion was still on and had ironically enough started during the exact same match. I get that you're bitter, but if you had just put on that damn necklace you might have stood a better chance. You really shot yourself in the foot there. Minato's eyes widened. Necklace? You mean Orochimaru? There was a dark chuckle. Who else? I can think of a good dozen and a half people who would pull something like this off the top of my head, Kakashi offered. Be that as it may, it is me, the rightful Yondaime. The Kazekige declared, ripping off his face to reveal that he was, in fact, Orochimaru. I could be wrong, Minato said dubiously, but I'm fairly certain one of the job requirements for Kage is a lack of desire to kill your people and destroy your village. I knew I was missing something, Orochimaru deadpanned. By the time Naruto and Temari reached Sasuke and Gaara, Baki and Kankuro were already there. Thank you so much for leaving me alone up there to freak out about Gaara not following the plan, Temari fumed, smacking her puppet-obsessed brother on the head. Hey, it's not my fault. Kankuro protested. I didn't make the finals, remember? Which was totally your own damn fault for not taking this seriously, Temari reminded him. And little details like don't belong in the box didn't actually stop anyone from Konoha. Well, to be fair those people are crazy, Kankuro replied. Hey. Naruto objected. Do you still think I'm evil? Kankuro demanded, turning to him. The forge it, Naruto confessed. Kankuro turned back to his sister. Case in point. Gaara, do you remember the plan? Baki asked urgently. Gaara ignored him. Gaara? Baki tried again. Obito sighed. Hold on. He stepped between the still fighting pair. You guys can stop fighting. The Chunin exam is over. But Gaara said. Because I swear, this headache is getting really bad. Did I win? Sasuke demanded. Because if I didn't win and the match is just over, then I refuse to acknowledge that. Obito rolled his eyes. Fine, yes you won because Suna appears to be invading. And Odo. And a couple of Anbu, but they are probably spies if not outright invaders who stole Anbu masks. Do you remember the plan, Gaara? Baki asked again. Gaara nodded. Yes, it was wipe out the Odo shinobi, right. Did Gaara just defect? Kankuro asked, stunned. Damari sighed. Probably. I don't get it, Kankuro murmured. He's always hated Suna and now he loves Konoha. I'm not surprised. This has been coming on since Naruto decided you were the evil one, Tamari told him. I'm nearly positive he hadn't defected when we got up today. Why didn't you stop him? Kankuro asked accusingly. He didn't say anything until right before Sasuke and Sakura's fight. Tamari defended herself. And how was I supposed to stop it? They're nice to him. Trying to make him leave so as not to get influenced wouldn't work as we can't make Gaara do anything and it would only serve to further contrast our behavior with that of the Konoha shinobi we know and push him even further to their side. Baki shook his head. No, it was wipe out the Konoha shinobi. The ones with the misshapen leaf on their forehead protectors instead of the random musical note. Gaara cocked his head. Really? Because I could have sworn when I heard about the plan it was Odo shinobi. If the Konoha thing is a last-minute change, you should know I do not do well with those. No, it was always killing Konoha shinobi, Baki attempted to convince Suna's not-so-secret weapon. Can you handle that or do we need to abort your mission? I assure you, I am perfectly ready and willing to kill Odo shinobi, Gaara answered. He turned to Obito. Would that negatively affect my chances of making Chunin? Surprised, Obito shook his head. As long as you don't start killing people indiscriminately and only go after invaders, it really shouldn't be a problem. Yes, it would be a very big problem, Baki countered. Seeing as how Odo are our allies in TH. What? You're saying that the unyouthful fiend Orochimaru unyouthfully murdered the Kazekage and took his place so as to trick Suna into invading and starting a pointless and destructive war? Guy cried out, shocked and horrified. Baki, Tamari, and Kankuro automatically turned towards their Kazekage, only a pale black-haired man standing in his robes. Is that Orochimaru? Kankuro asked. Sasuke nodded grimly. Yes, it is. He paused. He also killed my family. Naruto groaned. So not the time, Sasuke. It looks like we've been set up, Baki growled. Gaara, if you're sure you can handle it, go off and kill all the Odo shinobi you can find. We need to spread the word about the Kazekage. We will not throw our lives away for a Konoha ninja's petty revenge fantasy. Sasuke, as much as I know you like siding with anyone who is out to get vengeance, you already tried that and it would get in the way of your own need for vengeance against Orochimaru, so don't even think about it, Naruto warned. I won't, Sasuke promised. After all, while some may not think preventing us from fighting is enough cause to kill Somi, and well, I've sought vengeance for less. Sakura, I am impressed that you've already managed to kill 10 Odo shinobi, Guy complimented. You seem quite youthful in your eagerness to help keep Konoha safe. I didn't get to work out all my frustration with Sasuke during our match, Sakura explained. And ruining the tournament just so he could invade it really have killed him to wait. Now I'm going to have to deal with a pair of pissed off preteen boys. I am not really sure that I can properly sympathize as the adorable Lee and Niji are not really ones to get pissed off, Guy told her. But whatever helps you keep our home safe. If it's true about Orochimaru, then do you think Hokage-sama be okay? This is really serious. He survived raising Naruto with his sanity more or less intact, didn't he? Sakura replied with a grin. That's not a task for the faint of heart. And besides, he's the Hokage, the leader of the village of Konoha. He's not going to go down easily. Okay, we woke up the others, Kiba announced, running back to them, followed by Ino, Choji, Hinata, Shino, and Team Guy. You mean I woke them up, Shikamaru corrected, lazily making his way back as well. I helped. Kiba insisted. I made sure no one attacked you while you were reviving them. Troublesome, Shikamaru muttered. I should have just gone with my original plan of pretending to be unconscious. I might have even gotten a nap out of the deal. Then why didn't you? Kiba challenged. Is it because you realize that you really want to help protect Konoha after all? No, Shikamaru shook his head and yawned. I just realized that since there are 3 other people with me who could dispel Genjutsu as well, one of them would have probably tried to wake me up. Probably Naruto, as he is the most troublesome. You all proved that you are all either ready to become Chunin or on your way, Guy told them seriously. Even though you are all only genin right now, we need you to help defend Konoha. Can you do that? The genin nodded determinedly. I've got to get back to my team, Sakura said apologetically. I'm sure you guys can handle things up here and I'm also equally sure that they are going to do something stupid. Since God knows I'm somehow the responsible one, I need to make sure they don't get themselves killed. I gave her a considering look before nodding. Alright. Be careful getting down there. Now, the rest of you, listen up. I must confess, Orochimaru said, I would so rather be facing the Sandaime so I could kill him for his betrayal. His betrayal? Minato couldn't believe it. You were the one who was experimenting on not only Konoha citizens but children. Babies, even. I should have been Hokage, Orochimaru growled. He took away my rightful position. I can't blame Jiraiya, I suppose, for wanting his student to become Yondaime, that was his goal since before I met him. Tsunade, I might need later, so I can't seek vengeance on her. You, thought if it weren't for you Sarutobi-sensei would have had no choice but to choose me. And what then? Minato shot back. You would have destroyed us in your mad quest for power. Maybe, maybe not, Orochimaru said dismissively. I didn't come here to talk about the past. Could have fooled me, Kakashi muttered. I may not have the ideal battleground, but I still don't want any interference. Now, my sound 4, put up the barrier. Orochimaru ordered. Minato glanced reflexively around the cage box, only to see that the shinobi with Orochimaru lay on the floor unmoving. Why aren't they putting up the barrier? Orochimaru demanded. Itachi killed them 10 minutes ago, Kakashi informed them, sounding bored. He would have helped, but the younger shinobi seemed to have it well under control, and it seemed kind of poetic to have Itachi killing the ones who had, in another life, tempted Sasuke away from the relative safety of Konoha and towards training with the seriously disturbed Orochimaru and, eventually, ending up with the Akatsuki. Itachi had always been better at silent killing than he had, anyway. Maybe if you were less caught up in your little grudge match, you might have noticed. It doesn't matter, Orochimaru decided finally. I'll kill you either way. Minato responded with a decidedly hostile shuriken cage bunshin no jutsu. One shuriken became dozens and were all flying straight towards Orochimaru. He couldn't possibly avoid them all. Orochimaru clapped his hands together and asked, have you seen my Kuchius? Ito-tensei. It took ages to master, but I consider it well worth my time. It may have taken some sacrifices, but their uselessness failed me anyway, and maybe now we can show Sarutobi-sensei just which one of us deserved the title of Yondaime more. A coffin sprang up in front of him. You know, just the fact that if Minato-sensei had lost he wouldn't be throwing an epic hissy fit and trying to kill everyone makes him a better candidate, even should you win this fight, Kakashi couldn't resist pointing out. Orochimaru glared at him. Nobody asked you. No, but if you're planning on asking the Sandaime he'll just tell you the same thing, Kakashi countered. Albeit, he'll be a lot sadder and more disappointed than I am. A second coffin sprung up and then a third, but Minato quickly made a few hand signs. The first and third coffins creaked open while the second remained stationary. The Shadai's revival didn't work. Orochimaru complained. And I so wanted to see the Mokuton in action. I did sacrifice 59 infants for the chances, after all well, at least there is always the Nidaime and the Sandaime. Sure enough, when the two functional coffins opened fully, they revealed Sarutobi Hiruzen and a man Minato recognized from his portrait to be Senju Tobirama. So you're the Yondaime, Tobirama said. I may not know you, but I have faith in Hiruzen, and if he chose you, you must be a worthy successor. Especially so when you consider the other candidate. He shot a disgusted look at Orochimaru. Orochimaru snorted. Please, like I need your approval. Well, you won't be getting mine either, Sarutobi informed him flatly. He turned to his successor. It's been a long time, Minato. I am pleased to see you're doing so well, even if this isn't exactly the best of circumstances. I never expected to see you again, Minato confessed. I'm sorry that I have to fight you, but Orochimaru is leaving me no choice. Do not blame yourself for doing what needs to be done, Sarutobi said gently. That is what it means to be Hokage, after all. And I do hope that you've stopped blaming yourself for my death. The Kyuubi needed to be stopped and Konoha and Naruto needed you. I was an old man and it was time for me to step aside. Sandaime Sama Minato trailed off. Since I have you here and Orochimaru has yet to do anything to try and control you, can you answer a question for me? Kakashi spoke up. Sarutobi looked surprised. Certainly Kakashi. What do you wish to know? Do you, in any way, blame me for your death? Kakashi demanded. What? No, of course not, Sarutobi assured him. If you hadn't told me of Minato's plan, it is true that he probably would have died in place of me, but it was for the best, and it was my decision. That's what I thought, Kakashi said triumphantly. Could I maybe get that in writing, though? He glanced at Orochimaru. You don't mind, do you? It's kind of important. Be my guest, Orochimaru said, bemused. I'm just going to have them kill you once you're finished, but by all means, assuage your guilt. Kakashi's eye twitched as he pulled out his book. I don't feel guilty no matter what they might say. Okay, Jiraiya signed the front cover, so could you mention that you don't blame me on the back? Maybe it's just because I've been dead for the past 12 years, Sarutobi said as he obligingly absolved Kakashi from blame, but I just don't understand you people anymore. Thanks again for doing this, Kakashi said again. Seriously, you've just saved me many an accusation of murder. That's quite alright, Sarutobi assured him. And really, I don't think I want to know. If you two are quite done with it then it's time to move things along, Orochimaru announced. He took out 2 kunai that had seals attached to them and plunged one into the back of each of the former Hokage's head. Feel free to resume your true appearance now. They look leaner, Minato noted. But other than that, pretty much the same. What did you do? The seal I put in them puts them directly under my control, Orochimaru bragged. And the nice thing about this resurrection technique is it's a form of immortality. Until I stop powering them, they will continue to exist here no matter what you do. If you remove a limb, it will grow back. Every time you knock them down, they will simply get up again. You can't win. So you're saying we need to kill you first, Minato said flatly, staring hard at his former compatriot. Orochimaru laughed. As if you could. Dear Sarutobi-sensei and Nidaime-sama wouldn't let you get anywhere near me, and even if you could manage it, I've seen you in action before. Do you really think I'd come here if I was going to be risking death? Are you Kakashi trailed off incredulously before starting again? Are you honestly telling us that if either of the 2 former Hokages had bothered to move instead of standing right in front of you and within kunai plunging range, they might not have been taken over and we could have avoided all of this? I suppose so, Orochimaru agreed. Too bad for you they didn't. Itachi, Kakashi, Minato said in a low voice. I want you two to go after Orochimaru. I can handle myself against my predecessors, and if anything goes wrong then killing Orochimaru should destroy Sandaime-sama and Nidaime-sama's incarnations. We don't know what steps Orochimaru has taken to try and achieve immortality, so if necessary, Itachi, use the Sakanagi no Tachi. Itachi nodded. Understood, Hokage-sama. Don't I, Minato-sensei, Kakashi said, knowing very well that this battle had cost Sarutobi his life, although he wasn't clear on the details. Something about sealing Orochimaru's arms. Wouldn't dream of it, Minato promised. I will not fall to the likes of Orochimaru. Oh, so the 2 of you are going to be facing me now? Orochimaru asked, arching an eyebrow at them. I had so wanted to watch Minato deep it I suppose that this will at least give me something to do while he realizes that resistance is futile and abandons all hope of surviving. If I hurry, I might even get done in time to watch Yondaime-sama's death. You're confident, Itachi said quietly. Immortal people often are, Orochimaru replied. And I mean real immortality, not those parlor tricks of Haiden's. Why we're considering letting him join is beyond might would be so much easier if Kakuzu just learned some self-control. If you're immortal and not even slightly worried about Minato-sensei kicking your ass, then why did you feel the need to summon 2 dead people to stand between the 2 of you? Kakashi asked innocently. I don't need to explain myself to the likes of you, Kakashi, Orochimaru sniffed. And I know who you are. Indeed? Itachi asked rhetorically. You're the one who pinned your massacre on me. Orochimaru exclaimed. My massacre? Itachi repeated. I'm afraid I don't know what you mean. I wasn't anywhere near Konoha that night and yet somehow everyone blames me for wiping out such an honorable and distinguished clan, Orochimaru hissed. The acclaim was appreciated, but being held responsible for wiping out such a powerful bloodline. I've come to feel it is not worth it. I fail to see how that is my fault, Itachi told him. Anko was the one who identified you that night. I'm sure she was, Orochimaru said patronizingly. That girl never did like me after I left. He thinks she might have abandonment issues. Still, I wonder what dear little Sasuke-kun would have to say about all of this. He was such a delight when we met in the forest. Itachi's eyes flashed. I will kill you before allowing you anywhere near my brother again. You can try, Orochimaru invited. The Sharingan might be a good deal rarer than it once was, but that only adds to its value. I've always wanted an Uchiha, you know, and now it seems fate has seen fit to give me one. You mean like a pet? Kakashi felt compelled to ask. Or do you mean more like a sex toy? Itachi eyed his fellow Konoha shinobi reproachfully, but said nothing. At least not now, although after the invasion was over might very well be a different story. What? No. Orochimaru insisted. I am not a pedophile. I just want his body. There was an awkward silence. Are you sure you're not a pedophile? Kakashi asked finally. Because from the sounds of it. Yes, I'm sure, Orochimaru cut him off. He opened his mouth wide and a snake extended from it. Oh, that is just gross, Kakashi exclaimed. What, did you eat a snake now? Does one live in your intestines? On second thought, I really don't want to know. If you are going to complain every time Orochimaru does something disturbing, this is going to take twice as long, Itachi told him. And once this battle is over, we will still be needed to deal with the rest of the invasion. I know, it's just Kakashi trailed off as the snake's mouth opened to reveal a blade that shot forward in his general direction. Once the sword was gone, the snake receded back into Orochimaru's throat and he shut his mouth. Jumping out of the way, Kakashi continued, if he was just going to use the snake to store the sword, why even bother with that? Is he just trying to be creepy? I know you can swallow swords without the aid of reptiles, because God knows I've seen Anko do it often enough. Kakashi felt that even now, he still wasn't a match for Orochimaru. Minato definitely was, but he was a little busy at the moment. Even Sasuke had only managed to beat him because the snake Sannin was already suffering the effects of his borrowed body's breakdown, even if Sasuke usually denied it. Not that that really reflected badly on either of them, except Sasuke really should have put himself in a position where he was so close to being assimilated since Orochimaru had proven capable of standing up to Naruto when he was using four tails. Really, the only person he knew of to defeat Orochimaru in anything resembling a fair fight was Itachi, and he'd pulled it off at 13 or so, and thus, Kakashi was perfectly happy to leave the snake fighting to the Uchiha and deal with the legendary sword himself. Unfortunately, said legendary sword had this annoying tendency to be able to slice through anything. Well, anything except multi-tailed Jinchuriki chakra, and Kakashi was sadly bereft of that. Fortunately for him, tossing random kunai, exploding tags, or even jutsus at the Kusanagi no Tsurugi KK no Tachi was enough to slow it down, as even though he was just essentially stalling, doing nothing but running away would be really embarrassing. It might even convince Orochimaru not to waste his precious sword on him and recall it, meaning he would be no help whatsoever. Kakashi stopped suddenly and almost got impaled as a result when he saw Agent Flaming humanoid spirit surrounding Itachi. That must be Susanoo. Orochimaru paused for a second to whisper in wonderment, the Sakanagi no Tachi. All these years and you've had it. I knew there was a reason I hated you. Almost before Orochimaru finished his odd declaration, Susanoo stabbed him with the Kusanagi's perfect counter. Almost immediately, Orochimaru seemed to melt into the sword. Without Orochimaru to guide it, the Kusanagi dropped lifeless to the ground. I've always wanted an unbreakable sword, Kakashi mused, picking it up. Or at least I have since that thing started chasing me. Sasuke will probably steal it from me first chance he gets, though. After all, the fact that he kept calling his sword Kusanagi kind of suggests an active interest on his part. Itachi quickly dropped the Susanoo, and he and Kakashi turned as one to see how Minato was faring. Minato was standing back and watching as two clones of his held the Sandaime and Nidaime in place. An arm was extending out of each clone's abdomen and into that of each former Hokage's. Sorry, Yondaime-sama, the Nidaime apologized, a wry smile on his face. We've caused a lot of trouble for you. You're doing a great job, Minato, Sarutobi said gently. I knew made the right choice. I'm sorry, the Minato watching the exchange told them. Rest in peace. With that, the arms pulled the souls out of the two dead leaders and they collapsed onto the ground in a pile of ash and former sound shinobi. Such disregard for the lives of his followers, Minato said ruefully, shaking his head. Hey, if Sandaime-sama's soul was basically eaten by a Shinigami and then Orochimaru brought him Haritos, that mean Orochimaru inadvertently essentially saved him from eternal suffering? Kakashi wondered. Minato cocked his head. I don't know if it would incredibly ironic if it were the case. So Orochimaru's gone. Itachi nodded. Yes, Hokage-sama. I sealed him with the Sakanagi no Tachi. I was unaware you could use clones for sealing of that sort. Minato nodded. For people, yes, if you have enough chakra. For Bijuathi are too powerful for that and need a living sacrifice, or we all could have been saved a lot of trouble. I should have known that Orochimaru would prove useless, a cold voice remarked. Kakashi spun around to see Madara, looking very much like his avatar Tobi, cosily leaning against a wall. But still, his fanatically devoted cannon fodder helped make this invasion possible. Madara, Itachi said finally. Why hello, Itachi, Madara greeted cordially. It's been years, hasn't it? I don't believe I've seen you since the massacre. You forgot about our deal, didn't you? I help you brutally murder every one of our brethren save little Sasuke, and you join me at Akatsuki. Things changed, Itachi replied. Orochimaru was blamed and I did not have to leave. Be that as it may, Itachi, a promise is a promise, and I really would have thought you'd have been raised to respect that, Madara mock lectured. Still, it's not too late to join me. I will never betray Konoha, Itachi declared. We shall see, Madara said, sounding amused. Kakashi, Minato said quietly. Leave this to Itachi and I. What? Kakashi protested. But. Go find Naruto, Minato ordered. Sakura and Sasuke are probably with him and knowing them, they're probably getting in over their heads. Keep my son alive, Kakashi. Reluctantly, Kakashi nodded. Don't make him an orphan, Minato-sensei. And God knows the last thing Sasuke needs is to lose more family members. You know, for an invasion this is really kind of boring, Sasuke complained as he cut down yet another Odo shinobi. They had had to face a few Suna shinobi earlier in the fight, but the message that Orochimaru had betrayed them and killed their Kazukiage seemed to have spread through Suna's ranks at this point. It may be a little monotonous since we're just facing grunts, Sakura acknowledged. But you can't honestly say you're bored. Did I mention that when that man was trying to see how close I was to be ready to get possessed by him, he had me fight 100 Odo shinobi, and I took them down without killing any of them or getting a scratch on me? Sasuke asked. That's great, Sasuke. Naruto beamed. Sasuke shrugged. Not really. I mean, these were maybe Chunin level shinobi I'm talking about. Do you remember when Shikamaru made Chunin? Granted, he was brilliant, but if you stayed out of range of his shadow, he was not much of a challenge back then. He did pretend to be unconscious so he wouldn't have to do anything during the invasion, Sakura conceded. True, Naruto admitted. But actually, I was talking about how great it was that you didn't kill them. Even if they were Odo shinobi and thus evil by default. Sasuke asked innocently. Naruto hesitated before nodding firmly. Even then. You know, from what I can tell Naruto, most of the Odo shinobi were just as messed up as Sasuke, Sakura pointed out. So when I see Orochimaru I think awful, a lot of things, really, none of them positive. One of those things is a Pied Piper. Most of those children didn't really have caring friends and a great support network should they have ever chosen to utilize it like Sasuke, but other than that it was pretty much the same situation. Naruto groaned. Don't make me start seeing them as victims, Sakura. You're going to make me compelled to save them all. Sasuke snorted. As long as Orochimaru's alive for them to obsess over, you can't save any of them. Then it's a good thing Itachi just killed Orochimaru, huh? Kakashi asked, shining over to them. I know Itachi's insanely awesome and all, Naruto said, confused, but I thought Orochimaru was kind of, you know, immortal. I meant sealed away for all eternity, Kakashi amended. Much better than when Sasuke tried to seal Orochimaru inside of him. God knows what would have happened had Itachi not been there when he broke loose. I had it under control, Sasuke claimed. So Orochimaru's gone, huh? I would have liked to have been there, but I suppose I already beat him, and the Susanoo is the most effective way of getting rid of him. He did use the Susanoo, didn't he? He did, Kakashi agreed. And right now and your father, Naruto, are facing Madara. Sasuke's head snapped up. Where? They're not going off on another suicide quest, Sakura said firmly. Let the two insanely powerful shinobi deal with it. You just get in the way. I promised I wouldn't go looking for him, but he's here now, Sasuke burst out. And he's fighting my brother. You can't expect me to do nothing. I can and I do, Kakashi said seriously. Either of them would kill me if I let you guys anywhere near that fight. Killing him once was not enough, Sasuke growled. Madara did do everything in his power to get your clan wiped out, Naruto agreed. But you aren't the only one who suffered because of that decision. Let Itachi get vengeance this time, okay? But he doesn't even want vengeance. Sasuke protested. Them helping to kill Madara would still be avenging the Uchiha, Naruto insisted. Sasuke thought about it for a long terrible moment where his teammates were left wondering if they'd need to incapacitate him so he'd stay out of a fight he was nowhere near ready for and what to do with him if they did. Finally, Sasuke spoke. Fine. But I'm going to need to kill something in the next 2 minutes or so help me. There was a dark chuckle a few feet away. Now isn't that a man after my own heart? The quick glance showed the speaker was Kisame. Sasori and Kakuzu were standing with him. So the Akatsuki was there after all. What are you guys doing here? Naruto demanded. I didn't think village destroying was your style. It's not, Kisame agreed. But nothing wrong with having a little fun while on a Jinchuriki hunt, is there? Our sources say that you are one of our targets, little boy, Sasori said from inside his puppet armor. Namek is Naruto, host of the Kyuubi, correct? Naruto glared defiantly. Just try it. Oh, we intend to, Kisame chuckled. He stabbed the ground suddenly with his sword. I hate snakes, he said by way of explanation. They remind me of that snake. What is this? Guy asked, appearing on the scene by way of kicking Kisame in the head. 3 members of the fiendish and most unyouthful group that Orochimaru belonged to are ganging up on my most hip rival and his youthful students. I'm not your rival, Kakashi insisted but, as per usual, Guy seemed not to hear him. Excessive youth really did seem to give you selective hearing. Kisame climbed to his feet. And what the hell was that? You come out of nowhere and kick me in the head. Isn't that unyouthful or whatever? No, Guy said cheerfully. That's my way of saying that I will youthfully take you on to give my comrades a better chance. Be careful, Sakura cautioned. His sword absorbs chakra. I instantly reverted to his trademark good guy pose. Then it is a good thing that I intend to get through this fight using only Taijutsu. You see Lee? This is a perfect example of when it is not only possible but in fact comes in handy to not rely on chakra when you fight. Yes, Guy-sensei. Lee cheered from some trees a good way off. The other genin who were left with Guy were standing with him. And stay out of the way, Guy added. It would be most unyouthful if one of you were to be injured in this most youthful fight. Fine by me, Shikamaru agreed, sounding almost pleased. This whole invasion is far too troublesome for my tastes anyway. Witnesses, Sasuke muttered, looking murderous. Of all the times for us to have witnesses, they pick now to show up. At least we don't have to fight Kisame, whispered Naruto. I think I only fought Kisame once and got my ass kicked while Guy defeated him twice. Besides, what do you want him to do? Take his fight and his charges and out of hearing range. That would be nice, Sasuke nodded. Yes, that is exactly what I want. That's really too bad, Sakura told them flatly. You couldn't actually provide a decent excuse and I refuse to let you sink low enough as to tell him this spot is unyouthful. Alright, Kakashi said loudly to get their attention before dropping his voice back down to let's not let our enemies hear everything we're doing levels. Naruto and I have fought Kakuzu before and Sakura has bested Sasori. I know you had Chio with you last time and, as his grandmother, was bound to be a great help but at least you'll have Sasuke with you. Can I trade him for Naruto? Sakura asked immediately. What? Why would you want Naruto? Sasuke demanded indignantly. Sorry, Sakura, Kakashi apologized. We kind of need Naruto against Kakuzu because of his upgraded Rasengan. Not to mention my debilitating fear of puppets, Naruto chimed in. Don't tell me you've forgotten about that already. Then can I switch? Sakura changed tactics. Or, I might be able to do this alone. Oh come on, Sasuke said impatiently, rolling his eyes as he dragged his teammate off to face Sasori. So you two are my opponents, huh? Kakuzu asked rhetorically. Had a Kakashi I haven't checked, but I'm willing to bet that you have a huge bounty on you. I look forward to collecting it. And you, Jinchuriki tree not to make me kill you because otherwise our leader will be most displeased. You, Sasori, Kisame, Orochimaru, Tobi Kakashi listed off. That's at least 5 members of the Akatsuki here today. You can't possibly all be here for Naruto. No, Kakuzu admitted. Tobi really wanted to come and there was no persuading him otherwise. Odd, I hate him. Kisame called over, looking up from his valiant attempt to behead Guy. It's like he doesn't have an off switch, I swear. Why couldn't I have a quiet partner? I shouldn't be the stoic all the time. It's not natural. It's because you are so unyouthful, Guy explained as landed a well-placed kick on Kisame's chest and sent him flying. And this whole thing was Orochimaru's doing so Sasori had to come, Kakuzu admitted. And I am here because there was a rumor that Shukaku is here as well. Know anything about that? Not a thing, Naruto lied. And trust me, I'd know. I have Jinchuriki senses. If you all seem to have partners, where's yours? Kakashi asked, looking around warily for Haiden. Kakuzu shrugged. Damn kid wouldn't shut up so I killed him about 20 minutes ago. Let me tell you, Tobi is so lucky our leader won't let him be alone with me under any circumstances. He stiffened suddenly as a Rikiri-infused punch went straight through him. What? Yeah, I am that awesome, Kakashi said triumphantly before dispersing. The real Kakashi was standing behind Kakuzu with his arm through the ancient missing nin's chest. Kakuzu waited until Kakashi removed his invasive appendage before saying with a smirk, you really think it will be that easy to defeat me? I wouldn't have made it nearly this long if it were. Maybe that isn't enough to kill you, Kakashi agreed. But if landing really should be lethal blows is that easy this won't take long. You won't get the element of surprise twice, Kakuzu promised. He ripped off his Akatsuki cloak and unceremoniously threw it to the side. You may have broken one of my masks, but I've still got 3 more just waiting to tear you apart. He closed his eyes and groaned. Having trouble over there? Naruto asked politely. No, I think I'm doing fine, Kakuzu replied. You won't be, though. At that, 4 hairy masked creatures burst forth from his back and landed behind him. The one that Kakashi had hit promptly fell over and died, but the other 3 looked quite impressive, if a little gross. One of the masks opened its mouth and a beam of blue at Naruto, who quickly jumped out of the way. A second mask fired yellow at Naruto the moment he landed, and it hit him head-on. Ow, he complained. Hey, what's with the extra hating on me? Kakashi's the one who broke your stupid mask monster. You can take more damage than I can, Kakashi pointed out. That doesn't mean I want to, Naruto returned. The red mask took that moment to fire a burst of red a few feet in front of it. The red, of course, turned into fire that raged quickly in Kakashi's direction. Thank you so much for that, Naruto, Kakashi said dryly as he rushed to escape the flames. Hey, don't look at me. Kakuzu did it. Naruto defended. You gave him the idea, Kakashi accused. Naruto crossed his arms. Oh please, he's a missing nin that's practically as old as Madara. I'm sure he's picked up a few good killing people idea on his own. Before I was even born. We still have to destroy 4 more hearts before we kill him, Kakashi reminded Naruto. I'll do what I can with Rikiri and then you need to handle the rest, but you can't slip into Sage mode, so be careful. I will, Naruto nodded. But why do we have to take out his hearts? Why can't we just destroy his lungs or his brain or something? I'm pretty sure he only has one brain. That might actually be a plan, Kakashi said, sounding surprised. He glanced quickly at Kakuzu. I don't think he heard us, which is good or that would never work. Since you've just been sitting here watching and are far better with Kage Bushin than I could ever hope to be, I'll continue playing by his rules and you try and use a clone or two to sneak up behind him and blow his head off. Okay, Naruto nodded. It would be really helpful if you could make sure that he was looking in the opposite direction so he can't see what I'm doing in his peripheral vision and I'll make sure to mask my clone's chakra. Make sure you aim for the brain, Kakashi ordered. He may have more lungs on him and you're living proof that a destroyed lung is not necessarily a death sentence. And you have to destroy the brain, not just remove his head, because if the stitches on his neck are any indication, he's been there, done that, and came through just fine. Kakashi shunshined over to behind Kakuzu. Don't tell me you've fallen asleep on me. Seriously, I know you're old and full of old pride or whatever, but when you can't stay awake for your matches and those matches don't involve Shikamaru, it's really time to consider retirement. Kakuzu sensibly spun around to avoid having yet another heart destroyed. I'm torn between tearing out your still beating heart to replace the one you stole and just killing you now. Do you have any preferences? Kakashi shrugged. Not really, but it doesn't matter because you're not going to kill me. Are you so certain? Kakuzu taunted as another tower of fire came hurtling Kakashi's way. Kakashi jumped back and used a Suiton Seijin Heki to try and calm the flames. No go, he murmured. Must have been combined with wind. Bread shot out of Kakuzu's arm and wrapped tightly around Kakashi's leg, pulling him to the ground. Well, this is awkward, Kakashi noted as Kakuzu stood over him. I've decided, Kakuzu announced. Your heart is mine now. He stopped suddenly when he felt 2 hands grab the back of his head. Naruto released a Senjutsu. Rasengan at point-blank range. The 3 remaining mask monsters jerked and fell over unmoving, and Kakuzu himself was missing the top third of his body. I think I got him, Naruto said with a smirk. Damn it, Naruto. I was right there, Kakashi complained as he pushed himself to his feet. Seriously, I could have been killed. And what did I tell you about using Sage mode? Sorry, Naruto apologized, allowing himself to exit Sage mode. But I wasn't sure the Rasengan would be powerful enough in the Futon. Rasen Shuriken is too loud. He would have been on the alert and I may not have been able to hit him. But now people will be able to sense you use that chakra and if nobody else Jiraiya is going to realize what that means and have a lot of questions for you about how you manage that without going to see the toads, Kakashi pointed out. You know, considering I just saved your life, you could be a little more grateful, Naruto sniffed. Kakashi rolled his eyes. I could have handled it. And now we have to deal with telling people about us. So? Naruto shrugged. We probably should have from the beginning. Kakashi sighed. You and the others can claim you were taking your cues from me, but I have to explain why I couldn't be bothered explaining this for the last 15 years. Sucks to be you, Naruto said flippantly. Your empathy is touching, Kakashi said sarcastically. I do try, Naruto said modestly. But really, how bad could it be? Who do we have to tell? Jiraiya, of course, Kakashi said. Because he'll be able to tell something's wrong from the Sage Chakra. He'll insist on telling Minato, so that's 2. Who are we telling what? Sakura asked, bounding over to him followed by Sasuke. Naruto used Sage Chakra, so now we have to come clean too, at the very least, Jiraiya and Minato, Kakashi summarized. You're an idiot, Sasuke said bluntly. I thought you weren't going to use that. I wasn't, Naruto admitted. But it seemed like the most efficient plan. But now we've got to tell people, Sakura grumbled, running a hand through her hair. Definitely not my parents. They'll never understand and they'll be happier not knowing. I mean, coming back because the world ended or Naruto or Sasuke died might freak them out, but they could understand it. Coming back pretty much for the hell of it and it's so much. It wasn't just for the hell of it, Kakashi protested. My life is about 1,000 times better now than it was at the same point in the other timeline. Mine too, Naruto was quick to agree. And mine, Sasuke added. Well, I was fine with the way things turned out, Sakura informed them. So I couldn't get them to understand. We could lie and say that the world did end, Kakashi suggested that seems more responsible of us. But then there's always the problem of why didn't we tell anyone if the situation was so dire, Sasuke pointed out. And I don't like lying to my dad, Naruto confessed. And the Hokage to boot. Fine, Kakashi conceded. We'll tell Minato and Jiraiya the truth. Anyone else? It wouldn't feel right not telling Tsunade-sensei, Sakura offered. I mean, she was our Hokage when we left, after all, and she's on the council. Any objections? Kakashi asked. When there were none, he continued, okay, that's 3 people so far. Anyone else? We can't tell Obito and Rin, Sasuke declared. They probably wouldn't appreciate hearing that they just died ignobly long ago, and there's no way they'd be able to handle that the Hokage had our family killed via Itachi. But speaking of, he sighed. He's always worrying I'm going to find out the truth and hate him. Even though I really don't want to, I should probably let him know that I forgive him, and I can't do that if he doesn't know. And I suppose that if I'm going to be spending the rest of my life with her, Anko should know, too, Kakashi decided reluctantly. Sofits Jiraiya, Minato, Tsunade, Itachi, and Anko. 5 people. That sound about right. Yeah, that should be good, Naruto agreed. You do realize that if this inconveniences us in the slightest we're going to kill you, right? Sakura asked. You can try, Naruto told her. But I have an army of Kage Bushin and a collection of friends at my disposal, so you all can just bring it on. So you both have finished your most youthful matches? Guy asked, approaching them, followed by his protege. Did either of you capture your opponent or were you forced to kill them? Bikuzu was an incredibly dangerous foe with a penchant for stealing hearts, so we decided it was best to simply kill him, Kakashi replied. Not to mention it's kind of hard not to kill someone with the Rasengan, Naruto added. And if we were to try, it would have involved a lot of unnecessary attacks on poor disturbing mass creatures. We might have tried to capture Sasori alive, Sakura said. But it was difficult to get near him due to his use of highly potent poison, and so Sasuke eventually just used Amaterasu on him. To be fair, Sasuke defended. He was apparently an actual puppet and I had no way of knowing that. Oh, was he? Naruto asked, shivering. Good thing I fought Mask Guy instead then. The last thing this world needs is sentient puppets. He paused. Well, the second last thing. The actual last thing we need is more revenge-obsessed morons, but that goes without saying, right Sasuke? I quite agree, Sasuke said with a nod. Morons ruin everything. I was more talking about the vengeance part, Naruto corrected. You know, given that you were using the freaking Amaterasu, I think it would have burned him alive, even if he hadn't turned himself into a puppet, Sakura pointed out. But he wasn't, so I didn't, Sasuke countered. How did your fight go, Guy? Kakashi inquired, hoping to forestall an argument about semantics. It was most youthful, Guy answered, as if it could have possibly been anything else. He seemed a little unsure of what to do since his sword could not absorb the chakra I was not using, and he ended up summoning a lake in the middle of our battle, but my youthfulness carried the day, and I knocked him out and tied him up. I have never been so inspired before in my life. Lee exclaimed. I now see beyond a shadow of a doubt that working without chakra is not only possible, but can be an advantage. It all depends on how hard you work, Guy agreed. And I know you, my adorable student, will work harder than anyone. Turning back to Kakashi, he continued, since the other 2 are dead, Hokage-sama can't have Kisame interrogated after this is all over. Good plan, Kakashi replied. Now, let's go finish ridding the village of Odo Shinobi. Naruto. Minato called upon seeing his son. The invasion was over, and the ninja that were not too gravely injured were meeting back in the ruins of the stadium. Hey, Dad, Naruto greeted with a grin. The rest of his team was standing back a few feet, trying to pretend they weren't eavesdropping. Did you kill the bad guy? I did, Minato acknowledged. And unlike most cases, this time I can objectively and diplomatically declare him the bad guy. Yeah, Sasuke really wanted to go fight him once Kakashi said you were facing Madara apparently hated his family and abandoned them a long time ago. We wouldn't let him, though, Naruto informed him, hoping his father wouldn't ask about his hesitation. Minato, who had been glaring at Kakashi for even mentioning that much, relaxed. That's good. He was a very dangerous opponent and Sasuke would have just ended up getting hurt. We had our own problems to deal with anyway, Naruto continued. Guy was fighting a sushi man, Sasuke and Sakura took out a possessed puppet, and Kakashi and I killed some masked guy who said he fought the Shodai. Apparently they were Orochimaru's friends that secretly hated him. What? Minato exclaimed, bending down to check his son for injuries. You're not hurt, are you? Naruto dutifully withstood the examination with barely an exasperated eye roll. No, I'm fine. Kakashi made me stay back while he did all the fighting because apparently it was dangerous and he didn't want to get lectured to death about the unyouthfulness of irresponsibility or some other such nonsense. That was okay, though, because then I got to sneak up behind him and blow his head off with my version of the Rasengan. Minato looked a little alarmed at that. You literally blew someone's head off. You're only a genin. Well, technically it was more like the upper third of his body, but it's really the same thing, Naruto admitted. And hopefully my genin status will be short-lived or else I swear to God I'm running away to Suna. Are you threatening me to get a promotion? Minato asked incredulously and a bit worriedly. Because you know the last thing I want to do is have you killed, but genin can't really go wandering off by themselves. It's not a threat, Naruto assured his father. It's just the only appropriate response to the prospect of a year of springtime of youth. Sakura and Sasuke would probably agree to come with me if it comes to that. Sasuke's always more than up for a change of scenery anyway. We'll deal with your lack of promotion if it comes to that, Minato promised. In the meantime, don't even think of leaving. And are Sasuke and Sakura okay? Huh? Oh, yeah, they're fine. In fact, Naruto confided. I heard Sasuke complimenting Sakura on her one-hit puppet destroying. I should probably say something about that too, because the two of them really did the world a favor tonight. Minato sighed and shook his head. We have got to look into getting you therapy for this puppet issue of yours. Or maybe Obito could talk to you about it. Are you sure that's necessary? Naruto asked, really not looking forward to the prospect of seeing a therapist now that his problems had mostly resolved themselves. I mean, after what happened with that Sasori guy, I feel totally vindicated. We'll talk about it later. For now, I've got to have a quick meeting with the daimyo and the other judges before they leave to see who gets promoted. Hopefully, even though we didn't get a chance to finish the exam, we got through enough that there will be at least one brand new Chunin. After that, I've got to organize the rebuilding, so you may be off the hook for a while, Minato told him. Oh, Minato-sensei, Kakashi said, giving up any pretense of not having been paying attention to their conversation. I still have that recommendation sheet Orochimaru gave me earlier. Do you want that? Minato blinked. I'd actually completely forgotten about that. I can see why he'd give it to you before Sasuke and Gaara's match, but why would he even write one out if he was trying to kill me? Maybe it was a contingency plan in case he lost. Considering he had to sit through all those matches, maybe he wanted to get at least something out of it, Kakashi suggested. So do you want it or should I just keep using it as a bookmark? We may as well take it into consideration given that while he was not actually Kazekage, he was the leader of Odo, which has been recognized as legitimate enough to send candidates, Minato decided. And honestly, I'm a little curious as to who he thought should make the cut. Is there anything else, Minato-sensei? Kakashi asked. Just one more thing, do you have any reservations about your team getting promoted? Minato inquired. I understand if you have any reservations about telling me you think your students are insane in front of them, so if you want to let me know later that's fine. On the contrary, Kakashi lied through his teeth. I have never before met such happy, well-adjusted individuals. Thank you so much for that Naruto, Kakashi said sarcastically once Team 7 was alone. They had, naturally, decided to forego helping to deal with the aftermath of the invasion until they got a chance to compare notes and were sitting in the middle of their old training ground, which was mercifully unmarred by the invasion. Don't mention it. Anyone who's not a revenge-obsessed idiot would have done the same, Naruto replied automatically. But what did I do? You told your father that I told you about Madara. Kakashi reminded him. Yeah, that was kind of a bad idea, Sakura agreed. I kept waiting for you to shut up, but I couldn't do anything as I was too far away to hit you, and I couldn't say anything because I couldn't explain and don't want them to think we're not fit to pass the MSR. We're probably not, Sasuke spoke up. Don't say that. Naruto cried out. We'll pass it and we'll avoid guys training, believe it. Do you? Sasuke challenged. Well, you see Naruto hedged. If he did he probably wouldn't have threatened to run away from home, Sakura pointed out. Do you think that will negatively affect us? Sasuke wondered aloud. I didn't threaten it, exactly, Naruto corrected. And I hope not. It's kind of meant to have the opposite effect. And it's a hyperbole, right Naruto? Kakashi asked. Silence. Right, Naruto? Kakashi repeated, louder this time. Because if you leave and your father kills me, I am so going to plague your dreams with visions of me eating ramen and not letting you have any for the rest of your life. I'm already not on his good side for telling you about Madara. You can always come with me, Naruto offered with a weak smile. And I forgot we weren't supposed to know about him yet. I kind of panicked when I realized that even if you did mention him, Sasuke would need a reason to want to go looking for him. Especially since I don't have a reputation of wanting to complete my family massacre like I had last time, Sasuke agreed. And I fully acknowledge that there are better times and places than a high-profile fight in the middle of an invasion for a family reunion. So what even happened? You said something about Itachi sealing Orochimaru away forever? Sakura asked curiously. Oh, right. Well, Orochimaru gave me a list of names for who he thought should make Chunin. Kakashi began. Are we on there? Naruto interrupted. Kakashi shot him an annoyed look. I don't know. I didn't read it. Well you should have, Naruto muttered, crossing his arms. Even I managed to beat him, I probably made the list, Sasuke declared confidently. Sakura rolled her eyes. Given that he's in love with you, you probably are the list. Careful, Sakura, Sasuke cautioned. You sound jealous. Of you? Sakura made a face. I'd rather date Ino. That wasn't quite what I meant, Sasuke replied. Although it is a nice thought, Naruto said dreamily. The only reason I'm not smacking you for being a pervert is because I was the one brought it up, Sakura informed him matter-of-factly. Duly noted, Naruto gulped. If you guys are quite finished, Kakashi said quickly, then I could tell you how Orochimaru was indeed pretending to be the Kazekage and summoned Minato-sensei's predecessors. Fortunately, Minato-sensei managed to do something to stop the Shodai from returning, but he still had to face the Nidaime and the Sandaime. You killed, Team 7 intoned together. Kakashi's eyes crinkled excitedly and he whipped out his book. I thought you might say that, which is why I brought this. You brought porn to show us that you didn't kill the Sandaime. Sakura was decidedly unimpressed. No, Kakashi shook his head and flipped to the back cover. Read this. I, Saratobi Hiruzen, being of relatively sound mind though a makeshift body, do hereby absolve Hada Kakashi from all possible guilt in my death. Without his information, I may still be among the living, but my successor would not be, and I made my own decisions. Although I still don't see why this is so important that we need to do this now, Sakura dutifully read. And for that matter, neither do I. You did what? Naruto couldn't believe it. And Orochimaru just let you do it. Kakashi shrugged. He seemed confused but pretty apathetic about the whole thing, actually. You realize that this changes nothing, right? Sasuke asked him seriously. What? Kakashi cried out. Come on, I got a dead guy to give written proof that he doesn't hold me accountable. What more do you want? The Sandaime was brought back to life by the Orochimaru's Kuchius. Ito Tensei, which could very well have unintentional side effects like skewed judgment, Sasuke answered. And even if it doesn't, you could have forged his handwriting. Or maybe he's just trying to appease your guilt. Or it could be that since he doesn't actually know that you're from a different timeline where he died today, he doesn't appreciate just how much his death is your entire fault. All of those are excellent suggestions, Sakura smiled. I think I'm partial to the last one. Naruto nodded. Me too. Kakashi hung his head. I pull off the impossible and it's still not good enough for you people. It's your own damn fault for telling us that you're the reason my father is alive and old man Hokage isn't, Naruto told him unsympathetically. If you had said something about how either Obito or Rin did something, then things would be different. Then you wouldn't keep accusing me of killing him. Kakashi asked hopefully. Oh no, we still would, Sakura corrected. But it would be inadvertent then. Less murder and more manslaughter, if you will. I hate you all, Kakashi said flatly. Yes, Naruto said impatiently. We're horrible people for holding you accountable for your actions. I know, Kakashi nodded. Especially since you never hold anything Sasuke does against him. That's because Uchiha are immune from the consequences of their actions, Sasuke explained. Unless, of course, the person dealing the consequences is another Uchiha. Ain't that the truth, Sakura muttered. But seriously, get on with it. Alright, Kakashi agreed reluctantly. Minato took on the Nidaime and Sandaime and managed to seal them away via shadow clone sacrificing, while Itachi used Susanoo on Orochimaru and I was distracting Orochimaru's sword. You mean the sword? Sasuke asked, holding up Orochimaru's Kusanagi sword. What Yuan did you take that? Kakashi demanded. A while ago, Sasuke replied unhelpfully. Why? Kakashi pressed. Sasuke shrugged. Sujetsu got me into the habit of sword collecting, he said by way of explanation. Before, well anyway, I also took Kisam's, but that's rather bulky and he may want it back at some point, so I'm hiding it in a storage scroll until everything's settled with him. Naruto started laughing. You had to fight against a sword. Hey, you got your ass kicked by Kisam's, Kakashi shot back. So? Naruto didn't see the relevance. It stole chakra. You also got your ass kicked by Orochimaru while you were transformed up to 4 tails, Kakashi continued. Naruto made a face. Point. After that, Madara showed up, mentioned how he was ticked Itachi never joined Akatsuki like he promised, and Minato-sensei sent me after you guys. He seemed to think you'd do something stupid, Kakashi concluded. Like take on members of the Akatsuki? Sakura queried. I think that would most definitely fit the bill, Kakashi agreed. Although in our defense he found us, not the other way around. And we won, Naruto felt compelled to add. That's very important. Of course we did, Sasuke said matter-of-factly. I always win. I don't know, Sasuke, Naruto said slowly. I seem to recall you losing to a man who was legally blind, literally drowning in his own blood, and trying to let you win. Sasuke glared at him. I so won that fight. Yeah, if by win you mean your opponent died right as he had you cornered, Naruto scoffed. He's lucky he did too, or else he would have had some explaining to do. Yeah, for all you've spent most of the exam calling me useless, I can honestly say that's never happened to me, Sakura chimed in. I hate you all, Sasuke echoed Kakashi's earlier sentiment. At least we still like each other, Naruto told Sakura. Our friendship has seen us through many an emo mood swing, Sakura agreed. What did you guys do before I found you? Kakashi inquired. I heard guys shouting something about how Orochimaru had killed and replaced the Kazekage, and so I'm assuming that was you, but how did you know? We didn't, Sakura replied. But Naruto thought that it was a valid possibility and might unbalance some of the Suna forces. We didn't expect the entirety of the Suna shinobi to realize we were right and switch sides in the middle of the invasion. Although it certainly made things easier, Naruto remarked. And Gaara had all but defected at that point anyway, so I think Baki and his siblings were just glad they could stay on the same side. I'm still not happy the invasion couldn't have waited until after the exam, Sasuke scowled. And Naruto and I will definitely need to have our match soon. He paused. But for the record, I totally beat Gaara. 3 days after the invasion, the results of the exams were finally ready, and so the Chunin hopefuls and their sensei were gathered in Minato's office, which had not suffered any extensive damage and had quickly been repaired. Why are we all being called in here? Sakura whispered. There was a ceremony after I made Chunin with Choji and Ino, granted, but after the original invasion I was with Shikamaru when he got the news. Basically, one of the Chunin who worked at the Hokage Tower just threw a vest at him, congratulated him, and left. I'm sure they didn't just throw it at him, Naruto said skeptically. He had a lot of faith in the ninja he wanted to someday rule govern, but he knew that Sakura would know better than anyone else, since it never actually happened to anyone who hadn't been time traveling. Sasuke and Kakashi had been made comatose by Itachi, and he himself was off trying to convince Tsunade to come back and take up the mantle of Hokage. He decided it was too troublesome to duck, and the zipper caught him in the forehead and left a red mark for days, Sakura informed him. Although he later said he should have just gotten out of the way because having to explain to everyone why he had a zipper-shaped indentation on his head was even more troublesome. Last time they probably kept things more low-key because the Sandaime was dead, Itachi snuck back into Konoha and managed to have a nice lunch and do God knows what else before being detected and then took on 3 Jounin at once and won, and Kakashi and I were in the hospital, Sasuke answered. Besides, Suna's change of heart means there was a lot less damage done than could have been. I know that they were in the exam and all, but why are they even here? Kiba demanded loudly, pointing at Temari, Baki, and Gaara. Why do you ask me such questions? Shino complained. You just answered it yourself. But they betrayed us by allying with that one snake guy and helped to invade. Kiba cried. Yeah, for about 2 minutes, Temari scoffed. Then we realized that we, too, had been betrayed and helped save your precious Konoha. It's still weird, Kiba insisted, crossing his arms. Oh, you have no idea, she said, unconsciously eyeing her little brother. You know, when I first entered this exam I thought it would be a good opportunity to test my power of youth and hard work against a plethora of geniuses that were also in the exam, and I believed I was excited, Lee confided. But now I see that I was absolutely apathetic compared to how excited I am now. I must confess, I never truly believed an S-class missing nin could be brought down by Taijutsu alone. I will never doubt again. Oh great, Niji groaned. Just what he needed. More enthusiasm. If Tenten weren't on my team, I would seriously consider joining Anbu, I really would. Lee. My adorable pupil. That's the spirit. Guy called out, overwhelmed, tears running down his cheeks. Kakashi coughed to get Guy's attention without actually having to touch his fellow Jounin sensei, lest the other man take that as a cue to initiate a bonding session. Maybe you should save the encouragements for after the results. He'll either be very happy or very disappointed, and either way, you should save all your youth for that. Excellent idea, my most hip rival, Guy beamed. I've been meaning to ask though, did you see whatever became of Kisam's sword? Ibiki thought it might come in handy during the interrogation. His sword? Kakashi repeated innocently. No, I haven't seen it. Is it missing or something? So you're telling me that Shikamaru has designed a foolproof plan to get out of doing any more D-rank missions and you intend to use it right after things get back to normal around here? Kurenai asked enviously. Trying to sound casual, she continued, well, don't hold out on me. Sorry, Kurenai, Asuma apologized, not sounding very sorry at all. But it will only work the once and Shikamaru barely felt it was worth his time to come up with one plan to get Team 10 out of it. I don't even want to know what it would take to get him to come up with another one, although you are, of course, welcome to try. Why do you want to know about real estate in Konoha? Baki asked, confused and a bit apprehensive. Gaara had always been strange, but before they had left Suna at least he'd been fairly predictable. I am attempting to broaden my horizons, Gaara replied shortly, his plans of purchasing a vacation home left unmentioned. His fellow Suna shinobi were already concerned about his fondness for Konoha, so no sense worrying them until it was too late for them to interfere. Why do I even need to be here? Shikamaru wondered. It's so troublesome. Couldn't someone have just given the vest to Asuma or something? Given your sensei's concern over me violently attacking you and your teammates, I feel obliged to warn you that if you make Chunin with that attitude and I don't, we will have problems, Temari warned. Violent ones, I presume, Shikamaru yawned. How troublesome. There was a flash of yellow which heralded the arrival of the Hokage. Sorry I'm late, he apologized. I had to assure some concerned citizens that there was very little chance that Orochimaru has some leftover summons running around and therefore it is quite unnecessary to kill them all. While I myself have never been fond of snakes and can understand the desire to see them gone, who knows what kind of ecological issues it would cause in the future. Minato took a deep breath and pulled an envelope out of a pocket on his vest. Is everyone ready to hear the results? Various murmurs of assent confirmed that they were. As Minato took the paper that presumably held the names of the new Chunin out of the envelope and unfolded it, he said, now remember, every one of you showed very clearly that you have the potential to one day achieve Chunin, even if you do not achieve it here today, so my advice to you is to not give up, train hard, and work through some of your personal issues. I promise I will convince you that fate does not control your life if it is the last thing I do, Niji. Lee vowed. Niji closed his eyes tightly but did not respond. First, from Suna, I am pleased to say that both Temari and Gaara have qualified to be Chunin, Minato began. Tankuro's going to kill us, Temari grinned. He can try, Gaara replied succinctly. He should have taken his match more seriously anyway, Baki noted. Perhaps this will convince him to do so in the future. Underestimating opponents is the fastest way to get killed during a fight. From Team 9, Lee has advanced to Chunin, Minato continued. Team 9? Naruto echoed, puzzled. I thought they were Team Guy. Sakura rolled her eyes. It's like how they started calling up Team Kakashi when we reformed our team. I've never heard them call Team 9 before, but I guess they had to have been assigned a number, and the fact that a Team 9 was active would explain why we had a Team 7, Team 8, and a Team 10 in our graduating class. And does it even matter anyway? Sasuke cut in. Well, no, Naruto conceded. But since when has a lack of relevance ever stopped me? Lee, meanwhile, was crying. 2 passed. You did it, Lee. Guy cheered. The flames of your youth are burning brightly indeed. He stopped as he remembered he had another student in the room that did not pass. I'm sure you'll make it next time, Niji. You are very talented. Niji didn't look at him. HN. Sakura and Naruto flinched. Oh god, do you think you got him over his fate issues just to develop a bad case of Sasukeism? Naruto asked frantically. Sasuke raised an eyebrow. Sasukeism. Naruto nodded. Yeah, you know, a refusal to talk combined with a deep and abiding hatred for happy people and an insatiable appetite for vengeance. Sasuke rolled his eyes and hoped Naruto didn't actually use that term on a regular basis. Then again, knowing Naruto, who knew? He even names his insistence on counseling his opponents. What does Niji have to seek vengeance for anyway? Didn't Kakashi save that one relative of his he had been angsting about? Oh, I don't know, Sakura deadpanned. Being born into the branch clan, having Guy and Lee on his team, being subservient to Hinata because his father was born a few minutes after his uncle. His father might not be dead, but I can think of a few reasons he might have issues. From Team 10, Shikamaru is now a Chunin, Minato pressed on despite the frequent interruptions from people who couldn't wait until he got through 8 candidates. I did? Shikamaru asked. Does that mean I'm going to have to do anything? Because if it is, then no thanks. You can't turn it down. Temari insisted. Honestly, why are you even a shinobi? I thought it would be less troublesome than being a civilian, Shikamaru replied. Although now I suspect I may have been mistaken, all those years at the academy when I refused to graduate early were excellent for napping and cloud watching. I'm actually starting to feel sorry for that one girl I beat, Temari remarked. She was on your team, wasn't she? Don't bother, Shikamaru replied, inclining his head slightly to confirm that Ino was indeed on his team. She's still seeking vengeance. I know, Temari said grimly. She's tried to jump me twice since the invasion. It's really a good thing Sakura's such a good medic. Or maybe not so good as once she's fine she starts looking for me again. Oh thank God. Asuma cried out. After all the problems this exam has caused, I don't know how I would have talked him into taking another one. From Team 8, Kiba and Shino have moved up to Chunin, Minato announced. That is so awesome. Kiba exclaimed. He stopped as something important occurred to him. Why does Akamaru get promoted, too? Minato looked taken aback. Is so? Is your dog actually a shinobi? He scored better than half the class on the graduating exam, Kiba said defensively. And no, there's really no point asking why he even took it because I don't know. He just wanted to. This is good news indeed, Shino declared. Okay, all this waiting around is killing me, Sasuke muttered. If Kiba passed and I didn't, I'm joining you on your trip to Suna, Naruto. And finally, from Team 7, Sasuke, Sakura and Naruto all passed, Minato concluded. Tsunade owes me 500 Ryo. Kakashi cheered. And I've officially trained the most talented team since the Sannin themselves. Well, at least Tsunade's winning streak is broken, Kurenai commented. Last time she won we got invaded. I guess we don't need to run away to Suna after all, Naruto said, pretending to be put out. You were planning on going to Suna if you didn't make Chunin? Gaara asked, wide-eyed. Kind of, Naruto admitted. But don't worry, we'll still come visit. That's really not necessary, Temari told him with a slight wince. But if you insist, make sure not to bring Shikamaru with you. He won't agree to make the trip until his hormones demand it, Naruto said cheerfully. Hopefully it will go better than our first trip to Suna, Sakura said, crossing her fingers. From what I've heard, it would almost have to, Sasuke remarked. Have I ever told you that you're the best sensei that's ever lived? Kakashi asked later that afternoon when it was just the two of them in Minato's office. Because either way, I feel it would be remiss of me not to mention it again. You might have a few times since you made Jounin, Minato told him, sounding distinctly amused. Increasingly often since Naruto was born. Well, it's still true, Kakashi declared. So why not say it? You're just pleased that all of your students made Chunin, which hasn't happened in over 40 years, Minato accused. Kakashi shrugged. Maybe. I had hoped it would happen, but things got a little dicey towards the end, what with the invasion and all. Who did Orochimaru end up picking? Or was his note something else entirely? Minato shook his head. No, he did what he said he would and gave his recommendations. The first name on his list took up half the page, which was Sasuke's. That's a bit concerning, but I think it was just because of his interest in the Sharingan. He also wanted Neji to pass because he is skilled with the Byakugan, Naruto and Gaara to pass because they are Jinchuriki, and Sakura to pass because she held her own against two very powerful Dojutsu wielders. So basically, Orochimaru wanted me to achieve the same reputation as a teacher as the professor. Kakashi summarized. Maybe we misjudged him. Minato snorted. I doubt it. Normally we don't have so many people pass, but as I've said from the beginning, this was a very exceptionally talented bunch. I just hope it doesn't cause problems that 7 of the 8 candidates made it through, but not Neji. I don't want Hiashi in here complaining I'm being biased. I'm sure he's grateful enough that Neji's shut up about fate for 2 seconds to overlook the potential slight, Kakashi assured him. Besides, it's one thing to stop in the middle of a fight to start ranting if you're going to use it to effectively neutralize an opponent and possibly turn them into an ally like Naruto does with his therapy jutsu, but stopping to tell people to give up because they're failures. There are so many ways that could backfire. Not the least of which is pissing his opponent off enough to break through their limits. True, Minato acknowledged. It's not often that the MSR causes someone to fail, and not a lack of ability, because it really isn't that hard to pass, but it does happen. It's a good thing Lee qualified now, though, because in a few years I can see him being more youthful than his mentor. And Shikamaru almost had to pass because, as Asuma said, he is almost absurdly unmotivated, and the best way to counteract that is by forcing some responsibility on him. Were there any concerns with my minions? Kakashi asked curiously. Students, Kakashi, Minato corrected absently. I was a bit concerned with how desperate they were to pass. But then again, I did know what was at stake, and I kind of feel that it's enough that I had a demon sealed into my son. If I force him to deal with Guy every morning until you take pity on him and show up, then no one will believe I don't hate Naruto. And what about everyone else? Kakashi queried. Diba conversing with his dog was a bit of a sticking point because the dog wasn't a summons that could actually speak, Minato confessed, but it did actually seem to give him information he had no other way of being aware of, so maybe it's just an Inuzuka thing. Besides, I really don't want to start an incident by accusing a well-respected clan of being crazy. Even if they totally are? Kakashi asked. Especially if they totally are, Minato confirmed. There were no real problems with Shino, and even though Temari was initially part of the invasion, she thought it was an order from her Kazukiage, so I suppose I can't really hold that against her. As for Gaara showed signs of the demon inside of him trying to break free during his match with Sasuke, but he did an admirable job of holding it back, and even though his sand coffin seems like it would be an all-purpose move he could use to finish any fight, he had to actually strategize with his sand during his matches. Minato-sensei, Kakashi looked unaccountably nervous. What is it? Minato asked, frowning. Is everything alright? Kakashi nodded. Everything's fine. It's just here's something I need to tell you tomorrow. The next day, Minato, Anko, Jiraiya, Tsunade and Itachi were all waiting in Minato's office for whatever incredibly important and mildly top-secret news Team 7 had for them. Sakura, Sasuke and Naruto were pacing outside of the office and Kakashi hadn't shown up yet, although they really weren't sure if that was just a regression into his old tardiness or an attempt to avoid having to partake in the long overdue secret telling. The newly promoted Chunin were shamelessly eavesdropping to see if any of the five they felt really should know their secret had any idea what they were about to tell them, but as of yet it didn't appear that they did. "So I heard you lost a bet to Kakashi about whether or not his whole team would pass," Jiraiya was saying. "Whatever happened to all of that? Have faith in your students you were on my case about earlier." "I have plenty of faith in Sakura," Tsunade replied. "And in Naruto, for that matter. He's such a determined and hard-working individual." "But he is," Minato smiled fondly. "He's really a good kid." "So you don't have faith in Sasuke?" Itachi inquired, staring straight at the slug princess. "It's nothing personal," Tsunade explained. "I've met the kid and he seems decent enough and Naruto and Sakura really seem to like him, it's just something about him just screams vengeance will be mine and that is rather unsettling." "He was rather pro-vengeance after the massacre," Anko mused, "but then a year or so ago he seemed to decide against it or at least decided to keep quiet about it. Too bad." "Too bad?" Itachi repeated, raising an eyebrow. "You think this is a bad thing?" Anko shook her head. "Not exactly. It's probably better for him and will leave him happier and saner in the long run, but I kind of miss those discussions we used to have. Those mildly disturbing ones where you would describe, in great detail, all the ways you wanted to torture Orochimaru before killing him." Itachi asked. Anko smiled nostalgically. "Yeah, those were the days. You probably don't want to hear this, but your brother actually had some very creative ideas on the subject." "You're right. I'd rather not hear about it," Itachi said shortly. "You're the one who got vengeance in the end, though," Anko noted wistfully. Itachi looked surprised. "Vengeance?" Anko nodded. "By sealing him away forever, which is probably the best you could have done given his long-held interest in cheating death, you got vengeance for me, for Sasuke, for everyone he's experimented on and killed, and for yourself." "I have never sought vengeance," Itachi told her. "And yet you got it anyway," Anko replied with a shrug. "Lucky bastard." Kakashi had apparently felt he'd made them wait long enough as he chose that moment to stroll casually towards the Hokage's office. "So?" he asked cheerfully. "How did it go?" "We didn't actually get around to telling them yet," Naruto told him bluntly. "Seeing as the whole reason we're in this situation is because of you, we thought it would be only right to wait for you," Sasuke added. "And you'll probably want a chance to tell your side of the story, too," Sakura told him. "Because if it's just up to us you might need to steal Naruto's idea and head straight to Suna." "You what?" Kakashi demanded, looking horrified. "Well, in that case. Good luck and they'll be back in 20 minutes. "Not happening," Sasuke said firmly. He pushed open the door as Naruto and Sakura pushed their teacher through. "So nice of you to join us, Kakashi," Minato said dryly, "and only 2.5 hours late, too." "I severely underestimated my students' patience," Kakashi said by way of explanation. "So what is it you wanted to tell us?" Jiraiya wanted to know. "Does it have anything to do with how Naruto knows Senjutsu when I know you don't know it? And why are you only telling us?" Tsunade asked. Minato looked stunned. "Naruto knows Senjutsu? Since when?" Jiraiya shrugged. "I don't know, but he was using it the night of the invasion. I take it that means you didn't know." "I can answer all of your questions," Kakashi promised. Glaring at his team, he continued, "Frankly, I'd rather someone else did, but as I seem to be out of options since we're me this. Do any of you believe in time travel?" "No," Tsunade answered immediately. "No," Jiraiya agreed. "No," Minato said. "No," Itachi concurred. "No," Anko finished off the denials. "Well, I do," Kakashi stated. "I believe in time travel. I didn't used to, but then I found a time-traveling scroll 4 years from now and got Naruto to power it, and so here we are." "You're saying you time-traveled?" Tsunade repeated. "I am not nearly drunk enough to be having this conversation. Neither are you, for that matter." "Does that mean that Naruto also came with you?" Minato asked. "Where did you come back to?" "Not just Naruto," Kakashi replied. "But Sasuke and Sakura, too." "I'm still not sure I believe you," Anko told him. "If things were so dire that you had to time travel, then why didn't you tell anyone about this beforehand? Even if you wanted to keep it a secret, you should have at least told the Hokage. Unless he already did." She looked to Minato for confirmation. Minato shook his head. "This is the first I'm hearing of it. Not to mention that they are awfully cavalier for having the world destroyed." "We never said that the world was destroyed," Sakura spoke up. "Actually, when things settled down, they were pretty okay, although everything was a mess for a few years." "If everything was okay, then why in the world would you have time traveled?" Jiraiya demanded. "We were unsatisfied with our lives," Sasuke replied. "Well, except for Sakura. We're not really sure why she wanted to go." "I told you. I wasn't about to be left behind again," Sakura said fiercely. "You were always leaving me behind." "Say we believe you," Itachi addressed Kakashi. "We can work out whether we actually do or not later. If your story is true and the future was fine, what did you come back to change?" I can only speak for myself, Kakashi began. I came back the day or so after I made Jounin. That far back? Anko's eyes widened. That means you're, what, 10 years older than me? Mentally, perhaps, Kakashi allowed. Is that going to be a problem? It would have been nice to know, Anko said honestly. Which is why I'm telling you now, Kakashi replied. Minato-sensei went off to help our forces on the front lines and tasked us with destroying some bridge, I don't even remember what it was called. Rin was captured by the enemy and Obito wanted to go back for her. Two did not. That was years ago, Minato said gently. She forgave you a long time ago for your hesitation and you came through for her in the end. Kakashi swallowed. This time. Befere wouldn't listen. I was stupid and arrogant and refused to consider the possibility that Obito was right, that anything could be more important than the mission. I didn't want to end up like my father so I let Obito go off alone. I did change my mind, eventually, and caught up with him. He looked almost like he was desperate for them to believe him. I'm sure you were, Minato assured him. What happened then? What went wrong? Right as I got there, someone snuck up behind Obito. I saved him, but it cost me my eye, Kakashi continued, unconsciously touching the eye he should have lost that day. Obito and I went in anyway and rescued Rin. Our teamwork was better than it had ever been. Butin our way out there was a boulder. I wasn't paying attention to the enemy we had downed but not killed and I should have been. That boulder should have crushed me. It didn't. That sounds like a good thing, Tsunade noted. It would have been, Kakashi agreed. Had the reason I was fine not been Obito pushing me out of the way at the last second and getting crushed himself. He gave me his Sharingan, which he had only awoken less than half an hour before, to make up for the eye I lost saving him. He called it a Jounin present since he hadn't gotten me one earlier. I didn't realize what the kunai you gave me really was and so when I used it, it called you and you saved Rin and I from the eye reinforcements. Just like I did years ago, Minato said softly. Except that Obito. Exactly, Kakashi nodded. We went on to destroy the bridge and end the war. I've always been a genius so you can imagine the things I could do with a Sharingan. I may not be an Uchiha, but I could wield it better than most of them ever could. I got a reputation as Sharingan Kakashi which I must confess I much prefer to my current moniker Man Down Kakashi, but beggars can't be choosers and I wasn't desperate enough to go corpse robbing. Rin died a little later and even though I didn't come back to save her, things had changed enough by that point that she lived. Don't forget to mention the big thing, Naruto prompted. Because Sasuke bet me 500 Ryo that it wouldn't turn out the way it has the last 3 times the subject has come up. Kakashi rolled his eyes. Right. You never told anyone how you planned to stop the Kyuubi all those years ago. By the time we found out, it was too late. You were dead and Naruto was an orphan. Nobody by Jiraiya and the Sandaime really even knew what the seal was. The Sandaime chose to try and protect Naruto from your enemies by not revealing who he was and so he had Kushina's name. While no one felt the need to mention that he was the son of a hero, the Sandaime did decide to inform everyone of Naruto's Jinchuriki status. So? Anko was puzzled. Everyone knows now and it's fine. I mean, maybe he wouldn't get special treatment for being the Hokage's son if nobody knew, but still. Naruto snorted. That's only because of Dad's My Son is a Hero campaign. With him dead and old man Hokage pretending not to know who I was with the fact that no one seemed to know anything about my parentage, a lot of people just assumed I was the Kyuubi sealed into human form. I'd rather not go into the details, but my childhood was far from idyllic. I didn't even find out why everyone hated me until I was 12 and someone who tried to betray the village decided to let me know as there was a law preventing anyone from telling anyone including me that didn't hear about my Jinchuriki status from the official announcement. Minato's eyes flashed. I can't believe they would spit on your sacrifice like that. You haven't had any problems in this timeline, have you? None whatsoever, Naruto assured his father. In fact, it's kind of disturbing just how little hatred I'm getting. Before, I needed to defeat the guy who destroyed Konoha and convince him to bring half the village back to life before I was so universally accepted. I'm going to need to hear all about that, you do realize, Minato said seriously. Whoever managed that sounds like a threat. I'm going to need to hear all about it, too, Jiraiya added. Although mostly just because it sounds like quite a story. Was that what you meant when you said that Sandaime Sama's assertion that you were not responsible for his death would save you from many an accusation of murder? Itachi asked suddenly. And why you needed written proof. For all the good that did me, Kakashi muttered. Wait, Minato said slowly. Does this mean that you killed the third? Kakashi just groaned. Naruto blinked. Wade asked if that was the case instead of just assuming that it was. Does that count? I don't know, Sasuke admitted. Sakura. Sakura smirked. I think it does. And if you really wanted me to agree with you, maybe you shouldn't have given me such a hard time during the exam. I don't know what you're talking about, Sasuke denied as he reluctantly reached into one of the pockets of his new Chunin vest and took out 500 ryo. You're the best, Sakura-chan, Naruto cheered as he pocketed his winnings. Minato was confused. What? So is that everything? Tsunade inquired, bringing them back on topic. Kakashi thought back. Everything important I think wait, no. Back when Hinata was 3 and that Kumo ambassador tried to kidnap her, Hiashi was supposed to kill him and so when Kumo demanded blood, Hisashi was killed and sent over instead so the Byakugan would remain out of Kumo's hands. Niji had even more issues because of that. Minato looked mildly horrified. Even more issues than the ones that already caused him to fail the MSR. You did what you had to do, Kakashi. So that's basically it, Kakashi finished. And finding out that they would have been dead before they even got a chance to meet Sasuke or Naruto was part of the reason that I didn't want them to be here today. Only part? Itachi asked shrewdly. Naruto nodded, figuring it was his turn next. The other part has to do with when and why I came back. Everyone already knows this except for Bachan and Anko, I think, but it doesn't really matter if Bachan knows, and we can't really make Anko leave the room now can we? Don't call me that. Tsunade cried. We've been over this before, Naruto reminded her. If you want me to stop calling you Bachan then you need to stop being old. I'm not old. Tsunade insisted. But you call Iro-sen old and you're the same age, Naruto pointed out. Tsunade closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Trying to murder the brat in front of his father was probably not the way to go. Just hurry up and tell us whatever you came back for. Keep in mind that this was before I realized that we had ended up in the same timelines, Naruto told them. I knew that Sasuke had some vengeance issues when he grew up and so I intended to be there for him after the massacre. Only intended? Jiraiya asked curiously. I met Kakashi on a double date with Anko, Obito, and Rin and realized that something wasn't quite right and the two of us eventually realized that we had both time traveled, Naruto explained. So I decided to. I remember that. Anko interrupted. You couldn't believe we were dating. I believe your words were something along the lines of Anko of all people. To be fair, Kakashi was pretty much a confirmed bachelor before we went back, Naruto defended himself. And like I was saying, after I found out that Sasuke was coming back as well, I decided I didn't want my trip back to be wasted so I decided to. Decided to what? Itachi asked quietly, not looking at Sasuke. He never did when the subject of the destruction of the Uchiha clan came up. Naruto steeled himself. I decided to impersonate Orochimaru. I had Kakashi gather a crowd and provide plenty of witnesses that he was the one to kill everyone. Tsunade didn't look surprised. She had probably realized that wiping out such a powerful and versatile Kekkei Genkai wasn't her former teammate's style. Anko, however, was quite shocked. You mean that's not what happened? Then who did? There was silence for a moment before Sasuke finally broke it by replying, my brother. But we? And why is he still here? And he was only 13, wasn't he? Anko fired off the questions in rapid succession. Since nobody else seemed like they wanted to deal with these questions, Sasuke replied, yes, he was. He didn't do it alone, though. Madara also partook in the massacre. As for the Waimi family was planning a coup. It took me years, really, to make my peace with it, as it were, but now that Madara is dead and Danzo, Kaheru, and Homura are long dead, I consider all debt settled. When did you come back? Minato demanded, his eyes wide. Shortly before hearing the news of Danzo's murder-suicide, Sasuke said neutrally. What happened to the three of them in your timeline? Minato asked seriously. Did you have anything to do with it? In our timeline, Danzo didn't kill himself and then when we were 11, Naruto immediately spoke up, for the moment not caring that he was lying to the Hokage and his father. I think the difference in Konoha must have pushed up his timetable. When I was 16 or so and Danzo was confronted with the results of his machinations, he decided to take himself and the council with him. So why did you come back, then? Tsunade asked. If not for vengeance. I wanted to have a year to readjust myself to being a child again, so I could hopefully handle everything better than I did before, Sasuke replied carefully. Last time I blamed everyone for what happened even though I knew that it wasn't really their fault. I didn't care I just when Teddy don't know what I wanted. I had been in the vengeance business for a long time and wasn't sure what to do once I found out that Itachi wasn't evil after all. I only wish I had found out before he died. Sasuke despite the fact he'd known for years that this day could come although not the details as he'd never given much thought to the fantastical concept of time traveling Itachi really didn't know what to say. For years you lied to me, you know, Sasuke said, trying to sound casual. And I don't mean about Orochimaru having done it. Before, there was no one else to take the blame, so you became officially a missing nin. That was the plan before Naruto and Kakashi stepped in, right? You waited until I came home and told me you killed everyone to test your capacity. That you weren't going to kill me because you wanted to see if I could ever provide a challenge for you, and that if I wanted to kill you, I'd need the Manjikyu Sharingan. He glanced at Naruto. My best friend didn't like that idea, but once you died I gained it anyway. Despite all of that are the reasons I should or should not have, I forgave you the minute I found out that wasn't true. You shouldn't, Itachi confirmed. But thank you. We can talk more about it later, Sasuke offered. I mean, I really don't want to and I doubt that you do either, but it's just one of those things that have to be done. I agree, Itachi said succinctly. What did you change, Sakura? Tsunade asked, trying to get them to move past the Uchiha clusterfuck. Naruto immediately started coughing. Sakura glared at him. Not one word or I'll take back your bet win and have Kakashi be the winner. I have always felt that Sakura had valid reasons for joining us and we benefit greatly from her lack of traumatizing issues, Kakashi said immediately. Sasuke rolled his eyes. Suck up. I may not have had any big issues I wanted to change, per se, Sakura admitted. Especially since the boys took care of their own problems. I just wanted to try and keep Team 7 from self-destructing again. She paused and then glared at Sasuke. And not to be useless. Sasuke sighed. Which you eventually managed, he conceded. For the record, that's why we're not telling my parents, Sakura informed everyone. They wouldn't understand the lack of a real reason to come back, especially since we did eventually manage to work through a lot of the team's issues. Were you my student last time? Tsunade inquired. Sakura nodded. You agreed to train me after Sasuke tried to kill Naruto and ran off to live with Orochimaru and Odo. Stop making it sound like we were having an affair. Sasuke ordered. You know, for someone who claims that didn't happen, you're awfully defensive about it, Naruto remarked. So Kakashi said brightly. Any questions? Needless to say, there were quite a few questions. It took a while to get through them all, but once that was over with the added details were enough to erode much of the non-time travelers' skepticism about the whole situation, not that that stopped them all from dragging one of the time travelers off to continue their discussion in private. Anko wanted to talk to Kakashi, Minato needed to understand just how bad things had been for Naruto without him, Sasuke and Itachi had some issues to work out, and Jiraiya and Tsunade really had nothing better to do than pester Sakura for more information. So when exactly were you planning on telling me that you were a time traveler from an almost ridiculously different timeline where the Sandaime has been in charge for all this time? Tsunade would become Hokage as soon as Naruto and Jiraiya found her, Obito and Rin were dead, we all thought Itachi was evil, and we barely knew each other. Anko asked sweetly the minute they were safely inside their shared apartment. I was planning on mentioning it to you right after my students made Chunin, so the story about us time traveling or, if we were believed, our reasons for said time traveling wouldn't prevent them from passing the MSR. I can't imagine why I never did. Kakashi trailed off. Oh wait, I did tell you literally the day after Team 7 was promoted, just like I said I would. True, Anko acknowledged. But you also said that the only reason you were going to tell any of us was because Naruto slipped up and you couldn't cover how he knew how to go into Sage mode. Besides, the only reason you were even there at all for the explanation is because your students made us wait for over 2 hours until you finally decided to show up. It's my fault, really, Kakashi said mournfully. I never should have gotten them in the habit of waiting around for me for hours on end, or else they would have cracked and just told you themselves. Of course, given that that was years and years ago and presumably their later instructors wouldn't have had my tendency towards tardiness, the fact that they managed to stay in practice is rather impressive. Is that a yes? I never would have told you if Naruto had used a different technique? Anko demanded. Kakashi winced. Possibly. I get why you don't want to tell the world, I really do, Anko assured him. People aren't liable to believe you or they won't know how to act if they think you are telling them the truth. They look at you and suddenly everything they thought they knew about you is being called into question and it will be weird. And considering that the world hadn't ended when you came back and from what I can tell you've done quite a bit to either neutralize or outright kill a lot of the people who would have gone on to cause problems in your future, it really isn't necessary to warn anyone of anything. Suddenly everything they thought they knew about you is being called into question, Kakashi repeated. Is that how you feel? Anko took a moment before answering. A little. You have this whole separate history that I can never understand. I know how close you are with Obito, I can imagine how losing him would kill you. Then losing Rin and the Yondaime on top of it can imagine, but I'm never really going to get it because as far as I've seen, you never did. You say we barely knew each other and if that's the case, then I have to wonder. Why would you go after me? I lost everyone close to me in a very short period of time, Kakashi explained quietly. I was a prodigy who graduated at 5, as you know, which never does anyone any favors. My father was disgraced and killed himself and I overcompensated, but that still wasn't enough to save anyone. I had a lot of issues and so honestly, the prospect of entering a romantic relationship it just wasn't going to happen. But Guy was always there to make sure I didn't steer completely away from human contact, and then my students came along, and even though there were many times that I thought they were more trouble than they were worth, particularly Sasuke when he was going through his crazy year after he technically killed Itachi, they certainly did their part in bringing me back to the land of the living. And me? Anko pressed, uncertain of what exactly she wanted to hear. Once my old team was saved and I knew that, even if they wouldn't necessarily be the same people I remembered, I would get my new team back, things were different. I'd been through hell, I'd come back in one piece, and I highly doubted that I would manage to make things worse than they had been. It's not like I planned for us to happen, it just did, Kakashi told her seriously. He smiled wryly. As horribly cliched as it may be, sometimes love does just happen. Are you just going to stare at me all day? Naruto asked, fidgeting a little as he looked at his father, who had been staring at him from across their kitchen table for quite some time. Because it's getting a little creepy. Sorry, Minato apologized, shaking his head as if to clear it. I just can't believe any of this. The part about the time travel? Naruto asked. Because while I had kind of expected Kakashi to have already told you once I realized he'd spent a good decade living in the past, I can also sort of understand why he wouldn't want to. Or even how to convince everyone that it was true, for that matter. No, I think I'm actually starting to believe you, Minato confided. You know far too much, both as a newly minted Chunin and as my son who I wanted to keep far away from some of Konoha's less than proud moments. Then what's the mental stumbling block? Naruto wanted to know. Just how bad was your childhood? Minato demanded. I mean, I knew it wouldn't be easy, and there was a sizable resistance to seeing you as the hero you are back in those early days, but by the time you were actually old enough to remember anything, the villagers had come around. Naruto thought back. The ninja themselves were always professional if unhelpful. It was the citizens who understood even less than the ninja did and lacked their discipline that caused most of my problems. How bad was it, Naruto? Minato asked again, piercing his son with a gaze. Naruto merely shook his head. You love this village, Dad. I love this village, for all that nobody understands how I managed that prior to the Chunin exams when things started to change. I don't want you to have to get all worked up over things that have never happened. Minato sighed. You're right, I suppose. Still, how could things have been so bad for you? I was in the middle of telling Sarutobi-sama that wanted you to be seen as a hero when Kakashi burst in informing him what I was planning on doing, and from what I understand, in the other timeline I did make my wishes clear. Add that to the fact that Jiraiya was apparently alive and well, why couldn't he have taken you in or something? He's your godfather. Naruto shrugged. I really don't know. He never really got around to mentioning he was my godfather, because had he done that he would have had to explain why he couldn't be bothered to be a responsible adult and take me in. Oh, and that you were my father, which didn't come out until after his death. Still, I think it was mostly the fact he just couldn't be bothered. What was he even doing that he couldn't take in his own godson until you were ready to become his apprentice? Minato wondered, already planning on yelling at his mentor later, even if the Jiraiya he'd be lecturing was one that was never called upon to take in his orphan son, and looking for ammunition. I think he was keeping tabs on Orochimaru and, after he joined up, the flowery cloaked assassins, Naruto informed him. And while I'm not positive because I didn't find out about Itachi's true allegiance until both he and Hirosenin were both dead, I think he was also Itachi's contact. Why do you keep calling the Akatsuki the flowery cloaked assassins? Minato inquired, genuinely curious. Their cloaks had clouds on it, if I recall correctly. Because it pisses them off and they pissed me off, Naruto said bluntly. But then again, given that they kidnapped Gaara and tortured him to death he got better, but there was a unique set of circumstances that lead to that and then proceeded to hunt down all of the other Jinchuriki, including me, maybe it's not surprising that I've never been very fond of them. I see, Minato said. But what about now? Did we kill or take down all of them or are there still members of the Akatsuki out there? I'm not sure if all of the missing nin on the original roster even joined up, Naruto replied. From what Kakuzu was saying, I don't think Haiden was a member, for instance. Two people who I know were involved and not neutralized are Konan and Nagato. Konan and Nagato? Minato repeated. Who are there? They were the official leaders of Akatsuki, even if Madara was really the one pulling the strings, Naruto revealed. Of course, there's really nothing you can do to them legally, as they are the legitimate rulers of a megacure following a coup and a civil war, I think. Nagato hates us because Konoha Ninja accidentally killed his parents one time, and I think Danzo screwed him over once. Konan only hates us because Nagato does, so if we make an effort to at the very least not screw them over anymore and possibly offer some sort of aid, we should be able to neutralize him. That might be something to consider, Minato agreed. Although, of course, I'll need to look into the situation more. Don't bother sending a spy, Naruto warned him. It rains all the time in a megacure, and the rain lets them know when someone who isn't supposed to be there arrives. Last time Jiraiya went and Nagato killed him. Of course, he goes by Pian, but I think that's a British name, so I call him Nagato. I think I've heard the name Nagato before, Minato mused aloud. He was once Jiraiya's student, Naruto explained. Fun fact, he's the guy my namesake is based on in Hirosenen's only child-friendly book. And he managed to kill Jiraiya. Minato looked extremely concerned. Anyone that powerful was definitely someone to watch out for. Nagato is insanely powerful, yes, Naruto confirmed. He kind of cheats since he uses reanimated corpses and stays far away from the fighting himself, but doing so seems to take its toll on his actual body. He has the Rinnegan, you see, and he was able to stand up to me until I went 8 tails. That wasn't the best idea, but I did enjoy freaking him out. That settles it, I am definitely going to be looking into this very closely the minute we're done with rebuilding and making sure there's no lasting damage to our alliance with Suna, Minato decided. Oh, are you having problems with that since they halfway betrayed us? Naruto asked, intrigued. Minato nodded. Among other things, they thought the best way to ensure peace was a political marriage between you and the previous Kazukige's daughter, Temari. All of the color drained from Naruto's face. You said no, right? Of course I said no, Minato assured his son. They're the ones who halfway betrayed us. Why should they get to make demands? Naruto let out a huge sigh of relief. Oh thank God. I thought future Shikamaru would somehow find out and then also come back in time and kill me. Itachi and Sasuke didn't go home as they didn't want to risk Rin or Obito walking in at the wrong time. Instead, they headed over to the vacant but preserved Uchiha district and walked in silence for some time. So you've known the entire time, Itachi said finally. It depends on what you mean by that, really, Sasuke replied. Originally, there was no Naruto to pull off an over-the-top cover-up and pin the blame on someone he sincerely believes to be a child molester and no Kakashi to back him up. There was only me coming back from training to find a district full of bodies and you, standing over mom and dad, doing your best to convince me that you were a psychopath and to try and push me into getting stronger, ostensibly so I could get vengeance on you. Madara said you always planned on dying by my hand, both so I could get the Manjikyu Sharingan to better protect myself and so I could avenge our clan and be hailed as a hero. Is that true? I really did not have the rest of my life mapped out so fully, but I can certainly see that as a viable option, Itachi answered. Probably the best option. How? Sasuke demanded. How could me hating you and killing you possibly be the best option? Itachi answered the question with one of his own. You understand that I had to leave Konoha, correct? The clan could not be destroyed with no culprit. Everyone would panic over the security breach. With a lack of convenient blame claiming missing Nin, the person held responsible would have to be me. What about Madara? Sasuke challenged. He was involved, I know, and letting people know he was alive would have saved us all a lot of trouble in the end. How would I have known he was alive? Itachi inquired. Why hadn't I mentioned him sooner? How did I know that it was, in fact, really him, especially since he never took his mask off? It was rather unbelievable, but everyone knew I existed and it provided the perfect opportunity for Konoha to place one of its own in the Akatsuki. We knew very little about it, but if it were truly run by Madara, Konoha was certain to feel its wrath at some point. But what about me? Sasuke pressed. Itachi cocked his head. You were 8, Sasuke. Do you really think you would have been better off growing up on the run surrounded by missing Nin? Sometimes people become missing Nin for political reasons, but usually they are violent immoral people that children should not spend vast periods of time with. I would have been better off with you, Sasuke insisted stubbornly. Would you have? Itachi wondered aloud. I somehow doubted. Missing Nin have no future, you know. A group like the Akatsuki, while I am not the expert I seem to have been in your first timeline, would provide more of a direction and a better chance of survival by joining with other powerful missing Nin, but you would still have no options. I was not about to destroy your future any more than killing the clan already had. But they wanted to kill me, Sasuke pointed out. Only Danzo wanted to kill you, Itachi countered. And he clearly didn't. The council saw the benefits of keeping the Sharingan in existence, and you were young enough not to be a threat or even remotely involved in the coup. I do not remember much of the Sandaime, but if he was anything like Hokage-sama, then he would be more than willing to let you live as you were so very clearly innocent. Alright, so maybe me staying in Konoha was for the best, Sasuke conceded grudgingly. But why was it so important that I hate you? I mean, I can understand that you really can't answer why you'd go so far to ensure that I would since you haven't, but you must have had a plan for when I showed up ready. Getting me on the path you wanted since that was going to be the last I'd see of you for years was a little too important to be left to improvisation. I had just ruined your life, Sasuke, Itachi explained. And you were 8. You were far too young to be left on your own, but the clan needed to be stopped and I really could not stay. You needed a purpose or I feared you would just waste away. You were in danger, even if you didn't realize it. Not only was everyone who wanted a Sharingan going to realize that between the two options they knew of, you were easily the more practical option, but Madara was out there, and I knew he would come after you the minute I was gone. You needed to get stronger, and if your hatred of me and desire to avenge the clan would save you, then so be it. You know, I think dying allowing me to hate you is the one thing I can't forgive you for, Sasuke said softly. You killed our family, but they used you, both our clan and the Konoha higher-ups. They used you and you knew that, and it was a bad situation that never should have happened. It did, though, and it may very well have been inevitable. Once I learned the truth I was already thoroughly sick of hating you, but you'd always been so careful to never give me a reason not to. Once I found a reason, really don't see how I could have not forgiven you. So instead you took it out on Konoha, Itachi sounded faintly disapproving. Sasuke winced. That was the year I was having a lot of problems. Suffice to say, it all got worked out eventually, and I'd really rather not talk about it. You were clearly having problems before if you abandoned Konoha for the likes of Orochimaru, Itachi noted. Sasuke scowled and crossed his arms. In my defense, I had a curse seal that was accentuating all of my negative emotions. Naruto had just taken down a transformed Gaara single-handedly, while I could barely even move. You had just shown up because the Sandaime had died to warn Danzo not to touch me and ended up putting me in a Tsukiyomi-induced coma, and to make matters worse, Kakashi had just asked me to give up vengeance. Those Odonin caught me at a really good time. You still should not have left, Itachi insisted. Sasuke shrugged. While I agree that the less time spent with Orochimaru the better, I got where I am today because of the path I took then. And besides, it's all worked out. And to get back to your original question, in this timeline, I believed that Orochimaru was responsible for the massacre until I was 11 and came back the day that Danzo and the council died. Did you kill them? Itachi asked sharply. Would you really want to know if I did? Sasuke shot back. Bear in mind that by the time I heard they were dead, I still hadn't recovered my memories of this timeline prior to coming back and had no idea you were still in Konoha. Itachi was quiet for a moment. No, I would rather not know, he conceded. So Jiraiya and Naruto forced me to become Godame, huh? Tsunade asked the moment the three of them were alone in her office. I guess so, Sakura confirmed. I personally wasn't there, but Jiraiya said it was all him. Then Naruto said all he did was get poisoned, and so he was really the one who did all the work. All I know was that it involved you kicking Orochimaru's ass. Poisoned? Jiraiya moaned. Jiraiya the gallant should never get poisoned, it's just bad form. I'm going to blame Tsunade Haim for that one since you obviously wouldn't know. I kicked Orochimaru's ass. I suppose that couldn't have been that bad, then, Tsunade decided. Still, Hokage. My great-uncle warned me about that position. That talk gave me nightmares about never-ending piles of paperwork for a year. Really? Jiraiya asked, surprised. I thought you didn't want the position because of Dan and Milwaukee. No, Tsunade shook her head. It was definitely hearing about all the paperwork. Since Dan and Milwaukee's dreams of becoming Hokage didn't go so well, that just furthered my resolve. Thank you so much, Sakura, for saving me from the horrors of Hokagehood. She paused, then continued nervously, you do think I'll be safe from being Godame, right? Because if not, I can resign from the council and the hospital and leave right now. Hokage-sama is a lot younger than Sandaime-sama was, Sakura was quick to remind her mentor. So he probably won't be dropping dead of old age anytime soon. And Sandaime-sama was killed by Orochimaru, kind of, and Orochimaru was neutralized by Itachi, so that won't be an issue. With any luck, Hokage-sama can stay in charge for a while, and Naruto will become the Godame. If not, just make Kakashi do it. Trust me, he's had experience, and Naruto likes the idea of being Rokudame better anyway. If you say so, Tsunade said suspiciously, making a note to herself to have an escape plan ready if need be, much as she had when it looked like Minato might die during the Kyuubi attack. Hey, I've been wondering something, Jiraiya spoke up. Since Naruto basically united and saved the entire ninja world, does that make him the child of prophecy that I was supposed to teach? I always thought it would have been Nagato. I mean, he had the Rinnegan. I didn't even think that really existed before I met him. I heard he died, though. He didn't die, Sakura informed him. He kind of went crazy and set himself up as Pain, the leader of Omegakure and Akatsuki, and mostly speaks through his friend Yahiko's dead body that he controls, but he's not dead. Neither is Konan, for that matter. And I think the consensus on the prophecy issue was basically he and Naruto were both the children of prophecy, but you should probably ask him about that. There was silence for a moment. And that is exactly why I keep telling you that taking in apprentices and then ditching them to go off researching is a bad idea, Tsunade said triumphantly. Exactly? Jiraiya asked skeptically, raising his eyebrows. Tsunade nodded. Exactly. Maybe I should have listened to Orochimaru and simply killed them, Jiraiya said sarcastically. It certainly seems like it would have saved a lot of problems. I'm not sure I would go that far, Tsunade objected. If this whole mess has taught us anything, it's that listening to Orochimaru is a bad idea and we should try to avoid that where we can. You didn't answer my questions, Jiraiya pointed out. Do you think I have done that if Orochimaru hadn't been the one to suggest it? If this whole mess has taught us anything, it's that listening to Orochimaru is a bad idea and we should try to avoid that where we can. 3 weeks passed and everything was slowly returning to normal after the invasion, although the effects of the time travel secret being shared were still lingering. Tsunade was refusing to so much as step foot in the Hokage Tower. Jiraiya had sent a missive off to Omegakure, telling Nagato and Konan he had heard they were running the village and informing them that he would have kept in contact, but he had believed them to be dead. Minato had opened up a dialogue with the leaders of Omegakure, who couldn't have been more surprised. Itachi looked more relaxed now that he no longer had to fear Sasuke finding out the truth, but not pleased that his brother knew, and Anko had added guilt Kakashi about not mentioning he was a time traveler to her rather lengthy list of ways to get Kakashi to show up places on time. Minato had also taken up eyeing some of the villagers suspiciously, but as per Naruto's request, tried to remember that his son had never been ostracized in this timeline. Not that that stopped him from yelling at Jiraiya, of course. Almost before they knew it, the day of Anko and Kakashi's wedding was upon them. As Kakashi was much more lively in this timeline than his previous one, and due to his close association with the Hokage, all of the ninja knew him, and most showed up to the ceremony. To the surprise of nearly everyone present, Kakashi actually showed up 15 minutes before the ceremony was to start of his own volition, that is, if by of his own volition one meant because he was terrified of what Anko would do to him if he was late. Still, he was there and got married without a hitch, and that was really all that mattered. Then, of course, there was the reception. Alcohol was provided and, perhaps foolishly, no one had thought to set a limit on drinks or minimum age, so anyone who had graduated from the academy and made it to Genin could have as much as they liked. I can't believe you finally got married, Obito remarked as he downed yet another drink. He wasn't drunk yet, but at the rate he was going he'd be feeling it in the morning. You and Anko were dating for, what, 5 years? I honestly thought you were going to die a bachelor at the speed you were going. I didn't want to rush things, Kakashi claimed. And Anko didn't care when we got married, as long as she didn't think I wasn't taking our relationship seriously. And did she ever think that? Obito felt the need to ask. Kakashi raised an eyebrow. I'm still alive and unmaimed, aren't I? Point, Obito conceded. Your new wife is kind of crazy, you know that, right? Kakashi rolled his eyes. If I didn't, don't you think now's a little late to be warning me about this? If you didn't notice after 5 years of dating, you completely deserve to find out on your own, Obito claimed. We're veteran ninja, Kakashi pointed out. We're all a little crazy. Or a lot. Or disturbingly so. The point is, there's a reason there's no MSR to become a jounin. Besides, the crazy is half the fun. I don't know, Obito said slowly. Her one-time crush on you notwithstanding, Rin seems to be fairly stable. You want to know why I was never able to return her feelings? That's part of it right there, Kakashi declared. Well I, for one, am grateful that she's too sane for your tastes, Obito laughed. And I, for one, am officially starting to feel old, Minato announced, coming up to stand beside them. All 3 of my former students are now happily married and I'm still single. Obito grinned. And you're over here because Jiraiya and Tsunade didn't appreciate you talking about being old when you're 15 or so years younger than them. And what are you worried about? You don't really have to feel worried about feeling old until Naruto's wedding. Minato sighed. Naruto's wedding. I know he's only 13, but I've heard so many things about his potential love interests that I'm starting to have nightmares about it already. You mean because no one can make up their mind if he's going to marry Sakura and you'll have pink-haired grandchildren, Hinata, and you'll have to deal with Hyuga tradition every step of the way. Gaara and Naruto will be the only Hokage to have ever lived in Suna or Sasuke and they'll probably not bother with a wedding, but just live in sin for the rest of their lives. Kakashi asked innocently. Minato groaned. Yes. I have got to stop talking to Kurenai or I'm never going to get any sleep until he's engaged. Or not, if it's Sasuke, Kakashi added helpfully. Of course, then Itachi might very well kill him for corrupting his little brother. So not helping, Minato complained, shaking his head and resolving to keep a closer eye on his son and his interaction with the 4 supposed top contenders for his heart from now on. I can't believe it only takes 2 shots to get Lee completely wasted, Neji was complaining. How in the world did he manage to pass the MSR and not me? I suspect the lack of alcohol present at the exam might have had something to do with it, Tenten replied dryly. And so what if he has a bit of an extreme reaction to alcohol? That doesn't necessarily bring his sanity into question. He's fighting imaginary opponents, Neji pointed out. And 2 shots isn't nearly enough alcohol to start hallucinating, so he's either seeing things on his own, which calls his sanity into question, or legitimately thinks he's fighting invisible opponents, which also, coincidentally, calls his sanity into question. 2 shots might be enough alcohol for that last one, Tenten told him thoughtfully. I could always call him over and ask him whether his enemy is invisible or not, if you'd like. No. Niji shouted. He cleared his throat. I mean, that's hardly necessary. He's likely to do less damage fighting his invisible enemies. True, Tenten allowed. So I suppose we should be thankful that it's worked out like this. Remind me to never, ever let Lee near alcohol again, though. Sooner or later, he'd do some collateral damage or start looking for real opponents. Agreed, Niji said grimly. Where is Guy-sensei, anyway? He should be putting a stop to this or something. He's right over there, Tenten said, gesturing over to their teacher standing a few feet back from Lee and partially hidden by some trees. I think he's taking notes. Taking notes? Niji repeated. You don't think he means to see if he can get Lee to utilize his drunken strength in battle, do you? Would it surprise you in the slightest if he did exactly that? Tenten asked rhetorically. Niji sighed deeply. I guess that means we're going to have to hide the alcohol from Guy-sensei, too. And to think, apparently I'm the unbalanced one. Well, you were doing fine until you started ranting at Sakura, Tenten reminded him. And when she flat out told you at the end that she wouldn't have won if you hadn't wasted so much time ranting at her certainly didn't help matters. Maybe if you'd won they might have been able to overlook that, but as it stands. It was really all I could not to start lecturing her about how inappropriate her hair color was for a ninja, Niji said honestly. I mean, seriously. Pink. You just can't take that seriously and it's horrible for stealth. I figured that would not go over very well, however, and went for my fallback lecture. That was probably a good idea, Tenten decided. But it still cost you Chunin status. But don't worry. We're sure to make it in the next exam 6 months from now. So, Hinata? Kiba asked. You know how your cousin is really, really scary. Which cousin would that be? Hinata inquired. I have many relatives, after all. I think he means Niji, Shino told her, if the way he jumps when Niji looks at him is any indication. I do not jump, Kiba scowled. Although yes, I do mean Niji. I have never been scared of him, Hinata answered. So no, I'm sorry but I wouldn't really know. Well pretend you know that, Kiba instructed. Does the fact that he's considered a prodigy and is a year older than us with a year's more worth of experience as a genin and yet he failed to make Chunin but everyone else in the finals managed just fine bother him? I think it does, a little, Hinata confessed. Although I think it is mostly that Lee made it and not him. They're rivals and things tend to get messy when it looks like one of them is superior to the other in something. At least Tenten's with him, Kiba declared. I know she'll calm him down. What do you mean? Shino asked. No, wait, I am nearly positive I do not wish to know. Too late, you asked, Kiba told him smugly. Tenten and Niji are so clearly interested in each other that it's inevitable that they'll start dating sooner or later, especially because they have no real reason not to, as neither of them is in denial about their sexuality or have a single-minded obsession that precludes them from committing to a relationship. You think that they like each other? Hinata asked, surprised. How come? I wouldn't know for sure, of course, but I think that they were drawn together by their need to find a bit of sanity amongst the craziness which is Lee and Guy, Kiba theorized. Which is rather ironic, given that Lee passed the MSR and Niji didn't. Tenten didn't have to face the MSR, so I don't know how she would do. Perhaps I have it all wrong, and Guy and Lee are too sane for them. Of course, that is in and of itself a very scary thought. Why must you attempt to play matchmaker with everyone you know? Shino demanded. It gets very tiresome sometimes. I do not play matchmaker. Kiba insisted, affronted. I just point out the obvious. And speaking of, I saw Kurenai-sensei and Asuma holding hands last week, so I'd like it to be known that I was totally right about that. If you pair everyone up, sooner or later you will be right once, Shino said shortly. I do not pair everyone up, Kiba claimed. Really? Hinata asked surprised. It really seems like it, though. Sure, the most obvious secret love is the one between Sasuke and Naruto, Ino, and that one guy with the naval shirt I thought would be good together, talked for the better part of 2 hours earlier tonight. Temari and Shikamaru seem like they could balance each other out when he gets older. Tenten and Niji are practically dating already. Kurenai-sensei and Asuma are dating. Jiraiya seems just a few more rejections away from a shot with Tsunade. And Kankuro spends a little too much time with his puppets is no reason to think I'm obsessive or anything, Kiba claimed. Where did we go wrong with you? Shino wondered aloud. And is it too late to reverse the damage? Hey, it's not like Kurenai-sensei doesn't do it too, Kiba said defensively. Although her track record isn't 100%. Did you know that she used to think Kakashi and Iruka had a thing before Anko entered the picture? It took her years before she was convinced Anko wasn't just Kakashi's beard. And speaking of Sakura. No one on Team 7 has shown any interest in each other. Or in anyone, Hinata objected, somewhat sadly. So I don't believe that Sasuke or Naruto are using Sakura in that regard. Kiba snorted. No interest indeed. And Sakura's hard to pin down. I can't tell if she has feelings for Naruto, Sasuke, Lee, or Ino. Who knows? Maybe she can't make up her mind either, and that's why I'm getting these mixed signals. Did Kiba just decide Sakura might be in love with me and I'm in love with Sai? Ino wondered, sitting down beside Shikamaru and Choji on the grass. Kiba thinks everyone is in love with each other, Shikamaru replied, stretching his arms. The whole thing is rather troublesome. You would think that since he thinks you'll end up with a violent and bossy girl with two brothers who are either psychotic or a Jinchuriki, Choji noted. At least he did not put me with Ino, Shikamaru murmured. Ino's eye twitched. Excuse me. Keep in mind that I'd sooner stab myself than date you, but why are you so against the idea of dating someone as beautiful as me? Well, I think Tamari might be even more troublesome than you are, she does live in Suna and you are my teammate, so if we did date and things ended badly, it would be more troublesome if it were you rather than her, Shikamaru explained. Of course, girls are far too troublesome to bother with anyway. Better not tell Kiba that, Choji warned. He'll simply decide you're gay and before you know it he'll go around insisting we're in love. At least it would be less troublesome, Shikamaru mused. And no children, either. Children seem like they would be troublesome. Tamari's right, Ino said, rolling her eyes. We really could replace you with a button that said troublesome and no one would notice the difference. Of course, given that I've yet to get my vengeance on her and she's bravely ran away to Suna, if she decided she liked you, I might be willing to bite the bullet and date you first so I could get back at her that way. You're such an admirable person, Ino, Shikamaru deadpanned. Ino smiled brightly. I know, it's a gift. I don't think that's quite what he meant, Choji said quietly. But who is this Sai guy? Do we know him? Oh, he's the guy I was talking to earlier, Ino explained. He's cute and looks kind of like Sasuke-kun, but there's no way I'd date him just yet. He has issues. Shikamaru raised an eyebrow. Issues? And Sasuke doesn't. Issues as in he was in a secret illegal branch of Anbu that tried to turn him into an emotionless zombie until their leader died less than 2 years ago, Ino clarified. He says he's made a lot of progress, which is a bit unnerving, but I'm sure he'll make more in the years to come. Besides, unlike certain other people I could mention, he always calls me beautiful. Telling you what you so obviously want to hear, Shikamaru said wryly. That's absolutely amazing, really. That's it, Tamari would have to want to have your babies before I'd even remotely consider getting involved with you, Ino declared dramatically. Thank God for small mercies, Shikamaru muttered. What did you say? If Kiba thinks hostility is secretly a sign of hidden affection, why doesn't he think Ino and Shikamaru could make it? Choji wondered. Do you ever get the feeling that all of our friends are insane? Naruto wondered aloud. All the time, Sasuke replied promptly. And all things considered, that's really saying something coming from the three of us. Well, it's not like they don't think we're crazy, too, Sakura pointed out. But at least we have having to relive at least a few years of our lives as our excuse. What's theirs? Insanity is contagious. Naruto suggested. Seriously, with less Niji brooding and Sasuke having enough sense to keep his issues to himself, what's there to get all serious over? Everyone was pretty light-hearted unless they had deep dark pasts I needed to personally help them overcome, until after Orochimaru killed the Sandaime anyway. It's kind of sad that the person that took the longest for you to personally change their entire worldview would be the one person who was on the same team as you and you spent the most time with, Sakura remarked. That's because I clearly had the most traumatic past, Sasuke claimed. Sakura rolled her eyes. You just keep right on thinking that. What would you know? You never had a sob story, Sasuke sniffed. And Naruto only ever acted like he did once or twice, even though his was arguably worse than most people's. But not yours, right? Naruto asked, grinning. Absolutely not, Sasuke agreed. The only person whose life I am willing to admit might possibly have been worse than mine is Itachi's. That's love, right there, Sakura declared, pretending to wipe a tear from her eye. Seriously, though, for all the insanity we've wrought, especially since Sakura-chan's returned, I really do think that things have worked out for the best, Naruto told them earnestly. I mean, the Akatsuki is mostly gone already, Sasuke's still here, Obito, Rin, and my father are still alive, Kakashi got married, even if it is to the scariest woman I've ever met. Jiraiya and Asuma don't necessarily have to die, Itachi's still here, and not trying to convince us all he's evil, Sakura still has us, he finished lamely. Sakura's eyes narrowed. Oh, not you, too. Seriously, both of you go die. I guess she's turned into the new you, Naruto told Sasuke. You'd better watch out then so she doesn't decide to seek vengeance, Sasuke cautioned. How am I supposed to do that? Naruto wondered. Get myself killed before she can get to me. That could work, Sasuke agreed. Or possibly me if she holds me responsible for this. Or maybe he trailed off. Naruto cocked his head. You think it would work? I don't think she's ever been on the receiving end of one before. Sasuke shrugged. Why not? It's worked on everyone else you've ever tried it on, even me, eventually. Sakura was starting to get nervous. What are you guys talking about? Naruto and Sasuke's matching smirks were decidedly evil. I'm going to give you a friendship speech, Naruto said cheerfully. Sakura gulped. Thanks for watching, Shinobi Squad. If you enjoyed this what if, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss the next twist. Drop your theories in the comments, I'm always reading. Want more Naruto heat? Check out the other videos on the channel. Stay sharp, stay awesome, and remember even shadow clones need love. Peace out, Shinobi.